release, guys. It's finally come. We're gonna head into Northrend for the very first time. But first, check if you guys have subscribed, because this video you guys haven't subbed. Yes, what he said. Please check if you haven't subbed and do it.
Please subscribe so Goosey can eat. I beg of you.
Okay, let's go. 3, 2, 1, go. Dude. Whoa. Dude, we're I'm actually hyped for this. Wait, you're so tall though. What the hell, man?
Yeah, you need to drink some milk, man.
Yeah, I know. Okay, are you ready to get some blaster chat, man? Get some rad stuff?
Yeah, let's grab the first quest and start our journey, man.
Okay. Oh my god, I'm excited, man. I don't know. To me, it feels really weird that we already have this already out, man. Like,
yeah, dude, it went by so fast.
Okay, let's go. So these are not upgrades yet. It's gonna be a while before we get like a weapon upgrade, I think. But regardless, then we'll figure it out. Okay, let's pick up everything. This quest over here, and this quest over here. Nice. We're gonna set our heartstone as well. Okay, we'll do that. Let's go. Look at this, man. This is speed leveling, guys. Wow, we are so fast. The speed, the violence, the momentum. Let's go. Where's the... Oh, there's the milady. Okay, I think he's got all the stuff done that he needs to get done.
Goosey, you are exploring, huh? I was following you. I'm like, where's this gonna take me?
Sorry, I was looking at the inn upstairs. I was like, that's a nice little inn over here.
Yeah,
you wanna come? You wanna come this way, or we need to go to the boat and the water? Yeah, I am a death knight, so you know I can give you some little water walking. You know.
Oh my god, you're actually insane.
Yeah, dude, we're speed leveling like crazy, man. Like people don't even understand how fast we're gonna go today.
Dude, look, it's so pretty.
You're so. Yeah, true.
What did you say?
I think there should be a guy over here with a quest somewhere. I'm not too sure. I don't know where he is though. It's like a diving guy.
You're diving in my...
You need to take a step back and relax your cervix.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Get the pouch.
Dive in my heart, because you're my friend.
Okay, that's good. Dude, we're almost a bar into level 70, Savix. We're so fast.
Oh, wow, we're so fast.
Yeah, man, we're leveling hardcore. It's crazy. But we are blasting though. I'm not gonna lie. We might be going for world first level 80 pace here. Dude, Howling Fjord is so nice. I like the vibes a lot here. Like, I really do, man. I think it's such like a cozy place. Howling Fjord, that is, right? Oh, there's a dude. You wanna be? Oh, you just
yes,
went in. Okay, kill them all.
Oh, there's another one.
Dude, I was gonna ask you like, oh, you wanna like do this person or something? You just charge in.
These are criminal scums in our sacred soil.
If they are red, they are dead. Dude, they're probably so sad. Oh my god, man, I just wanna do some leveling, man. This warrior charges me, man.
No, he's happy. He's like, oh man, this is all about Wrath. This is the Wrath experience of world PvP, baby.
This is what the game is all about. All in all, from what people have said, like I feel like the launch was pretty good, right? Like it wasn't that laggy. Like people could play the game, and there was like a billion layers, but people were able to play, right? From what I understand, everybody has been talking about it and stuff like that. Compared to some of the other launches that they've had, for sure, you know. I'm hoping we get some gear upgrades though. We do have really good gear, but I would still like to get some upgrades, right? It could be pretty dope. You think? Look at it. Look at this turkey right here. When you kill it, look at this. It turns into like a little roast turkey, man.
Oh,
you want to get like some roast turkey? What?
It looks like your character.
Dude, Cookie,
lay down next to it. You're the same size.
Cookie's like a Cookie's a Giga Chad, man. Look, I'm not.
You look the same. I can't tell the difference.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? Dude, listen, it's not about the size. It's about, you know, the inside and like how you are.
You're the same inside as that turkey.
What does that even mean? What are you about?
You're the same thing as that turkey, man.
Okay, you know what? I think we should just focus on the speed leveling here, okay? We are aiming for world first, Savix, alright?
Yeah, okay.
Oh, can you drag that guy in there? We need him. Can you turn this in and then we pick that up and then turn this in and then pick that up? Gotta get the little flag, you know, bing, bong, bang. We'll have the flag. This is pure speed leveling, Savix. Nobody has ever done it this fast. We need to go into the catacombs here, Savix, okay? Listen, it might be scary, but together as a team, we can conquer the catacombs, okay? So I'm looking forward to 80 dailies. I don't know, I'm just looking forward to playing the game, man. I think it's gonna be a dope time, man. It's gonna be a very fun time, you know? Just like doing everything during the dailies, PvP, dungeon, arena, battlegrounds. There's so much stuff to do, man. That's what I really like, man. New Wrath expansions and like new content. It's so fun just having stuff to do.
Alright, guys.
Mate.
Kuzu.
Yeah, DC'd as well.
Okay. Holy shit.
Oh no, dude. And so it commences. Wait, mate. Alright, got it. I am back. Or maybe
Welcome
everybody
back,
PC'd as well, so now we have the whole cave to ourselves.
Yeah, I picked up. I'm done. I picked up everything.
Shit. Okay, easy clap.
That was
Alright, guys,
perfect.
Yo, dude, sabotaging the other players. I mean, it's not really us doing it, but, you know. Alright, we're gonna handle a guy in the basement here. There's like a very, very evil villain we have to take care of down here. Oh, these guys are doing it as well. Get the invites. Oh, and then we can kill it.
Nice.
Yes. See, this is speed leveling, man. Then we can get the cipher.
Judgments.
Yoink.
Personally, I like to
just
go
leave
for
the
the
group.
reduced pushback
in here.
on my
We got an
heals
Archmate.
in the
We got
rare
an Arch. Okay, maybe I should
circumstance
sell.
where I do need to just
I'm
hard
gonna
cast
make
a
it
heal
my
and I'm in
due
trouble.
diligence and
We
my
can also
duty
get
today,
healing light,
guys,
which is going
to
to increase
always
my
keeps
heals
my
of
bags
Flash
clean.
of Lights
Keeps my back
by
clean. Always keep my
12%.
bags clean.
And
Okay?
obviously
Because I
the
always
holy
end up
lights
having
and
scuffing
total
up my
shocks too,
bags
even though we
completely,
need
and
total
they
shock,
end
'cause
up
we
being
don't
really,
get
really
that
bad. So today
But
and
if you want to go for more
henceforth, we will
single
always have clean
target
bags. Okay? I
DPS, if
promise.
you're going to do more dungeons and
is-
stuff,
I
then
don't-
yeah, you'd
I don't-
go for Seals of a Pure instead. Now, when it comes to glyphs, what you can get in a pre-patch is an extra damage. Hand ones just are going to reduce the cooldown by 5 minutes. Now, if you're not leveling when Wrath of the Lich King does launch, you're leveling later in Wrath of the Lich King's lifetime, pick up Glyph of Holy Wrath, reduce cooldown that you can get, which is going to increase your damage when you do dungeons and...
I don't think anything is really upgrades yet. Armor pen, no, nothing is upgrades yet. But we'll still pick it up and then we can sell it, right? Okay, let's go over here, guys, and let's get some stuff done, yeah? Hopefully we get the harpoon. Dude, I got it first try, baby! There's an evil villain! I found an evil Savix, I found one.
Okay.
Red is dead, right? That's the duty.
Red is dead. These criminal scums.
Criminal scums!
Yes. Take them out of our soil.
He's in a guild called Kick W, man.
He's not releasing. He's looking
Dude,
up
he
the
is
stream
not
right
happy,
now.
man. Oh,
He
dude,
is
I
not
think we made
happy.
ourselves a friend here or something. Dude, it's nice meeting, meeting friends along the way. Did you know that this whole question that we're doing right now, because these Rykul, right? These like ancient Rykuls, it's basically because like they are like, you know, a different race, right? And eventually they started giving birth to humans, and because humans are like a different sort of like, they think it's like a curse, right? That people are humans because they are big Rykul, like Viking, Alpha, Giga chat, right? And they start giving birth to Rykuls, or like to humans. So like this whole question that we're doing right now is because we are kind of like watching the story and the lore of how the human race was born, basically. So like, this is your birthplace and like how you came to be. And it's a really interesting take on it, right? And a lot of people don't really realize that when they're leveling, that it's like all of this stuff happening, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I actually am learning about that too in my history class.
Isn't that interesting?
Basically, yeah, it's super interesting. These guys are like the weaker version of the gods, and these guys started giving birth to me, my character, like a Gigasoy, and we
Yeah.
got casted off from the island, right?
Yeah, but basically like they like cast people away, and it was like, you know, because like it's like they see it as a weak trait, like being like that,
Yeah,
right?
and
So,
you're the weakest one, because look at your size, man, compared to the bikers, me, and
Listen,
you.
it's not about the size, man. Size does
Oh,
not
look at
matter.
your size, man.
Size does not matter. Did
Dude,
you do
he's
the?
so small that he has to make it up with this ram mount. He gets on a massive mount.
Dude, look at my big ram, dude. Look at this. It's so big.
Yeah, you're actually
It's
huge on that
huge.
mount.
Okay, I'll wait for you to talk to the people. I'm gonna turn on all the quests, guys. Absolute blasting. Oh shoot! I don't know where I'm going. Dude, I'm going somewhere. I'm going up to the next zone, actually, Savix. I'm gonna wait for you up here, okay? Dude, there's such a cool quest up here, actually, Savix. You're gonna be very excited about this. I think you're gonna love it. Well, I will kill all the animals. Oh, mate. This is very good. This is very good, dude. I should probably pick up all the meat so I can like cook some steaks and stuff like that, right? Okay, watch me get the shovel toss kite first time, baby. Okay, some of my gargoyle as well, actually, just in case. If I was blood here, I could like stay alive way better, but I guess we're still fine with like just death striking. Oh!
No
Savix!
way!
Oh!
Holy!
Dude, Tuga's lost toenail!
That's a toenail?
That's a toenail! Dude!
Dude, you can probably sell this for $1 million gold.
That's like
dude.
$1 million gold!
Wow.
Yo, dude, do you need it, or should...
I'm gonna let you have it since you found it, yeah?
Oh, you can want it too. Oh, you want it? Congrats!
Oh, I want it?
You got a little toenail, dude. You can make $1 billion gold with that.
Yeah, $1 billion gold with that.
Yeah. Oh, this is where we gotta destroy the houses and stuff. You remember this?
We're criminal. Why are we destroying these?
Because they're bad people. Oh, Herbert. Are you killing Herbert? I'm helping you.
Nah, I already put a bleed on him. We're military experts.
Yeah, we don't even have one of these. Dude, he's gonna love this. Watch. Oh.
Oh, he loves
Oh,
that.
he loves Chains of Ice. Dude, Chains of Ice is such a toxic ability, man. So ranged, 95% slow that adds a dot as well.
But it's a 95%.
Yeah, 95% slow.
It's not 80, it's not...
No, it's 95. It's really fun.
That is wrong.
I think all the harpoons are kind of like taken right now. We have to wait our turn.
It's like we're at the arcade and we're waiting for them to finish playing the game.
Dude, look at this guy. He's really working hard on this.
So I got content for you. Ready?
Yeah.
You see how there's two people on the other side? The guy's clearly waiting for the other one. We're gonna do a slash roll. Whoever has the lower roll tries to.
No, dude, I can't. Dude, not. It's Shamami
Yes!
over there.
Yes, yes.
No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. That's toxic. I'm not doing it.
You want me to do it?
Dude, you're so toxic. What do you mean? You can't just like steal. He's clearly in line for it.
What line, man?
I would have been in line for it too over here. Okay, it's like
What
it's
line,
like
man? Oh, he's looking at me. I don't think I could do it, Kuzu.
You're messed up, man. Dude, he's like sitting there talking to you. Dude, Consequent, do your quest, man. Dude, he's like sitting. Typing.
Hey, I remember playing DRD with you, Savage. Do your goddamn quest and get off
Wait,
the shit.
I'm about to AFK on this cannon for an hour payback. Oh my god.
What? What is?
Oh my god.
What is wrong with them? Wait,
Dude,
what
Shamami
is
is already on it.
Saying?
Oh my god.
What is he saying, dude? What is that guy on about?
Bro.
Kuzu, can we lair? We can't do this shit.
Dude, steal the cannon after Shamami. We deserve the cannon.
Yeah, we were here before Lesnian.
Oh my god. Dude, he's taking a sweet time with this
Wait,
quest.
Kuzu, Chad is letting me know that we can do this in group. If we invite the mommy milkers, like, we get credit for it.
Oh, can you invite mommy? Shamami?
Yeah, I invited mommy.
Maybe
Oh,
Consecrate
please
wants to
tell
join.
me it
Oh, yeah, we're getting it. Oh, he joined too. Oh,
Let's go, dude.
nice. We did it. Haste? These bad boys have haste on it. Mine is still better though. Everything I have is still better, man. Dude, this is the quest with the skateboard. We're gonna go surfing. Are you excited?
You sound so excited.
It's a fun quest. We'll do it together, like at the same time, like Bing Bang Bang. Dude, look at this. Oh my god. Are you excited? Are you excited?
I'm excited. Yes, I'm very
Let's see.
excited.
Are you ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Wait, he's.
What the fuck, man?
Man, what the hell?
You stole ours, man.
Dude. Alright, 3, 2, 1.
We can't do it together.
Oh. Woohoo! Dude, woohoo! Woohoo! Dude, whoa! Holy shit!
Wow.
Oh my god! That's
insane.
crazy! Alright, let's go. Oh, we got a present! Oh my god! Some elixirs! Oh, healing potions! Ooh, haste. No, okay, mine is still better. We still have like way better gear. Okay, we gotta go back up. Are you ready? I can bring us across. I'm a death knight. So we gotta go back to the camp and then turn in the quests and then we're good. Okay, everything here. Oh my god, so good XP. Click the workbench next to Wotlk. Holy sh... Dude, it's like we're playing...
Yo,
Dude, we're
are
playing
you
Team Fortress 2!
playing? Oh,
You know, like,
shit.
you know, like playing Soldier in Team Fortress 2? You ever played that game?
I only played Overwatch.
Oh, I'm like sucking this thing off. I need to get better with my wording, I think. Okay, let's get out of here and then like turn this in here and then we can do it again.
Collecting data, yes. Data has been collected. Proceeding to next data collection.
You are actually a robot IRL.
Rocket jumping to transportation room.
Can you keep talking like that until we're
Yep.
done with this area? Come on, dude.
There's so much. Look at all these people, man.
Kuzu, I'm getting pounded. I'm actually gonna die.
Wait, you're supposed to not aggro those, Savix.
What the fuck? I'm pressing button and they're not listening.
Dude, you are Savix.
What?
Like when they
They're
come,
like, you
when
must
they come over,
construct additional pylons.
when they come over to you, you need to be like, oh, look at your feet, and then they're like, oh, my feet. Oh, I guess I dropped something, and then like they go keep doing their thing.
Brother, I've been doing that and they don't listen.
Dude,
I think they're racist or something.
stop with the. What do you mean with the racism? where are you going?
Collecting data.
Okay. Okay, you data it up, man. Okay.
Yeah, I'm updating my 5G right now.
Yeah. Holy shit! What is going on? I don't know what is happening, man. This quest is so sus. What is this? Oh, something's happening. Oh my god, it's a big boy. Dude, he's huge. Come, minions, your master calls. Holy crap, Savix. This is really epic. You're missing everything. Oh, did you get it?
Bruv.
Oh, it just happened, man.
No, man.
Oh my god.
Are you kidding me, man?
No, I'm not. Good job, mate. We gotta go back to the Hawks now and keep going with those, I guess. Oh, there's a bunch of villains down here. Do we wanna You want to
Suzu,
engage
do what
upon-
you must.
You want to engage upon these guys?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's go.
I'm not full health. This is kind of.
Me
Oh shit!
neither. Yeah. Oh my. Okay, they are very.
Oh my god! They're running. He's just running.
Oh
my god!
I don't think those guys had good gear.
Yeah, those guys are not geared at all.
Dude, I like pressed one button and like they just like flopped over.
Oh holy moly, man!
Holy
He's not
crap.
releasing body.
Oh, he's pissed. Damn. Well, I'm gonna pick up the package.
Dude, this guy's like. Oh.
You charged the wrong
Suzu,
thing.
do what you must. Show him the alpha. Show him the alpha.
Dude, no, I think he's
Show him
a
the
nice
alpha
guy.
DK. Show him the alpha DK.
He's
Show him the
waving
alpha
at
DK,
me.
Suzu. Show him the alpha DK.
Okay, I'm sorry,
Suzu.
Frost. I'm sorry. This is Savix. This is not me. Oh my god.
What do you mean, man?
He's like, what is that? Dude, that's messed up, man. He just like instantly died.
Okay, we don't have to kill those guys. We killed
You
them
are a
already,
bad
right?
influence, dude. Those guys are like little paper. Look at it, they're waving. Okay, let's go turn it. Alright, we'll go here, turn it in, and then we gotta go down here afterwards. Man, I like this zone though. It's so cool. Oh, it's Anton. Look at Anton here.
Anton.
Anton. It's an NPC, Savix.
Oh,
I like how your
Kill it.
instinct is just to go in, man.
kill it.
What do you mean? Okay, well, rip Anton, I guess. Alright, let's wait for the lift here, man, with Loken.
Oh, this place is so nice.
Yeah, there's the little Tuskar people.
I love snow.
The snow. Snow is comfy as hell, man.
I love snow.
Damn. This whole area is like just killing shovel tusk all the time.
Because I have a gift for you. Come.
What's the gift?
Something you need in life. Okay. Number
Yeah.
one, some intelligence. And number two, a faded photography.
Maybe you need some manners, Savix. Dude, that's me and my wife from way back in the day before I was a death
Yes.
knight.
Before you were a death
Oh my
knight.
god. Oh my god, I miss her so much. She's called Mia.
Mia. What is her last name?
Mia dick in your mouth. Oh, got it.
What? How does that even work?
Crap. Alright, let's keep leveling, dude. Easy clap. You got it?
We're done. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. Oh, look at this little pirate ship.
Oh, this is so cool.
Wait, I love this. Wait.
Wait,
I
is
want to
this-
join you. Wait. Mate, where are you
Oh
going?
shit, man, I didn't know
Dude, you're leaving me. This is so silly. Dude, my Ghoulis is running next to me. There is so many villains here, Savix. Okay, I think maybe there's guards here. What is this? Silver Moon Harry. Oh, this guy's like a cosplayer, right? Like he like, I remember hearing about this guy, like in that Platinum Ball video. Wait, can I buy the shirt? I'm gonna buy the shirt. Nice, new shirt. Wait, why did he leave? Dude, he left. I bought a shirt from him though. Oh. We are doing the final sun.
Damn, this drama's still poppin'. One of these graphs is the engine correlation percentage distribution of Hans Niemann. One is a top super GM. Which is which? If one of these graphs indicates cheating, explain why. Names will be revealed in 12 hours. Neither are from Niemann. Poster is saying one of them is. Yeah, this was a pretty popular one. Not even sure how to begin reading that graph. That makes two of us. I haven't a clue how to interpret that. I think the point is so one of the big things against Hans Niemann right now is a lot of his, I think like 10 or more of his games, over the board games, had 100% engine correlation. So people are jumping on it like this guy's been using an engine for years or cheating for years apparently. But then a lot of other people came out saying, no, actually the engine correlation percentage is a terrible metric to use on whether or not someone's actually cheating or making engine moves. But I'm not smart enough to really understand why. I feel like this needs more context. The graph? Oh yeah, I don't really get the graph. The point the poster's trying to make, I believe, is Niemann's engine correlation percentage is very, very similar to a top GM. So much so that you can't really figure out which one's which because the distribution's pretty even. I think that's the point he's making. Oh, it's already on Twitter? Spoilers! So this one's Neiman, this one's Magnus. Oh, interesting. I still don't really know what the graphs mean, but they look pretty similar. You idiot, the graphs mean the red, one is red and the other is blue. You're right, the graphs have different names. Neiman's range is too far, he's too inconsistent. Well, that's what the comment was just saying, that it seems like he prefers to play high risk versus high reward, which is why he has so much variance. Ooh! How does this affect the anal beads theory? It doesn't really affect the anal beads, actually. At least not directly. It's a group of the vibration. It's a graph of the vibrations. Yes. This graph indicates the tectonic activity during the Neiman-Magnus match in order to detect subtle changes, thus indicating vibrations. Yes. Yes. Now it's coming together. Hey, good timing too. We were just going over the latest in the chess scene. Thank you for that. That was super sweet. Hope you had a great stream. Yeah, I saw Vice recently.
People hold different people to different standards. No shit. There's a reason why we make fun of Republicans that get caught being gay. It's not because we hate gay people, and it's not because we would hold like other people like to account for being gay. Or it's not like it's because Republicans that are specifically anti-homosexual or anti-gay in their agenda that get caught being gay. That's like a pretty hypocritical, funny thing, right? There's two types of hypocrisy that you're looking at, okay? There's two types of hypocrisy. One, hypocrisy of ideals is like not good. You can't have that because it means that your system's inconsistent, which means that it's absurd, right? We have to have like a consistent set of ideals by which we strive for, okay? Now, hypocritical behavior, right? Nobody's perfect, okay? And sometimes we don't live up to our ideals, okay? Everybody's like us. That's why they're ideals. We don't always live up to them, okay? However, you can't say that just because sometimes people are hypocritically in a behavioral sense, we can accept the hypocrisy of ideals. That doesn't carry over, right? Like people can act irrationally, but that doesn't mean that we accept irrationality, right? You can't do that because without rationality, everything necessarily becomes absurd.
It was quite a mess. I really wanted that to go differently. I really was not expecting that to go the way that it was. I was hoping that was going to go significantly better. My DM to him is I do not want to debate. I just wanted to have a conversation about people's moral responsibility for cash and shit like that and whether or not we can put somebody up. And he kept saying, well, people that say arguments like you do this and this. And it's like, dude, you're talking to me, man. There's a lot of people that might think that some people's opinion who might be advocating that we do more with the resources we have are saying like socialism is win no house or socialism is win poor. And I feel like this is kind of we're missing each other. Well, yeah, okay. So I at least want to come from a position of like, I think that we could be doing more when we have an excess of resources. I think we ought to be doing more in order to further political causes, in order to bettering our community and stuff like that. And to my knowledge, you are of the position that this is more of a, for all the dank memes that might get posted, a supererogatory position more than anything. Like it would be nice for us to do this. Would be no more obligation to go out of our way to do like a lot of like let's say funding of canvassing or what have you if we're a political streamer or what have you and we have excess resources. Correct? Or?
Yeah. Well, I think it's good if we do it. Of course, it seems odd to me. The idea, whether we're talking about ideology or access, to reshift our moral framework for what a person should be expected to do, not just like in accordance with what they could do, but also like how we treat that conversationally. Or to put it another way, if a person is a, I guess we have to use this as an example, but if a person like makes their living advocating for socialist shit on social media, and keeps doing it over and over, gets really successful doing it, makes a lot more money, at what point do they switch from being a positive representation for the movement because of what they're advocating for to being a negative one because they spend too much of their money on houses or whatever? I think there's a really ambiguous gradient there, and the best thing we can really do is we can just encourage people to do as much as possible with the resources they have, but that's not really what the discourse is about, right? It's about moral condemnation, which is where I think my main issue comes out.
Right, so if we're talking about like moral condemnation and like I think that when we're talking about holding people to a certain standard and where exactly we're talking about like moral obligations and what people ought to be like doing with their resources and what have you, and whether or not I can condemn somebody for having excess and not spending that excess or using that excess, whether it be capital itself or money itself or influence, I think we could look at either one. So maybe I could be more amicable to any idea when it comes down to money or what have you, and we could start from a position of influence and then work our way to money and see how we get there. So when I'm looking at things,
do you mind if I try something a little different with this conversation?
Go for it.
So the central concern here is about hypocrisy, right? So
not necessarily for me at least.
Okay, then not necessarily hypocrisy, but I think are you a socialist?
No, I'm not. I'm a
okay. So as somebody who would consider himself a socialist, it seems like the person who should be mad first and foremost, like here, is probably myself, right? So I guess I'd have to ask you, why should I be upset? What, like, because people, I've seen this from everyone, like Destiny Venture Hero or whatever, where they're like, I don't care about people making a lot of money and buying big houses, but socialists would. And I'm sitting there as a socialist saying, well, I'm not. So should I be offended? Like, make the argument for me to be offended,
Right. So I think it comes down to if somebody has at least I don't really view it as an offense thing. It's more of a if people are able to accumulate potentially infinite resources from perpetuating an idea that they stand for a political cause, and I don't even think this has to do exclusively with socialism, but like perpetuate the idea that they stand for a political cause, at what point can I say that talk is cheap? You know, when does the talk become the walk, or is there no such, or is the talk the walk in and of itself, right? Like,
Well, that's my question to you, right? Well, the talk is the walk when it comes to like being a political pundit, right? Like Tucker Carlson isn't dangerous because part of his money goes to like promoting Republican candidates. He's dangerous because he has a platform that tens of millions of people listen to. So I mean, talking is walking when we're talking about political advocacy, because advocacy is largely a vocal process. But when it comes to like at what point can you expect to do more, I think there is a good question there. A lot of leftists, for example, are upset with leftists in electoral systems who take up space. You know, that's one of the central criticisms of the Democratic Party. The fact that, you know, they're better than Republicans, sure, but they take up space. They become the left opposition party, meaning that you're removing sort of cultural, social, and political space for a genuinely left-wing party. I think there's some legitimacy to that argument. You have to talk about what you're losing, what's being taken away. And in the case of Hassan, we aren't really losing anything. There's not a what would you call it? A much of a cost-benefit analysis. The larger he gets, the more he speaks, the more people listen to him, the happier I get. It's very nice to see that the largest streamer who talks politics in the Western world is a socialist, even if I hate him, I want to be larger than him. So sure, right. So that's my perspective when I look at this stuff. Now I do, by the way, I do think that Hassan should be doing more with this. I think that at his size, he could be doing unfathomable good with fundraising and stuff like that. You know, but it's about how you approach it. If your approach is like socialist, hypocrite, big house, socialism is with no house, yada yada, we're not really facilitating any positive changes within the movement. We're just looking for an excuse to attack a socialist we don't like. And Lord knows I see plenty of that in this discourse. But if you want to be affirmative, positive, reaffirming, you know, you're doing good, but you could do better. That's an attitude I like.
okay, so I guess then, what is a moral obligation that you would set for somebody like Hassan? Like, is there any moral obligations that he has to hold up to at all?
I mean, I guess I'd like it if he didn't murder or rape people.
That's the
Right. So, like, I guess as a political pundit of socialism, or I guess we can do it left of being on the left at all. Like, what moral obligations do I have as a political pundit on the left? Do I have none whatsoever?
Well, in a purely utilitarian sense, my only real answer is that I always want him to contribute like a net positive utility to the discourse, right?
Pure utilitarianism.
I don't agree with all this always educating stuff that he speaks about. But as a net, you know, if we were to choose sort of the archetypical frat boy politics news pundit, you know, I would certainly rather him be Hassan than some, you know, edgy centrist or even like a progressive liberal like Philip DeFranco.
Right. And so I'm just wondering, I guess, from my perspective, I don't know why we would set the bar so low, and is where I'm at. I feel like that bar is set really, really low, and we do ourselves a disservice by setting it so low. We can, I feel like asking for 40
So relevant is pro rape and murder. That's what I'm hearing.
Doing a fundraiser that you don't even have to. Sure, but as like a moral obligation.
What do you do if he doesn't meet that obligation?
I would say that you ought to do that, and that it is bad for you to not do it.
Well, sure, but I mean that's utilitarianism 101, right? Like do good things.
Stop using philosophy terms. That's how utilitarian. That's every moral system. Don't do bad things, do good things. That's what good means. It's literally circular.
Sure, to not do that fundraiser thing.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, in terms of like the distinction between doing a bad thing and not doing a good thing, it can be kind of fuzzy, right? Like it's a bad thing to not save a drowning child.
Sure.
It's a good thing to do it. So the absence of a good action sometimes can be considered in and of itself a bad action.
Right. And so, yeah, allow me to be a little bit more specific when I'm using the word morally, a moral obligation, right? So like I'm using what I've at least picked up as your kind of position on a moral obligation versus a supererogatory thing, right? Supererogatory being like you're going out of your way, you're doing something good that like you have no obligation to do, nobody was expecting it of you.
Fuck whoever washed that word. Oh my god.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I consider to be a moral obligation is what you need to do before you are committing an action that is bad. You need to do this, otherwise you are doing something bad, right?
Yeah.
That's the way that I consider it.
I guess the more that I think about it, you know, when I tried to start out with this stuff, I was told that utilitarians don't actually have a way of distinguishing between supererogatory and obligatory behavior. That when you get right down to it, you can make as many overarching or like superseding systems as you want, but a utilitarian will never actually have a definitive answer for questions like that. It's just to try to do good things and try not to do bad things. All questions as to what's obligatory or supererogatory are kind of relative, right? Is it obligatory that you give money to charity? Well, probably not many people would say that. It's supererogatory. But what if you make billions? At what dollar amount exactly does that distinction arise when it becomes necessary as opposed to it being simply a thing you can do that is good? In the absence of a definitive answer, all I can really say is that I think that we should, as a general rule, encourage people to do good when they can.
Fuck you for saying utilitarianism a few times 5 years ago.
Well, I don't think that it's like something that, just because it was rare, that doesn't mean that we have to make an appeal to that gray area being so absolute that we throw out the entire concept of a morally obligatory action.
What do we get from the moral obligatory language relative to what I'm using? Because I'm agreeing with you, we should encourage him to change his behavior on that. And in terms
Make you do dungeons faster. But then you probably want to respec when you get access to Holy Shield. But honestly, I do actually think that having Seal of Command is better than having Hammer of Righteousness. You can obviously get Hammer of Righteousness at level 71, but you know, if you're leveling up to get to level 70, prioritize getting Seal of Command over Hammer of Righteousness. This is because, very simply, Seal of Command is going to provide more cleave DPS than Hammer of Righteousness is ever going to, because it cleaves on judgments, but also all of your melee. Attack. Really astounding, but you can get Glyph Seal of Command again, Glyph of Hammer of Righteousness Glyph, because that's going to cause it to attack an additional target.
Cash, Malanore. Death to all who oppose us. We will persevere. We will have justice.
In terms of affecting a better outcome, that's the best you're going to get. What I'm suggesting is the most effective way of ameliorating the problem you're describing.
I would disagree. I would think, in effect, that what you have is the reason why I use morally obligatory is because I can condemn somebody for not participating in an action that I consider to be morally obligatory. That's really the difference. Saying that, like, oh, well, you're doing what you need to do, which is just, say, whatever we consider to be, propagating socialism to a, thumbs up degree, right? I don't want to hard stick on socialism. This applies to all different political ideologies, right? You're promoting that ideology. However, right? Like, you taking in you're promoting the ideology of socialism, but socialism in and of itself doesn't say that you have to, like, go above and beyond and do all this charity stuff, but, like, we can hold them to that standard through a moral obligation so that we can condemn them when they do not meet it, because otherwise I'm just saying, hey, you know what, it'd be nice if you did all of this stuff, but you're not wrong for not doing any of it.
Well, why would a socialist want to do that?
Well, because moral condemnation is something that should be taken seriously, generally speaking.
Because all people engaging in speaking, the people attacking the Congress, they're not socialists. Overwhelmingly, it's conservatives and liberals doing this, which suggests to me that the attitude they're advocating for is not actually the best interest of our movement. It sounds like consistency, optics, but in reality, it just seems like a thinly veiled effort at attacking people. You say it's not about hypocrisy. We have these conversations about non-socialists. I mean, there are tons of wealthy celebrities who have pet social projects that they don't donate.
It's not hypocrisy if they're not a socialist, right?
Maybe they can do that, but with Hassan, this is a critical moral failing that has to be the subject of months of discourse. You see?
Yeah, so allow me to ameliorate that. I think it's because in a lot of instances, unironically, there's a lot of people who I would actually point to as models for going above and beyond that exist outside of, this specifically, I guess, Hassan. I really don't want to attack him specifically, but, like, even you, I would agree, go above and beyond in certain areas where I don't believe that this moral condemnation would apply to you. Your consistent fundraising, at least your outspoken desire to participate in direct action. So I wouldn't apply this criticism to you. However, I think we can hold other people to a higher standard, and this discourse has been spawned off of, like, again, Hassan. And so I think we can hold him to a higher standard, like, even just a standard of, again, doing maybe one fundraiser a year, right? Or what have you. And I think we ought to push that kind of standard over and over again. But to address your point specifically about non-socialist people targeting socialist people for this, I don't disagree. There's a lot of people that throw shit at socialists just because they think, like, socialist means you have no money. I also think that there are people that think like me on this, where it's like, damn, it really kind of sucks that we don't really see, fundraising, we don't see canvassing, we don't see many of these things coming from specific people that talk about politics. And that ought change. We ought to hold people to a higher standard where promoting these ideas and things like that. We ought to hold them to a higher standard. Because if people like Hassan aren't going to go out of their way and support canvassing, who is, right? Who are we expecting to fund canvassing, to get people politically motivated, to get people politically involved, if not people like Hassan? Who else are we expecting to do? Like,
well, I guess, like, to me, ultimately, this does still reside on an attack on hypocrisy, which it just doesn't register that much in my framework. When it comes to, like, well, who should be doing these good things, the answer to me is all of us.
It doesn't register because he doesn't care about being a hypocrite.
Socialist should be doing advocacy for the working class any more than the filthiest capitalist pig. I think that all of us should be doing it. I don't necessarily know if there's some heightened. Oh, is this a fucking malv room? Holy shit! I'm sorry, guys. I didn't even notice that. That's good. I didn't even. To me, the idea that, like, people should be held to a higher standard if they actually advocate for these positions. In theory, it's good. It's conceptually valid, and I think there's some some worth to it. I wouldn't deny that. But in practice, it just seems like the ability to attack people who you disagree with, which is why these criticisms are all coming from the left. Like,
sure. This is the whole point.
If
you hold yourself to a higher standard, then that of course does open you up to more attacks. But, like, I mean, what's the next step? Should we all just become, like, heroin addicts? Because, like, there's no standards for that, right? Like, I could show up at some place, like, I don't have the obligation to shower, to take care of myself, and not be an asshole. Because, like, bro, I'm a heroin addict. Okay, don't project onto me your personal responsibilities and what you perceive as failings. Okay, because, bro, I'm a heroin addict. So, like, yeah, of course, if you hold yourself to a higher ideal or different ideals, there's gonna be different set of standards that are gonna be morally forced on you. That's like basic 101 everything. Yeah. Yeah, I don't.
The fact that he's a socialist wouldn't even be a part of the argument being made here. But it is
So I
every
can
time.
disagree with that, and I think I can synthesize why it is also like him being a socialist is also relevant. But to touch on your previous point about like Rachel Maddow and all that stuff, the part of the reason why I talk about specifically Twitch streamers in regards to this, and to some degree some YouTubers, is because that's the people that I have the most access to, the most connection with, the people whose communities I run in the most, the people who I can affect to some degree. I could agree that most political pundits should do these things. Most political pundits should do.
I agree that they should, but there's a difference between should doing something and morally condemning a person who doesn't.
Well, no, that's what should means, Mosh.
You had, if you were like a New York Times, like a columnist or something, can you honestly tell me that you would be dedicating any significant portion of time to like writing out the dozens and hundreds of major political pundits who have a higher net worth than Hassan, and saying that, you know, if this person was really believed in higher taxes, then they wouldn't listen to business deduction. Like, it's rhetorical. The answer is no. You wouldn't. Nobody would. There's something particular about socialism and about Hassan and about this discourse on Twitch that is facilitating a thoroughly unproductive conversation.
So no.
Why does not Portal socialist for higher standards? It's not most people have values that they fail to live up to. It's not about failing to live up to anything. It's about, like, obviously you can never live up to your ideals. That's why they're ideals. But you try to, right? But the thing, here's like the killer question for Vosh. I don't think we're ever going to get an answer to this. What is the difference in your mind between a socialist and a capitalist living in a capitalist economy? Because in my mind, the socialist would be somebody that would act more in accordance with socialist principles. So maybe they would try to reduce the amount of exploitation, be a more fair, you know, like boss, maybe give some control to his work. Right? You do these types of things. It makes sense. But in Vosh's world, there's absolutely no difference between a socialist and a capitalist because both of them have to be a slave to the system. Like that's so like what is the difference? If there's no difference. Well, then who the fuck cares if you're a socialist or capitalist?
Or trying to
that's like the definition of grifting.
Other capitalist streamers, and this is something that wildly amazes me in regards to paying editors and what have you. The fact that it took so long to get a rev share model from Hassan in a similar capacity that Destiny's had for years.
I'm not criticizing for that. I think that's a
I have, and I think that these are salient criticisms myself. The fact
it's
that
very salient.
I still don't
it could be so much more salient if you would ameliorate.
I see no reason why it wouldn't be. Right?
The satisfaction of my
in comparison to like
inadequacies.
right? Who, to my knowledge, stopped taking donations and now has his donation link route directly to his mod team.
Well,
like why is
so what you're describing right now has nothing to do with socialism. It has to do with.
I disagree.
No, I fully agree. Socialism is about a broader social model which reorients the relationship between the workers and means production. Modding is considered volunteer work on pretty much every online community. To pay your mods is a wonderful thing. However, don't you think this comes off as a little bit toothless and spite-oriented? Where it's like, well, here's another person who pays their mods. Hassan doesn't. How can you say to me this isn't about hypocrisy when you're very clearly targeting Hassan? Like, wait, hold on. The essential argument here is Hassan is pro-worker, so we should make a ruckus about it anytime Hassan isn't the most pro-worker person in his field. Anytime anybody else does anything more kind, it's a mark against him.
So it's not. All right. What it is I think people should be paid. So the reason why I believe that it is against what I consider to be what socialism stands for is I believe a core tenet of socialism is paying people for labor that they provide for you.
What about
Do you
mutual
disagree
aid
with
and
that?
volunteer work?
Mutual aid and volunteer work has to do with like community organizing of a democratic origin, no? Like towards democratic means, no? Like establishing.
Mutual aid?
Yeah.
I mean, it can be just as simple as volunteer work.
Yeah, volunteer work for like feeding homeless. I don't think like volunteer work feeding homeless is equivalent to like volunteering to be on Hassan's mod team.
Don't you think that socialists should be paying people who give their time towards bettering the community with mutual aid?
I mean, if they, yeah, sure, why not?
Sure, I agree. We should all be doing these nice things. Why should I be angry if a person doesn't?
Well, I'm trying to make the argument specifically about paying people that do labor for you, and I was talking about the mod team, right? So people who do labor for you, is it not like, I don't think I'm obtuse for saying that like a really big part of socialism is paying people that do labor for you if you profit off of that labor, correct?
I mean, it's really
How
more
do you feel
about
about like
ideally the abolition of
a lot of
service.
conservatives are talking about this group that red states.
I mean, that's, yeah, I feel like that's, I don't feel like that's
It's a cost of living,
right? Is like, I don't feel like I'm doing socialism is win no house,
I have to
right?
caution because capitalism is all about like unrestricted free enterprise and market competition. But I wouldn't get angry at a capitalist anytime they donated something or anytime they bought something from a subsidized industry or whatever. If your willingness to impugn people for hypocrisy is as ubiquitous as you do a thing which in some context doesn't align with the reality of the perfect society you want to live in, then we would all be fucked. But Hassan is the only one who gets attacked.
Hold on, but because we don't do that because there's a lot of people that don't have the means to be able to avoid that. That's the key problem.
Buying from subsidized industries. I think that's.
Yeah, I don't have the.
Oh no, shut up,
buy
Vosh.
from Walmart. What do you mean? I have to buy.
Everybody can afford Whole Foods.
Like all of my goods from Walmart. I don't have the money to not do that. Hassan does. Hassan has money to pay his mods. You know, I do have the money to pay like my editors and stuff like that.
Do you have any spare money whatsoever?
Yeah, I do.
Socialism makes moral.
Oh my God, he's so obtuse.
The actions of millionaire socialists.
So, is your argument supposed to be the arbitrary nature of how much money I believe is necessary before we can give it to people?
There's a definition for this fallacy. I don't know what it is. Maybe I said the debate wrote term for it. But some people will make this argument that let me give you this equivalent. Okay, some people say that like something is arbitrary doesn't exist. People do this with gender arguments. People watching right now like, oh well, I can't drop it. Right? This is the equivalent of this. Okay, I'm in Nebraska and I walk over to an Iowan and I hold a gun to his head. It's like, all right, Iowan, where does your state start and my state end? And they're like, oh well, I mean like this is the border. Show me. And it's like, well, I mean, it's like around here. I don't want to know where it's around. I want to know exactly where the border is. Why? I mean, it probably goes back and forth. Like, it probably depends on where exactly. So there is no border. Nebraska and Iowa are the exact same thing. There's no difference between the two. Because there's a fuzziness at the edge here, the two things are inseparable and unrecognizable. Yeah, it's like Loki's wager, right? Loki makes a gamble with some dwarves, I think, or some shit. I don't remember. And he gambles his head and he loses. And they go to cut his head off. And he's like, okay, you can cut my head off. That was the bet. But you can't cut a fraction of my neck off. Only the head. And then when they go to line up the cut, they realize, well, I don't know where the neck ends and the head begins. So he walks. And it's like, okay, like, but we have heads and we have necks, you know? Ugh, it's just so irritating to hear him get away with this stupid shit over and over again.
Setting right now seems to be incredibly arbitrary and fueled by a particular supporters. Which is why earlier I said you would never do this for other people. People don't do this for other people. We
he gets his mouth shut.
Don't do this for regular political pundits. It's socialists. It's socialists.
I thought this was in a Shakespeare play. Yeah, it was the really brainless solution that Portia had, I think. She was dressed up as a judge when Shylock wanted to win his bet against Antonio. I think it was something about like he gets to take like a pound of flesh, but he's not allowed to take any blood. And then he realizes, oh god, I can't take a pound of flesh. I'm fucked because there's gonna be blood. And then they all made fun of him, called him a Jew, and converted to Christianity or some shit. And ended the play. And I was like, okay. Yeah.
It's the same argument that I have with the vegans. And like with the vegans, it feels like they're more motivated by feeling better than the people they dislike than they are by making affirmative change. Which is why I'm okay with the good vegans, the ones who say, hey, maybe try not eating meat on Tuesdays. Maybe we could cook this meal together. Affirmative arguments that change people's minds, not just an excuse to feel better than the people who you think aren't living up to their principles.
I feel like if anybody's attributing...
Wait, I'm not making this up, motherfuckers. As the court grants Shylock his bond and Antonio prepares for Shylock's knife, Portia deftly appropriates Shylock's argument for a specific performance. She says that the contract allows Shylock to remove only the flesh, not the blood of Antonio. Thus, if Shylock would have shed any drop of Antonio's blood, his lands and goods would be forfeited under Venetian laws. She tells him he must cut precisely 1 pound of flesh, no more, no less. She advises him that if the scale do turn, but in the estimation of a hair without the disk, all thy goods are confiscated. Defeated, Shylock consents to accept Bassanio's offer of money for the defaulted bond. First, offer paid the bond price. Portia rebuffs, willing to take his bond and nearly the principal. Do they actually make him become a Christian, or do they make fun of his... I don't remember if they... Oh yeah, I think they do. Antonio also asks that for this favor, shall I convert to Christianity and bequeath his entire estate to Lorenzo and Jessica? this is a fucking weird play, dude. I hate Shakespeare. God, how fucking boring this shit.
For people to use these arguments against socialists. Now, I'm impugning people broadly here because there's been mainstream attacks against the like this. But you are, I think, participating.
When did you learn about this? We did Merchant Events like my freshman year of high school.
There's a reason why we're not having a conversation about some random capitalist YouTuber who hasn't spent enough money donating to like centrist Democrat causes. You know, we don't go up to like random giant centrists online and go like, why haven't you, donated to Joe Manchin or whatever? This is very specifically a thing that people do with socialists.
I hate that he gets away with this so many times. I know he's too scared to talk to me because his arguments are such dog shit. Like, bro, people hold different people to different standards. No shit. There's a reason why we make fun of Republicans that get caught being gay. It's not because we hate gay people, and it's not because we would hold like other people like to account for being gay. Or it's not like we are like it's because Republicans that are specifically anti-homosexual or anti-gay in their agenda that get caught being gay. That's like a pretty hypocritical funny thing, right? His whole argument here is just like so ridiculously stupid. And it's like, God, fuck, nobody really calls him out on it. It drives me crazy. Like, well, why don't we call them centrists for their hypocrisy for not donating? Well, because centrists are literally trying to reorient our entire economic system while simultaneously condemning every single capitalist for furthering the system, right? Like under your paradigm, Jeff Bezos could literally say, well, I'm a socialist, guys, but what can I do? I'm just thriving under capitalism, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to say this. It's so stupid.
Socialists. That would be something I'd be interested in knowing. It's not just you, friend. It's like everyone. There's a reason for that.
That's what I've said. I've said this. Wait, hold on. So I've said that like I would apply this to everybody on the political spectrum that does not participate in what I would consider to be many of these actions that I've listed so far.
Well, everyone says that, but we see who gets the headlines, right?
Okay, can you point me to a specific person? You're looking for me to morally condemn for this shit? I mean, you pointed me in the direction, and I already agree. But like, I don't think I'm going to make headway to Rachel Maddow.
I think the arguments that you're making right now are pretty much universally applicable against any kind of pundit or newscaster.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I don't think I'm going to make headway with Rachel Maddow.
Okay, well, let's be fair. You're not with Hassan either, right? Even I couldn't make headway with Hassan. I'm the guy directly beneath him.
But hold on. But I can contribute to a narrative that is portrayed in the space that Hassan is in, and avoid people from making arguments I would consider to be bad or just not well informed on what we could be making and pushing people to use their power effectively.
How about Bastia?
What about Bastia?
Bastia makes more money than I do. Do you know of any public efforts he's made to raise money for any pro-neoliberal causes or any donations he's made to said candidates?
Wait, did he just say Bastia makes more money than he does? Why would he lie like that? Wait, did he just say that?
As much money as you, right? They don't make 1/5 as much money as you.
Oh, well, it seems that he makes a decent amount of money. I mean, do you think that he's doing enough to live by his principles, or do you think that's just...
It means there's lawyers. It doesn't matter. How much money do you guys think lawyers make? It's not. I'm sorry, but it's not. I don't think it's as much as you guys think it is. So in California, the median lawyer salary is 170K, which is good. It's good, but lawyers aren't bringing in like 400, 500K a year, okay? Vosh is easily out-earning Bastia. Absolutely.
Area that you were referencing before, and you're locking in like average people or people like me or my mother who make like fucking 30K a year, right? I don't hold on, because you're trying to say that like, well, this could be applied to any. It can't. I'm talking about people with excess. People who are making like $1 million a year surplus is what I'm talking about. Right? When you're making that kind of money, well, this is what I mean. You're making appeals to like the exact precise money. And you're saying because I cannot root some objective, quantifiable, precise point that therefore, that therefore you're throwing away the entire concept of if you're making $1 million surplus a year that you can afford to pay a mod $5 a week.
If we're just choosing an arbitrary line, then why not 10 million? I don't think Hassan makes 10 million a year.
Sure. If you legitimately want to stake your opinion at 10 million, I will fully take that. I will 100% take that. If you commit, like somebody makes $10 million, let's say you make $10 million in the next year, and you take that, sure. I just think that like not a ridiculous point is $1 million surplus. And part of the reason why I use this amount of money is because like if you look at how much money you can make off of that money, just for instance being in an account, acquiring interest from the market,
it's not supposed to 10 million here, like $1 million
$100,000 a year from just.
I think he's on the lower end. So I think he's a bit south of 5 million a year
after inflation. Like that is an unfathomable amount of money to the average person. You make so much money. No, but that's like at that point, right? You don't have to work to live. You work 1 year and then you live the rest of your life.
These seems to me like tangential arguments at most.
So the reason why
he's extremely wealthy. He's the largest political streamer in the history of the English-speaking world.
Yeah, okay. So the reason why I'm making appeals to this is because I think that is a fair metric to hold. That if you're making so much money that you only have to do your job for 1 year, then you never have to work a single day for the rest of your life. You agree that's probably a fair metric to say that, like, yeah, maybe there could be some resource spread that could happen.
There could always be some resource spread that could happen. Do you think I advocate for my chatters to donate whenever I'm doing a fundraiser stream? Do you think that I would stop making that request of them because they make less than $1 million a year? I'm not saying that it's not something that we should all do. What I'm saying is at some point we can easily say that, yeah, at this level of resource accumulation and income, because I want to divorce income from wealth, because if you just had like $3 million to fucking $10 million or what have you, just sitting inside of a fucking account, right? Like, hey, listen, I'm not too sure about that, right? Income is a lot more like, that's something that you can grab onto in comparison to something that might be a little bit more slippery. Why not advocate for everyone to do it if it's within their means?
Because I agree. So that's what I'm trying to prove is what is in your means. And I think the in your means, when you're talking about making so much money that you never have to work for the rest of your life, I think that is a fair metric for in your means. Do you agree or disagree?
I think, well, sure, but I think the bar for in your means is well below that. We don't say that person can only donate if they're making like the median U.S. income every single month, right? I mean,
I'm not trying to make the argument that that's the level that we have to go with donate, but we've already made headway. We agree that he's at a level where he can donate. My point.
But I never disagree with that, though.
Okay, but my point off of that is that if we agree that there is a level of excess that like he can donate or what have you, that is quite far away from like in any way, shape, or form hurting him if he were to donate, then like why wouldn't we advocate that somebody who believes in these ideas, believes in the mutual aid, mobilization of a viewer base or what have you, actually do these things like fundraise? Well, no, advocate for it in a way that we can talk about like moral obligation. Like why is it that you're
asking me to commit to a position that I don't think my ethical foundation has a way of accurately describing? You have engaged in an unfathomable degree of arbitrarity over the course of this conversation. We both know, and just to be clear how candid we are on this, okay? We both know that the standards you're applying right now are applicable to virtually every large political pundit, okay? The very few of them go off to live in like some 2-bedroom house while spending their money on social causes, or even anything close to that, you know?
I'm not advocating for that.
I know. Well, you should be, because the criticism that I have is that this isn't actually about improving the world or about sort of enabling a better standard for political discourse. It's actually about finding a tangential way of accusing socialists of hypocrisy, which has been the sort of primary attack against them for a long time. Wait, hold on, please. You can't be upset with me for saying that because it does not escape me. I'm sure that if you were to spend even 5 minutes looking around, you could find plenty of capitalist YouTubers and Twitch streamers who fit easily within the monetary bounds you were describing, who do not publicly donate to the political causes they claim to support. But it's always Hassan. And by the way, me. I don't get it as much as he does, but it does not escape me that the entire online media circuit is constantly obsessed with how every dollar is spent when it's held by a socialist. It ultimately is about hypocrisy. And to be honest, I just don't care about hypocrisy. I care about good and bad behavior.
You keep keep attributing things to me.
You have to
I'm talking about the behavior that we typically see, and while I cannot.
Let me do this real quick. Okay? Hypocrisy. Okay, there's two types of hypocrisy that you're looking at. Okay, there's two types of hypocrisy. One, hypocrisy of ideals is like not good. You can't have that because it means that your system is inconsistent, which means that it's absurd, right? We have to have like a consistent set of ideals by which we strive for. Okay. Now, hypocritical behavior, right? Nobody's perfect. Okay, and sometimes we don't live up to our ideals. Okay, everybody's like this. That's why they're ideals. We don't always live up to them. Okay. However, you can't say that just because sometimes people are hypocritically in a behavioral sense, we can accept the hypocrisy of ideals. That doesn't carry over, right? Like people can act irrationally, but that doesn't mean that we accept irrationality. Right? You can't do that because without rationality, everything necessarily becomes absurd. This is stupid.
Discretionary income at the end of the year, something like that. I wouldn't even apply this to you. Well, that's what I heard that you said, discretionary after rent and everything like that. But anyway, like I wouldn't even apply this to you. I'm talking about people with such an excess of money that like it's like not even realistic that they're like, because I think there's many arguments to be made that you could be saving your money for like in case you get banned permanently, which could be like
that's why I save my money.
Yeah, that could be very. I think when you make the amount of money that Hassan makes, where he can literally live the rest of his life off of 1 year's income, I think then I can start talking about, hey, you're probably not saving for a rainy day unless you're saving for a rainy day in a mansion, right? So like let's talk about perhaps ways that we can be more proactive with our political goals. And what I think that's a very realistic.
Something I talk about as well. What should we do when we morally condemn a person? Like what's the practical? Do we say that like Hassan is bad now, even though they're contributing a net positive utility?
No.
Oh my god, dude! When he talks about utility, I just want my fucking asshole to turn fucking calling a diamond. It's so cringe. Please stop. So you're saying that we can say that behavior is bad, even though if a person's total overall contribution of utils to the moral landscape is positive? Are you going to tell me that a man that has delivered and saved the lives of 5 children can be condemned for raping a child? Are you going to tell me that even though his overall utility is positive, we're going to condemn one? Yeah, of course you can condemn a bad behavior, even if the person overall is a good person. Wait, how black and white? How stupid is this thinking? Jesus.
Make that socialists never have to do anything with their money ever, and they can in fact just become a hyper-capitalist like Jeff Bezos after they're done because hey, fuck, it's their money, they earned it.
Well, I'm not talking about hyper-capitalist business initiative. Bezos, I'm talking about Twitch. If your position though is I don't really care how Hassan spends his money, then the answer to that would be yeah. A couple $1 million, whatever Hassan owns, is chump change compared to the voice that he has. The spending of his money is meaningless almost compared to what he could be doing with his platform.
I hope I disagree. When we see actions like canvassing that was done in Georgia, I think that was crazy powerful. And
yeah,
Hassan has the capability to finance that on a level that is like tenfold what happened before.
Well, that would mostly be an exercise of his
like a cheap
voice
state
as well.
Minnesota?
We have as streamers, we have a disproportionate amount of audience relative to our wealth, you know?
So yeah, I can work with that. I can work with you because I don't disagree.
Government
with
rates
about influence and wealth, right? And of course, I mean, I would hope that if he was going to do it, he'd probably pick up the tab, but I guess he doesn't have to.
Well, but on like booking hotels, I mean, depending on how many people there are there, like he could probably get like 5,000, 10,000 people out to like the district. I don't even know if he could pick up the tab.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah, of course. But like those are things. I'm not expecting him to spend $3 million on this fucking shit or what have you. So I just want to make it clear that when I'm talking about moral condemnation, I'm not saying that we have to say Hassan is like the worst person ever or even that he's a bad person, but saying that what he's participating in is a bad action. He's doing something bad. He's not doing something good. He's doing something bad. And the reason why I think this is important is because part of the people that you are criticizing for having this condemnation of him or this criticism for him is coming from that position, that it is bad for him not to be using his resources and influence to be able to further causes. When we talk about things like fundraising.
When you were canvassing in Nebraska, do you know how big the opposition canvassing groups were? They're like 4 or 5 people. We were easily we were probably bigger than every single other canvassing group. No, hold on a second. We were definitely larger than every single other canvassing group combined. Times 2, probably.
To get this. It just feels like it feels like wait, stop. You're going to accuse me of being bad faith here, but considering my main reservation with this entire issue is the fact that people will say this is a ubiquitous standard and then only socialists get attacked over it. The fact that you could apply this criticism to virtually any large political pundit in this country. Now, if that's a consistent standard that you want to hold, then you would be ubiquitous in your criticisms. And if that's the case, I think that's fine. And you can say that, but I know who gets videos made about them. Not from you, just you, but from everyone. You know, this is like one of those. It's like one of those things where I don't think you're being dishonest or anything like that at all. It's just I think it's very clear that the hypocrisy element is the thing that drives this discourse, and that's the thing I'm least convinced by.
Okay, I don't. It's not about hypocrisy at all for me. I don't know how else to explain.
You did earlier say hypocrisy was an element.
I said hypocrisy was an element when it came to not paying the people that do labor for you, and I just stand by that.
Shouldn't everyone pay those who do labor for you?
Especially socialists should, because it is a core tenet of socialism, is it not?
What? Why does that make any difference? What? They still do a good thing?
What?
Wait, okay. If it's a core tenet of the philosophy that you hold, you are held to a higher obligation to do that in comparison to somebody who doesn't have that as a core tenet of the philosophy.
No, everyone should do good things.
Okay.
Did you just say everyone should do good things? Yeah, that's what should means. That's what good means. Yes, thank you, Professor Vosh.
So what you're describing right now is damn logical.
Oh God, stop using these words!
I'm not the only one to do this. There is, as far as I understand, no way of approaching this issue from my perspective, from a utilitarian perspective, valuing hypocrisy. Does a bad thing become good if it's done consistently? Does a good thing become bad if it's done hypocritically?
So no, it has to do with your ignorance relative to what you are doing, right? So this is where I was talking about like the hypocrisy and how people might address it and how it can better articulate it, I think, when it comes to this conversation. So the hypocrisy element, I think that of the people that aren't being just, ridiculous about it, because I think there are people being ridiculous about it, there's an element of, I don't know how you can get to a point where in which you, like, or not I, but more of like the individuals that might be making this argument, if I'm trying to be as good faith to the people making the hypocrisy argument as possible, that it is a mystery how you can get, like, to the point where you're a socialist and you've been streaming for years and, you've had back and forth, you've had debates, and you don't pay your editor. When you make 100,000.
Why do you only care about socialism?
At least $2. Right. And then I would extend this to like mods as well. When you're making millions of dollars a year, just throw them a bone, okay? Just throw them a bone. Anything.
Well, I think actually, the idea of paying people for their labor is not a uniquely socialist concept.
It's not a uniquely socialist.
Dude, the relationship between labor and your capital is a super part of the big socialist concept. The idea that like every bit of money that you make as a capitalist owner is like coming off the backs of your labor, that is absolutely how can you use it? The idea of paying a worker is not unique to socialism. That's like saying that's like being critical of like a Republican fucking a guy, and he's like, well, actually, the concept of the dick and yes, actually pro heterosexual relationships as well. So it's not unique actually too. Like
negative effects about let's say a capitalist business structure, right? Let's say there's somebody who is like conservative and thinks that capitalism is really cool and like welfare is cringe and shit like that, and thinks you should squeeze your employees for as much money as possible, and is ignorant to the arguments made.
Not know that it's nice to pay mods for volunteering in your chat? Are they ignorant of that? If I said that to them, do you think they give me
this convo
confused like 10 face?
I hope that like well, this sounds really spiteful. I don't care if it's not spiteful. I just when I see people people that just say like just unbelievably stupid shit. I just hope that people notice, because sometimes it drives me crazy. Like, how does nobody see how fucking dumb this guy is? But I got a lot of emails from people lately who are like, oh yeah, like I used to watch a lot and I've seen a few conversations. The more I watch, I'm like, man, this guy's like full of fucking shit. Jesus Christ.
Moral condemnation, because you got to keep in mind that person's ignorant of any kind of argument about exploitative labor and anything like that in comparison to a socialist doing the exact same thing. Do you think that they're both equally morally condemnable for their actions, or do you think because one is ignorant of a system that exists that exploits people, do you think that that person is less morally condemnable than somebody that is knowingly exploiting their workforce and that they know is morally bad just for their own political gain? So this is the difference between malice and
you wrote the charity
First of all, if you're not talking about the utility derived from an action, then you're talking about what's it called?
Do you think Vosh being willfully ignorant just be slippery though? No, I think he's just like so high on his own farts that like he just can't take a step back and be like, okay, what am I actually fucking arguing for? Like, what the fuck is the point of what we're talking about? I think he's just like really into like, well, if we analyze the utility of the action that one undergoes, and then we compare it to the supposed hypocrisy that you attempt to elucidate between capitalists and socialists, then discoveries at the end of the day are unable to ameliorate the positions that you so claim to care. Like,
I don't think that's an analogous comparison. First of all, the conditions of oppression are equally known to capitalists and to socialists.
That's not true. What?
Acceptable. Are you? Sorry. Wait, hold on. Capitalists are aware, business owners, of the relationship they have between the money they make.
But they don't view that relationship as inherently exploitative.
Don't call it that. They call it profit. They know what it is. They know what they're doing. They have a different moral perspective on whether or not they have the right to exploit people.
So that means that if they have a different moral perspective, then they have a different perspective on it, right?
That's something that they feel they should be able to participate in.
So we both know that this isn't a universal truth, because there are people that do participate in a more conservative outlook, but once they get more perspective, let's say read theory or whatever you consider, right, they become educated on the actual ways that this might be exploitative. You know this. We've talked about this.
Yeah,
you can get educated.
I just said that. You have an ethical restructuring in your head, but you're not ignorant as to what you're doing. If anything, I think that comparison would be most valid if you were talking about a purely Marxian concept, like alienation, because that's something I wouldn't expect you to know about unless you had specifically read Marx. But the dynamics of a business and how surplus labor works is something that you would have to learn in order to operate a business.
But the outcomes of you can't say that that's really simple, Vosh. You know the outcomes of surplus labor and quote-unquote exploiting a workforce is not just simple as it seems. Oh yeah, these people shouldn't get this much money because I put forward the capital and stuff like that. It's not that simple. It's not like, well, anybody looking at it at a passing glance understands the full scope of it and how it works. You may not understand how these people live their life, what it feels like to be somebody that never had an opportunity to acquire that capital, what it feels like to be working class.
Now we're not talking about socialism. Now we're just talking about the degree to which you can sympathize with the poor. And there are socialists who have no sympathy or empathy for people other than themselves. Socialism is just a political philosophy, not a degree of empathy for people.
What I'm referencing when it comes to the ignorance of some capital owners, when it comes to
where's the Thanos with the glove? Socialism can be whatever I want it to be, because now technically what Vosh says is correct. Socialism is only a political philosophy. But goddamn, if they don't wheel it out as some sound economic theory when they're talking economics, or if they wheel it out when they want to morally condemn other wealthy people as like some sort of moral philosophy as well, right? Like.
Actions. Or do you disagree? So like, maybe I could just restate this.
I think the way that we respond to these situations should be modified to enact the best outcomes possible. So if you think a person
wow,
acting out of malice or knowing ill intent, I think that you would respond to that situation differently, not because they're being hypocritical, but rather because it could procure different outcomes.
Procure different
outcomes. There are also malicious capitalists, aren't there? It's not like the only people who can run a business ruthlessly while knowing
procurement of those alternative
there are
outcomes.
capitalists who probably run their businesses with more malicious intent than many socialists who do. And those people aren't being hypocritical. The hypocrisy isn't the element there. The issue there is whatever way in which you can address their behavior that affects the best outcome. I think that my behavior affects the best outcome. My standard for this is we should encourage Hassan to do better with what he has, his money, his resources, his platform. But this like he's bad, I condemn him stuff, and the fact that this only gets thrown at people like Hassan, again, not just by you, but you know, it does, seems to me like it's an effort from outside of the movement to destabilize it without ever challenging.
It's the fucking CIA, guys. Holy shit.
Okay, I mean, you can keep saying that. I mean, I'm not the one doing. I feel like you're just constantly stating something to try and attribute it to me when that's not what I'm doing.
Do you think I'm attributing malice to you or pointing out a pattern?
Yeah, I feel like you're pointing. The pattern exists outside of this conversation. I would say, from my perspective, I can understand if you believe that I'm like being bad faith.
I don't think you're being bad faith.
Okay, so then why constantly are you referencing this?
Well, because I'm
I think Bosch believes what he says.
Well, you're
Okay,
essentially
it's easier to understand
I'm refusing
that
this
he's
type
wrong.
of behavior in the socialist movement. And my answer to that is
Not even in the socialist movement. Again, I preface this with political advocacy in general. When we're talking about political advocacy in general, is what I'm talking about.
Okay, let me give you an example, I guess, of where I'm coming from here, right? Okay. So imagine we were talking about cancel culture. So something I've talked about a lot. And imagine that you come on here to talk about the cancel culture lefties. Let's say you're conservative, okay? I know you're not, but let's say. Okay. And you're talking about cancel culture lefties. And I'll agree with some of your points and disagree with a lot of other ones, you know. But at some point during that conversation, I'm going to have to bring up the fact that cancel culture as a talking point is always brought up to attack the left when the right does it as much, if not more. And then you would say, oh, well,
they used to, but they don't really have the power to anymore, I don't think.
We're just talking about me. Don't assign like broader intent based on the conversations you've had with other people. And I would say, okay, fair, but it's a little difficult for me to ignore the fact that this is overwhelmingly a talking point used against the left. And by agreeing with anything that you say, I'm implicitly reaffirming the idea that this is some kind of biased problem. And I know this when I look at your YouTube channel, Random Conservative Irrelevant, that you only talk about cancel culture when the left does it and never when the right does it.
Hey, who was the last person the right successfully canceled? Does anybody know? I know that was it James Gunn, the Disney stuff? Oh, Kaepernick under Trump for sure. Like, I don't think the right, when Trump was president, they could. I don't think the right is trying to cancel people right now.
Have a conversation with on Twitch.
Well, it's just discussing because he has a socialist tag on the
conservatives to be able to talk about shit because there's no conservative streamers. Like that's just the facts. There's like fucking 3, right? Like I'm not gonna be able. I don't have a very large pool of people to be able to talk to. 1 and 2. I don't think that on Twitch politics, a lot of their opinions are very relevant. If you want to talk about overall whether or not they're relevant, absolutely. Like they absolutely are. But then like I'm gonna fall into the same pit that like everybody criticizes other people for. Where like I guess I could debate Lauren Southern, but then I'm gonna get fucking canceled for that because I'm platforming Lauren Southern.
You don't have to talk with people. Have you spoken with Hassan, or have you just talked about Hassan?
Nobody can talk with Hassan.
Well, yeah. So who you can talk to has nothing to do with it. Hassan is as distant to you as Philip DeFranco is. You will never talk to him, and honest to God, I probably never will either. He is so big. But if I look at your YouTube channel, you don't post too often, but the 3 most recent videos are a rapid fire of Hassan hypocrisy stuff. I think, resulting, Hassan perpetuates white suburbs. Here's why Hassan and LSF don't want you to see this meme. Hassan responds to Ben Shapiro. Whereas, and I know I'm not going to find any examples here of you calling out like Philip DeFranco or like any large news pundit or even like some of the like larger, more apolitical leaning types. Hell, Video Game Donkey has talked about how he doesn't like Trump. Have we seen him put his money where his mouth is? I don't know. So with all of that being said, it does feel like we're all kind of leaning a little bit on the hypocrisy angle, which is one I just don't relate to. If your general prescription is we should make an effort to encourage political pundits to live by their principles, to donate their money, then I agree with you completely. I just go about it in a different way. I think we should be positive and affirmative because the alternative, like denouncing this was bad stuff, causes a lot of division and infighting, which is ultimately like destructive to others. And my goal is always to destroy socialism.
I'm just curious because it genuinely feels like there's literally nothing I can do to convince you that I'm good faith at this point. So I'm giving.
Wait. You have something. I'm not accusing you of being bad faith. I'm accusing you of having biases, which we all have.
Okay, you are heavily implying. That
I'm not implying anything. I've stated outright how I feel about this. I feel like the hypocrisy angle is the big one for you.
There's nothing wrong with calling hypocrisy. Now, so the problem is that so Vosh is way down on this what's the way to most effectively rhetorically ameliorate a problem? How do you solve an issue with somebody who has bad behavior? And he doesn't like the idea of condemning that person outright. He likes taking a more gentle approach kind of. Now rhetorically this is true, but the problem is it has nothing to do with hypocrisy. He's mixed the context of these conversations up. So for instance, we probably don't want somebody to be preaching one thing and performing another action that's contrary to what they're preaching, right? In general, we don't want people to do that. Now we can condemn them for their hypocrisy, but that condemnation doesn't have to take the form of screeching at them or tweeting evil things at them, right? Our condemnation might be a gentle suggestion of hey, it's probably not good when you do this. We could do better, right? That could be a condemnation of hypocrisy. But he can't separate this optical world that he lives in from these moral arguments that exist in a separate realm. These are different types of arguments, and it's all just this smorgasbord. What am I looking for? Smorgasbord of random things that he's got together. And that's where I think that's why he's so hesitant to say hypocrisy is bad or whatever.
You just said that maybe there would be a perverse incentive, and I just gave you examples of people that do it where they seem to be getting along just fine, and then you ran off and said that's me trying to say because other people do it, socialists do it. I'm not. I was just simply responding to the fact that other people do it and their channels seem to be fine.
Well, earlier in this conversation, you had explicitly said that the fact that other people pay their mods is an indication that Hassan should as well, and then just about 60 seconds ago, you said that we should expect people like Hassan to know to pay their mods. So I don't think it's bad faith of me to imply that you do think that other people paying their mods means that Hassan should also pay their mods. That seems like an explicit argument you were making, right?
Right. So when I brought up my initial statement about other people paying their mods, what I was talking about was the fact that I feel like we can often point to other people doing these X, Y, Z, and Z actions that we can draw influence from, and that we should copy what they're doing because it's a good thing to do. We can make this a moral standard, and I don't see a reason why we don't make it a moral standard. So I want to.
Okay, so that's good. I think that's a good thing, but we should try to do it in a way that facilitates the best positive outcomes, right? I mean,
that would be a utilitarian thing.
We're not going to disagree on that. And the only disagreement that we might have is which one of our positions facilitates the best outcomes. So my question to you is if you just
has been expressed by Ben Shapiro. I mean, you do know.
Do you really believe my opinion was expressed by Ben Shapiro?
I think that an adjacent argument to it was Ben Shapiro's argument was a lot stupider than the one you're giving right now for sure because it's Ben Shapiro. The basic argument was that Hassan's a socialist.
Yesterday I went into a restaurant. I saw you sit in the corner. I noticed you were drinking water. You know that Hitler drank water, right? You sick fuck. What is his argument?
His argument was that he shouldn't buy a house. That's his argument. That's not mine.
Well, that was being rooted in the broader criticism that you made, right? Because that thing that I just said, Hassan said, or sorry, that Ben Shapiro said, you said that because he's a socialist, he's to be held to a different standard because of
because he's a socialist. Yeah, no shit.
Ben Shapiro wrote about that specific.
Okay, so awareness. No, you can't just. He's trying to say that he's completely bastardizing these ideas. Start trying to say if you believe in Marxism, that means you must donate all your money. Nowhere have I said that, and you attributing anything even adjacent to that, I think is incredibly bad faith.
The
argument is that if you're a socialist, you have an understanding that labor ought to be compensated to a degree that many people, many capitalists, especially conservatives, may not have that same relationship. That your passion, that your fervor for the position that you believe that labor ought to be compensated is going to be drastically different than many other people. And I would attribute that
are the arguments that Ben Shapiro made.
No, it is not. His argument was that if you're a socialist, you should donate your money.
No, his argument was that if you're a socialist, you have a different set of moral positions, and that you should live out. You should enact those moral positions.
And what was the way he argued you enact those moral positions, Bosch?
Your arguments weren't exactly the same.
Oh, Bosch running it back in real time.
What I'm saying is the way in which broadly this discourse is getting handled against Hassan, which is to say more than death and say
I'm not trying to...
Wait, hold on, please stop. I'm getting tired of you playing the victim over things that I haven't said. You did both of those things. Both of the positions I just described to you, Ben Shapiro, you did. So stop pretending that I'm being bad faith.
I'm not trying to say
the way of approaching this is reflective of a lot of denunciation Hassan gets from people who aren't interested in it.
People in Bosch's chat are turning on it? Wait, really?
I am, because I'm part of it. So my only ask is that when addressing issues like this, we try to do so in a way which ferments good outcomes rather than bad ones. And the outcomes we're seeing right now, and don't think I haven't seen your content, by the way, okay? I know how you talk about Hassan, and it's far from a hyper-measured analysis of his behavior. I'm not going to get into it any further than that, but don't think that I don't pop into your streams like I do everyone else. I know how you talk about him, okay? I think that it comes down to bias, and I think it comes down to an attempt to attack socialists in ways that people would not apply ubiquitously to other groups. So if we care about the health of socialism, which you don't, so I don't know why I should care about
you guys aren't even trying to accomplish ubiquitous amelioration. I don't know what the fuck you guys are doing.
By definition, the health of socialist movements is defined by the likelihood of our victory. If you think that, if you don't want us to win, you can't by definition think that.
What do you want us to win? That's completely incorrect. I would rather socialists win than anybody else besides Stockdowns. What do you mean?
Is that true?
What do you mean? Who else would I want to win?
Well, historically, Socialists will say we prefer the socialists to the fascists, but then they'll fight militantly against the socialists anyway.
The fascists? Dude, historically, fucking the first people socialists kill when they get in power are the other fucking socialists. What are you talking about?
I'm starting to wonder if you are participating in good faith. So what I said.
He's not good faith. We wheeled out the bad faith argument.
Right? Do you want some water to drink? What I said.
I would do fine without the. Yeah, that.
Okay, well, I would do fine without the fuming. What I said was, historically, socialists have aligned with Socialdemokrats on a lot of stuff, but there still tends to be a historical opposition between the groups. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go out there and fight Hassan physically. Historically, that dynamic between Socialdemokrats and socialists has tended to be more violent because that's how history is. So when I talk about the health of the socialist movement, you'll have to forgive me.
I feel like you could make a meme where it's like socialists fighting for power, and it's the guy standing in front of the tank with his arms up, and was it Tiananmen Square? I think it was, right? And then it's like the socialists once they have power, and it's like the guy in the tank. Like, bro, come on, get the fuck out of here.
That sort of foments a lot of bad faith criticism. You know?
Would you like me to explain why I think that socialism is a good number 2 compared to social democracy? Would you like me to explain? Would that help?
No, you're missing the point. That's not what I mean.
Okay, so
make that name for a second, please.
About how there has been historical precedent for some siding with other parties saying that they'll side with socialists, but siding with other parties. Cool. That's not me. You can make an appeal to history and talk about that if you like, or what have you. But I don't know why you're talking about that when you could just ask me my positions.
Because, hold on.
You're not in good faith.
Because my main concern is that you're biased. Asking you about your position.
Now you're biased and you're unable to tell me truthfully what you believe in, but I'm not calling you bad faith, okay?
he's being hypocritical thing is a argument widely used by anti-socialists or by people who are looking to attack Hassan or the movement in general. You've seen this all over right-wing media and liberal media, often done very spitefully. This was with the House thing and with the Twitch leaks thing. I mean, the idea that socialism, hypocrisy, they should do better isn't the central critique being made here. I think it very clearly is, right? So that tendency, that ideological through line, seems to be facilitating a lot of bad.
Yeah, it's funny because that is true. People will constantly say like socialists or liberals always side with fascists. Liberals, okay, truthfully, only so many fascist regimes have even existed in history. Arguably only like 3 or 4 true fascist regimes, okay? And socialists sided with one. They literally carved up Poland with a fucking treaty to be fucking allies. It wasn't just a non-aggression pact. They were going for full fucking allies. Okay, go read the fucking pact. It wasn't just a you don't hurt me, I'll hurt you. Hey, Jesus Christ, okay, chill. You don't even have history on your side for this one.
You do a bad thing.
No.
You don't give money to a homeless person.
No, that's not how it works. So what we do is we're talking about moral obligations, moral expectations given on your a trillion. That's what we argue about. We argue about it's ultimately arbitrary. All morals are arbitrary. We have to make some kind of definition or some kind of line in the sand that we draw that we argue for, that we ought to hold people up to. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make an argument for why we ought to hold people up to the standard.
But I'm also advocating for that.
Okay, so
I think it's prerogative.
Again, let's just actually get to it, right? So let's get to the core specific thing, right? Which is what is the difference between a moral obligation and just saying, hey, it would be better, you're doing good, it'd be better.
It's prerogative. That's the difference.
What's the core difference here?
I have
So
no
like,
idea. I don't think there's any way to solve that within my philosophical.
so if that's the case, then why would you shit on me for saying he's doing a bad thing? If it's like, who cares? Like there isn't really a substantial difference.
Well, there's a tremendously substantial difference. And it's the type of discourse that's produced. Like I said, this hypocrisy argument is being used by people as far right as fascists.
Oh my god. The fascists. They're coming. They're pouring on. And his $3 million mansion. Oh no.
I mean, if we want to like choose how to handle this, we should probably not choose the one that aligns us with like every bad actor in the world, right?
So then your argument would then be against whatever argument you're attributing to me specifically. I think like the hypocrisy, argument that I'd be making about specifically paying people that do labor for you, I don't think that one is very widely held. I think you're just latching onto the word hypocrisy. We're talking about people.
No, it's about the idea that socialists should be held to a higher standard.
Different standard.
Because the practical consequence. But first of all, because the fact that you think socialists should be held to a higher standard as opposed to a different standard.
That's the Hitler hating
communist doesn't care about. Shut up. But you would never.
Wait, every single person, different people have different ideologies that necessitate different standards that you're held up to, of course, right? I'm not going to sit here and talk to a non-vegan and say like, hey, why are you eating meat, you hypocrite? Well, no, they're held to different standards. Of course, different ideological groups are held to different standards. Standards are things that get us closer to our ideals, and different people have different ideals. Ergo, different people have different standards. Like that's so obvious. I feel like stupid for even saying this out.
Like commodities behind like a price it is like not something that the proletariat have a right to circumvent at the expense of corporate entities.
Wait, Vosh, you've been fighting me on whether or not it's a socialist standard to pay people that do labor for you, but now you're about to say to me that a socialist standard is shoplifting? How are you going to try this?
No, oh my god. All right, hold on. We'll try this a little bit better. Okay. My point is that socialist standard isn't what I care about. I care about doing good and bad things. If you cared about holding people to the standards of their ideology, you wouldn't mind when people who are pro-rape, or when fascists do whatever the fuck they're up to. You obviously don't actually care about holding people to the standards of their
No, it's two different criticisms. You can make criticisms of people being inconsistent while also simultaneously making criticisms about their ideology being bad. Just because somebody can be inconsistent within one ideology and their inconsistency favors our ideology doesn't make that person any less of a hypocrite. Oh my god, dude, we're complaining so many horrible arguments here. Oh god. I should have never touched moral philosophy on stream, guys. I told you, ethics is a waste of time. You know what? Meta ethics and normative applied ethics is a waste of time. All of ethics is a waste of time. It was my fault. It was my bad. I take the L in this one. We should have never had these philosophy talks on stream. Okay? I damaged the discourse.
Let's get to defer to some sort of generalized mode of efficiency. Their moral claim isn't that they should exploit workers to the greatest extent or own private capital.
Shit, man. Oh my god.
Their concern is just that they do whatever is most efficient for the making of business. But that's not really capitalism, right? Capitalism isn't just doing what's most efficient. There are a set of very specific decisions of what is or is not acceptable in capitalism, which systems facilitate the best outcomes. But nobody gets mad at a capitalist for buying from industries that are subsidized. This is one of the ways in which people historically have socialists. You can't argue against our positions. So instead, you have some monastics. We have monastic. Monks. We have to walk the world free of earthly desire. Because if you wanted to, you could say
socialism is with no house. That's Vosh's whole argument.
You're ranting.
Wait. It's not a gish gallop. It's part of the system.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying you're going off. All you need to do is ask me why do I hold socialists to the standards that I do, and I can explain it to you in a second. If you're not interested in that, why are we even having this conversation?
Because the
conversation. If you want to have a conversation about some nebulous historical context or the thing that most of these people are talking about when they have this conversation, I don't know why you even chose to have this conversation.
The conversation that I'm interested in isn't in the interview here on why you think X about Y. I'm interested in explaining to you why I prefer my way of handling this. That is to say, not this hypocrisy socialist angle.
But you haven't even asked me what my position is and why I hold a socialist to a different standard on this.
I don't care.
Yes, I have. Wait, you've answered that like a dozen times over the course of this. You've explained it.
Okay, can you explain to me why?
Because you think that a greater level of awareness over the potential wrong that you're doing means that you have a greater moral responsibility to avoid committing those actions. You said that directly multiple times.
But that's true, Vosh. This is why, for instance, if a 10-year-old hits a 10-year-old, they're in more trouble than when a 2-year-old hits a 2-year-old. The awareness of your actions and wrongdoing, that is literally the definition of like moral agency. Things become moral agents when they're able to discern between right and wrong. It's literally the whole point of being a moral agent. This is why we don't hold people responsible that don't know better. Yes, of course. This is the whole reason why things like compatibilism exist, right? To escape like determinism, because people were always going to do one thing. They couldn't choose between one or another. And how can we hold them morally responsible, right? Because
somebody who didn't have any understanding and came to it from a position
and
of
I don't
ignorance.
analogous to conversations like this because you're not talking about a direct one-to-one action, a malicious behavior explicitly done to the intentional person. You're talking about a guy who made a lot of money live stream and far more action than we ever expected. And now we're talking about like whether or not the amount that he's making means he should be doing more charity. We're reaching.
Yeah, you make it sound so stupid, but it's like, so now you're saying that a guy that's in a better position in life, just because he's in a better position in life, can afford to help those that need it? Like, you're telling me that a guy that makes like, I'm so curious. What was the name of that one religious guy with that mega church that didn't let people in when was it when Katarina with the floods happened? I think it was after that. I think it was years later. There's the name of the guy with the mega Joel Osteen or whatever. Osteen. There was like, didn't he have a mega church? Like, why don't you let people in? Like, Vosh is like, we don't ask people with one-bedroom homes to let people in. Are you saying that just because this guy owns a mega church, you think that this guy should be allowed to, or should be have a moral obligation to help other people? Like, yeah, no shit. Of course, it's Hurricane Harvey.
He makes about $60,000 a year, and he notices that I praise him for what he's doing, but he only makes time to see his kids for about 2 hours a day. Whereas if he didn't go to the pubs on weekends, he might have the ability to spend more time with them. Aren't I facilitating like bad behavior by not condemning them for that?
No, because I wouldn't put the moral responsibility on somebody who's like middle class to have to go out of their way to do that. Luxury is like going to a
kids.
Yeah, you need to be able to relax as an adult.
Wait,
the way that
if you're
they
middle
relax.
class, you wouldn't say that people should be held to a certain standard when it comes to taking care of their kids and spending.
Love your work, man.
They
Keep it up.
absolutely
Thanks.
can. I'm just saying that it's not as cut and dry as somebody who.
Wait, so things
Wow.
not being cut
It's
and
not
dry
cut and
means
dry.
you become increasingly uncomfortable with setting hard lines for what is or is not
Oh
acceptable.
You
my
want me to
God.
answer your hypothetical?
Nope.
I think you did.
Okay, so I didn't get all the way through it. Okay, so somebody going to a pub, that could be the way that they relax. That could be necessary for them to be able to continuously acquire income, to be able to make the household stay afloat, right? And that might be necessary to keep the kid fed. And if that is the case, right, then so be it. That's unfortunate, but that's the way that we let it ride. I don't think that is an apt comparison to like somebody who is making all of this money, who has all of this influence, who could just do a fundraiser. Not even like, I'm not even saying he needs to
Why not
spend any
two?
money, Bob. Well, the reason why I'm saying that he could do a fundraiser is because he has all the means to, and this is divorce compared to the person at the pub, right? Somebody who's making $60,000 a year and afford. Hold on. Okay, so if you want to make the argument, yeah, you could be spending more time with your kid or what have you, but the means to be able to spend more time with your kid there is significantly less than somebody who streams almost every fucking day and could afford to one day of the year, just do a fundraiser to be able to help people out. He doesn't even have to spend any money himself, but just politically activate his audience to be able to do so.
Do you think one is acceptable? Why
I
only
think
one?
apparently one, I'm having to fight tooth and nail to have a dude do one, so
Well,
apparently,
your
yeah.
fighting has no relationship to what he chooses to do or not. So,
I disagree. Like getting people to do things through like being able to say, hey, you know what? I think that like you choosing to not participate in fundraisers at X, Y, and Z rate is not something that we should encourage, and it's something I would consider to be bad. I think that absolutely can push people to want to do things like fundraise or what have you. I think that 100% can. I think moral condemnation can absolutely do that.
okay, how's it working out so far? Because the entire right media sphere did this line of his arm, and all it did was make him bigger and more popular, got him more money, and he tripled down all his positions. Is it
I think
working
I think the reason why the right like failed on this is because they actually make really shit arguments. I don't know if you're expecting me to like fall into that trap, saying that he like needs to give away 80% of his money. I'm not even making that argument, right? That's not what I'm making. To capitulate to the right, he'd have to give away his fucking house, his fucking home.
Where are the
and
artisan
fucking
jobs, guys?
Give away his like mother. Like no, I'm not gonna do
You
that.
can't think if you just watch your
Make that
stream.
argument. Is this, are you really doing this, man?
No,
Is this really your
my
bit?
point
Is this really your bit? I'm just a small streamer and
is
you're
that
just making
you're
a
falling back on
Is
behavior.
that what you're doing?
It is fourth world and the jobs switch.
That doesn't seem to include anything.
Where am I making?
Circle jerk to your mixed audience of DGTers over like Hassan's hypocrisy. And Destiny has made equally stupid arguments himself in the past about social
I feel like
hypocrisy house. Wait, stop.
Wait.
You keep talking about
Stop
what
it.
behavior you can influence in Hassan, but that's literally not the fact. You and I can't influence him. He's beyond us. What we're talking about right now is what behaviors we can normalize in our communities. And as far as I can tell from you, as evidenced by your unwillingness to come into a hard position of whether dad should spend time with their kids rather than spend time with the
You know-
it seems
you know
like
that's
you
not-
We're not producing consumer goods at all. I don't understand.
Make strict moral lines when talking about supererogatory behavior.
Supererogatory.
Really expecting a person. And it also seems like your mode of behavior, your way of analyzing this, doesn't produce any better results than what I do, but it does lend itself to the same types of
ours is
arguments that
here.
the right uses to attack the left all the time. So like any utilitarian standard, I would have to arrive at the conclusion that unfortunately, yes, my less toxic, more productive, less infighty, less divisive like way of addressing these issues would we ultimately agree, by the way, on the same outcomes.
How do I
Which is
change the world
probably
type
better
then?
one to adopt.
Okay, so because it doesn't feel like we're gonna make headway on that. I want to know, do you think that there's any comparable difference between what like where you're advocating for that people do and just like somebody posting on Twitter?
Well, I have a larger platform.
Matt Bucker, and Flip Dan, why there's only
Okay, large platform on Twitter, a large Twitter account. Do you think that what you're doing
Wait, do
is
you
the
mean like
equivalent
me
of a
on
large
Twitter
Twitter
or
account?
like a random person on Twitter?
Like no, like what I'm saying is, do you think that the outcomes with which and like what you are doing, what you are advocating that people ought to do, is pretty much the same thing as somebody just shit posting that capitalism is cringe on Twitter?
Well, no, I mean I try to put forward better arguments.
Okay, a good argumented shit post about how capitalism is cringe on Twitter. Do you think that you're doing the same level of political advocacy as that?
If they were able to reach the same number of people and engage people to the same extent, then yeah, sure.
Okay, then do you think that we should probably hold people to a higher standard than somebody shit posting about capitalism on Twitter?
What's wrong with people shitposts about capitalism?
It doesn't really affect them much. Well, I think socialism only survives if we actually put people to work and make sure that we actually I'm trying to make okay. So I use comments like we because I consider some measure of left-wing thing. So I genuinely like the idea of socialists and stuff. And again, they're my number 2 option. I'm rooting for them. Okay, I'm not trying to leave them out there in the dust. So I would say we because I very much see us going hand in hand on this one. So that's why I'm using the word we.
Well,
I don't want to be like you versus us.
It's like every
we agree
question.
on 99% of things.
99% of what?
Sockdems and socialists agree on so many things.
Sure, but I hate to bring it up, but I've noticed this odd trend of people with whom I agree on almost everything, and then I look at them and they spend all their time shitting on the left and misrepresenting our positions. It's not about what we agree on, it's about what we spend our time doing.
I'm assuming that's supposed to be a jab at me.
No, that would be yes.
Oh, okay.
The reason why people expect the left whenever we meet each other in conference, but we agree on almost everything, and just incredibly like the same space.
No, it's that Vosh hides his power level hard fucking core because he's too busy trying to fucking maintain his fucking posture that actually like the balls to disagree with anything publicly, okay? Vosh in public is the fucking, like the most milquetoast fucking sock dem impersonator in the fucking universe, okay? I tried so hard on that panel to get either of those motherfuckers. Dude, the libertarian guy to the right was giving me more fight. Every single time I would try to disagree, like, well, actually, I totally disagree. It's like, yeah, actually, I agree with Dusty too. Get the fuck out of here, right? You're a coward, okay? That's the problem, alright? It's not that I don't hide anything, okay? In real life, I'm the exact same motherfucker. Jesus.
Somebody shit posting on Twitter because I think that that's how we lose. We lose if we don't set a higher standard for like, let's say, fundraising or canvassing and things like that. That's what we need to do to be able to set a higher standard.
If we can do it, but I think my outcome, my way of handling this will produce that more.
So do you think? So then, do you think like people who make a bunch of money are gonna wake up one day and just like realize that like because you're saying, hey, you could be doing better, they're gonna actually do something? Or like, what
do you think they're going to
I'm
wake up one day to find people shit talking about online? Yeah, I think that like high quality and good faith discourse from people who are sympathetic to them or just looking to like share some mutual improvement is going to move people over far more than like laughing at them and saying they're hypocritical, right?
Wait, so I'm not laughing at them. I'm saying that they're hypocritical. You have to do it here.
Well, I know it's moving me over. Lord knows I've changed my positions over the course of the last 5 and never once has it been done by people online when accusing me of being hypocritical. It's always been like every single time people like sitting down and talking with me and making like a positive, like what felt like a sympathetic, well-intentioned argument in my favor. And that does not even involve calling a person a hypocrite. I mean, that kind of just seals people off to right to begin with.
I mean, if we could make that argument of that specifically, sure. I mean, everything that I've said in regards to like canvassing or fundraising has no hypocrisy. There's no hypocrisy angle there. The only thing that even made it even somewhat of an appeal to was in regards to paying people that do labor for you. That's the only thing that I made that argument to. But I'm just trying to specifically address, like, I think we could be doing significantly better than a shitposting Twitter account. I don't think that we should leave the canvassing up to the people who are just millionaires or what have you, or people that make less money than, you know, people who are some of our most affluent. I think it's a damn shame that we live in like a country where we, like one of the most wealthy countries, where we have some of the most wealthy people that we have access to be able to change the discourse around, and we advocate for them to do nothing. Like that we have don't hold them to any kind of moral responsibility. We just say, hey,
I'm not saying they shouldn't do nothing. I'm just saying they don't have to.
Like,
That's
it feels
what I'm saying,
we're
guys.
just waiting for people to give us opportunities to canvas instead of creating our own opportunities to canvas and mobilize our viewer base or influence, and we're just hoping that somebody else does it, and then we can direct our audience in their direction. Why not do the advocacy ourselves? Why not advocate that we do that and by moral responsibility?
Whatever it takes. I've said on screen, I've said multiple times, but I do think Hassan sits on his laurels. That he wants to be like a workaholic, like frat boy, like lean there and react Andy and never actually dip his toes in directly because he's, you know, I don't know if it's necessarily lazy because he streams 3 times as much as I do. It seems like more of a willingness to carve out his own niche and not to dilute that by like making himself adjacent to more traditional political organizing, which is what you would do through fundraising or like canvassing or that kind of stuff.
Do you think?
I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good. I think you should do better.
Is that me?
So do you think that by not, because
Thank you for not being on show and just being yourself.
that's where it sounds like we're at, right? Do you think that like it would not encourage people into the future to continue down the same path if we don't set a precedent that this is not something that we should do, that this is a bad thing to do?
We can't. I mean, the distinction between when does it become a bad thing to not do a good thing is really something I don't have a strong moral answer for. The only thing that I can really do, and I don't want to like be boring when I say this, or whatever. The only thing that I can really do is just advocate for people to do good things. Anything, discourage them from doing harmful things. Anything outside of that, like some kind of broader discussion on when you do a good thing so hard that you need to be expected to do another gooder thing or whatever, which is kind of what we're talking about here, right? There's not even any legitimacy to those arguments. Like I said earlier, I do think the Democratic Party takes up space by arguing against Republicans, but doing so from like pretended neoliberal angle. I think they make it harder for real left parties to form. I'm not arguing against the philosophy of doing good things in ways that leaves open bad outcomes or anything like that. I just don't like the way this is handled. And keep in mind, we're talking about this in the most like sanitized way right now, you know? Like, I'm looking at your YouTube thing right now, and that YouTube short that you have is you like scream laughing at a video, which is basically saying that Hassan changed his principles when he gave more money. Do you mind if I play that really quickly for my screen?
You can do what you want. Yeah,
Okay, really quick. Okay, here we go, guys. Here it comes, guys.
The grossly affluent is a moral obscenity, and our economic system inevitably leads to oppressive and exploitative power hierarchies. Redistribution is the only ethical option. But now that I think about it a little more clearly, is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? I think I heard that in a video game once. And you know,
He did the meme.
that is literally like, is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? Is a Bioshock Andrew Ryan reference that is supposed to be libertarian, right? But actually, it is inherently socialist.
I mean, I won't deny that this is funny. That is true. However, I think the implication here is that Hassan changed his perspective on this because he got money, and I don't know if there's any way of demonstrating that, right?
You don't laugh at either. Here's a question. How many streams has Hassan done laughing at people's houses since his $3 million house came out? There's a question.
Clip that. Like,
I don't know. This is like the tone of discourse that I see so
okay,
often.
sure. So
It's the tone of discourse.
At the end of the day,
Doesn't serve to ameliorate or elucidate any problems at all.
if you want me to run down all of my grievances with Hassan, I can really quick so we can all on the record so we know exactly where I'm coming from, right? So I think it is really shit how after the editor drama, he proceeded to talk about how he wanted to set up a co-op for his editors and the people running his YouTube. Then he proceeded to go on H3's podcast and then say he doesn't want to set up a co-op for his editors, not because it would be hard, which honestly, if he said that, yeah, that shit would be. Can you imagine trying to set up a co-op for like YouTube? That sounds incredibly hard. Yeah, like I was fully expecting that. I would have accepted that hands down, walked away.
How is it hard to do that? What? Bro, you can't set up a co-op for a fucking 3-employee YouTube channel. How the fuck do you expect large businesses to do it?
Was like I understand it, but like that's I really
there's a
didn't
legitimate
like
argument to be made there, right?
I think there is,
The
but
thing with the cooperative is that collective ownership is kind of the name of the game there. The problem though is that when you're like in a media org, like if you're a Twitch streamer or a YouTuber, you can never really have like a fair equal share of that stuff because there's one irreplaceable worker. You can replace editors, you can replace everyone, but you can never ever replace the person behind the camera or in front of the camera. I'm sorry. So in that case, a worker cooperative would only really be like a shared payment structure. Because in reality, there's no way for anyone other than
Imagine starting. Now I understand Watch doesn't know anything about the world and a lot of social stuff. But like a lot of small business owners start things because they're like their passion projects, right? Now people don't understand. Imagine you start a small business for the first time in your life. You start like a bakery, and you get I guess you get workers to do whatever, and now you have to give up. You're not even allowed to be a majority owner in your own like cute little bakery that you set up, or you haven't been able to. You're not allowed to be the majority owner in like maybe a little car shop you set. Like you can't do it because that's all immoral because exploitation. Like, bro.
that he made and during the editor drama clearly showed that he had no understanding about actual like socialism at all. He made the argument about how he gave his editor a computer, and that meant he had a means of production.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I guess when I see that, I mostly just see that like Hassan's a dumb fuck with his foot in his mouth 24/7. That's why he's so tall, you know, so we can reach into the full fucking like wraparound. But I don't know, like if our argument is like editors should be paid like really well, I think that about everyone, not just Hassan. But nobody pays attention to the editors of other big YouTubers or Twitch streamers. They never even get talked about. It only gets talked about with like Hassan. It's like so in a way, I think I'm just saying, in a way, it feels like this behavior actually normalizes the bad behavior because what it's essentially saying is that hey guys, as long as you're not a socialist, nobody's gonna pay attention to whatever shit you're doing. You know, if you're a socialist, then you'll be scrutinized for it, and that's good. But if you're not, nobody will care. And if they do care, then you would just say that whatever nobody will pay attention to it. It's not actually about affecting good behavior. It's about the hypocrisy argument.
So this again, I just want to address that specifically.
I mean, a little.
So not no. Like in the social democratic spheres, like the idea that like your editor should be paid rev share is like a commonality, let alone paid at all. You have soft dems that make fucking $20 a month on stream paying their editors for videos and stuff like this. The trends are changing because of like we're saying that like you ought to pay your editor, and I think that like that is definitely influencing people's decisions when they come to like talk about editor pay or what have you. And we're using examples and taking note of other places where we consider it might have failed, like for instance the Hassan editor drama or what have you. Right? I think there's real substantial change going on there when it comes to like people saying, hey, we ought to do this, we ought not do this, and what have you. Like I don't know, like you have so many people actively just like this is starting to become the norm, and that's something good.
Sure, but then hypocrisy should never come into it, right? It should always just be people should pay their editors more. And I'll believe that it's becoming normalized when I see non-socialists getting more flack for this on social media. The bias is so hard against socialists that Hassan got fucking like mainstream media coverage over it, which is wild.
Yeah,
like,
I don't disagree with that. Yeah, that shit is ridiculous. Like 90% of the people I talk about it in a trash way. I'll never deny it. But the thing is, I don't know why that discourse needs to change in order for us, me and you, to have a conversation without all of that coming into play here. Like I want to be able to have a conversation. And I can keep going down some of the grievances that I have with Hassan or what have you. But like that's more or less where it ends.
Yeah, well, again, keep in mind. I mean, I'm agreeing with the fundamental like position that you're holding here. The fundamental belief that you have that we should encourage good behavior. I mean, it's stupid to say, right? But that we should encourage good behavior. I completely agree with it. I think how you do it like matters a lot, though, and there are ways to do it that overlap with destructive elements of anti-left advocacy, and there are ways that.
When talking about destructive elements, I maybe argue Vosh changed his position since then. But Vosh was actually the reason why, because Vosh was obsessed with Hassan. FYI, I was the person who encouraged Hassan's would-be editor to make public his exploitation. So at least, but now that was before Hassan was making, or that was before Vosh was making a lot more money too, right? Maybe because this was like a little over a year ago. So man, I don't know, dude. Maybe what they say is true. Money changes people, huh?
Oh, did you see me not pay attention to my health bar?
Oh yeah, I thought you were playing hardcore.
Destiny. To correct things, it's a lot easier for big businesses to be co-ops because they can draw from a lot more profit to distribute amongst everyone. Smaller businesses have way more upfront startup costs and economies. Yes and no. So obviously the startup cost is a big thing. However, you have to keep in mind a big business turning into a co-op is hard too because you're essentially expropriating capital from all of the owners. That's hard. That's really hard to do as well. So it's hard to start them and it'll be hard to turn one into it unless all the workers were able to buy into it. Or I think it's like a right of first purchase. There's like a name for this. If owners leave the company, then workers have the opportunity to buy the company.
If that's something you want to do, and if we can break bread on that, right? Like
yeah, it's not.
But like
at the end of the day,
I'm not using hypocrisy. This is what.
Sometimes I mean, okay, I understand how it can affect how you would respond to somebody's behavior. Because things acting like element of malice.
Destiny very wrong.
Yeah, because you lock my base.
Different types of behavior. I get that. Just with the actual underlying arguments, can you understand like the perspective that I have on this, or the feeling that I have, where it seems like overwhelmingly this conversation is only being had because people are holding socialists to a higher standard than the other?
Well, yeah, I do. But I think in certain areas that makes sense based on the argument that I made previously, which is that they have a greater understanding of how labor is, like, I mean, I don't think you would disagree, that they have a greater understanding of how labor ought to be and is actively influenced by people that purchase it, trade it, or what have you, right?
Yeah, but like, isn't the technical consequence of holding people to a higher standard if they're in the direct local movement to discourage people from entering political movement?
Yeah, you would potentially discourage people from joining that.
Just no standards at all. It might scare people off.
In a primarily like streamer fashion. I don't think very many viewers are going to be discouraged.
No, because it happens all over the board. And I know there are people in like the non-streamer, like regular people or whatever, who experience this as well. Where when you're on the progressive side of things, you suddenly get held to a higher standard as well.
Oh no.
In a way, like I'm not saying you're sneeringly dishonest about it, but in a way, it's kind of like how conservatives will, accuse you of assuming their gender when you're a progressive and you talk to them. Like they try to hold you to a higher standard because they have a misunderstanding of your beliefs and they try to do it, like use it to make your life worse or whatever. Stuff like that. Like with being a socialist, if you really wanted to, you could be a socialist for hypocrisy for anything. What about conspicuous consumption? That's it's a concept generally aligned with socialists where they believe that the public consumption of commodities can be used to further deify capitalist like standards. So would you be like, oh well, you're a socialist, but I noticed that you drive a nice car. Don't you think you're participating in conspicuous consumption stuff out here? And then it seems like because socialists have so much theory and they talk about so many things, there are so many potential angles you could get with it on. You know what I mean? For no benefit, like no good comes from this.
There are no goods to moral standards. Nothing good comes from having moral standards, guys. Revolutionary philosopher, watch video.
How we go about it. I think if you hold those principles, holding people to account on those principles will necessarily, if you believe in them, result in better outcomes. However, right, we may disagree that holding them, what does it look like? What does holding them to those principles look like, and how does that manifest in discouraging people from participating in it, and what have you? I think that's where the real disagreement lies. I think because we hold people to a standard where if they, let's say we agree on $1 million discretionary income, that means $1 million after taxes, after rent, after everything, $1 million income, they should pay their mods a penny, right? Like I think because we do something like that, obviously I'm being a bit hyperbolic, so you have to bear with me on that. But if we do something I don't think very many people get turned off.
I don't think that's a socialist thing, like having money, like paying your mods. I think that's something like everyone should agree to, right? If anything,
why does he keep saying that's not a socialist thing? Everyone should agree to this. No, these are your principles. Not everybody agrees to this. This is why we fight over just worker compensation all the time. If everybody should agree to this, then why do we have a minimum wage? We don't need one. Everyone should just agree to what the best thing to do is. There's a reason why we have expectations and standards of society.
To be clear, I would apply this to sock dims as well. This argument about paying people like mods and shit like that, and volunteers and stuff like that. Like for instance, I've had several people who have told me, yeah, I'll make emotes for you for free, and I'm insisting that they give me a price point so that way I can pay them, right? Because I think that the labor that they provide, I'm benefiting off of it materially. I ought to provide them compensation for said labor. Right? The reason I would agree that I would hold them to a standard in which they should do those.
You are held to a standard as a conservative. If you've ever been to church before, or at least in Catholic churches, they literally pass around, sometimes 2 times during a service, they pass around the little thing where you're supposed to put like $5, $10 right check to the church. It is literally an expectation. I believe it's called tithing. I don't know if this is Catholicism or Christianity. I'm sure they do this in other churches too. But you literally pass it around, of course.
Action, knowing that the person who is saying, no, I don't want compensation for being your editor or compensation for being your emo artist or what have you, might be doing that from a position of, holy fuck, this person might find a new emo.
That's a stretch. Churches do it, sure, but nobody's really shamed or forced to. Dude, what do you mean no one is shamed for it? Come on, everybody's looking at you sideways when they're handing those things around. The ushers come around, they look at it. The church literally mails you out like tons of fucking bullshit, like make sure to donate, blah 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 blah. If the church is starting for money, your priest will literally start talking about like, hey guys, like it's a little bit rough right now. We gotta get some work done on this. Or kind of all of your donations are appreciated, or all of your contributions. Donations. What is it? Like contributions. It doesn't contribution either. What's the word they use? I think it is contribution. All your contributions are appreciated. Like, yeah, of course, there's a whole bunch of pressure and everything. Yeah. Your offering, maybe it's
capable of donating. Disproportionately speaking, we're going to understand that there's poor people or people who are editors, what have you, incredibly.
I understand all that. This just seems like kind of the thing that leads to people being really shitty to vegetarians.
Actually, it's so funny because Jesus actually almost gives a sermon on the expectation to donate. When the context for Jesus talking about how it's easier for a poor man, it's easier for a poor. Oh God, what is it? It's harder for a rich man to enter heaven than it is for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle. The context for that, I believe, was I think it was either some Pharisees or some rich people were making fun of some woman who came up and she donated very quietly, like a couple frankincense. I don't know what their currency is called. Like a couple bucks. It was like nothing, right? But there was some guy that went up before where he did a big flashy show of donating a ton of money to this synagogue or whatever their temple, whatever they call it. He made this big show, and this woman went afterwards, and Jesus went on to explain. It's like, okay, yeah, the rich guy did it, but he wasn't giving out of the goodness of his heart. He was making a show. He was being flashy. He was showboating or whatever. But the woman was genuinely giving all that she could to the church, and her obviously even in a religious sense, there are kind of these commands to tithe, to donate to the church, to give what you can.
Towards making your movement more difficult to participate in and get up off the ground. You see this all the time with with like woke scolding and
Sorry, it's just funny to say that like religious people wouldn't demand this. It's like it kind of is, but
okay, 7 different
or they should be at least.
ethical understandings of the way in which being white is bad. When you join the right, you don't have to do shit. You can just be a dumb fuck. You just accept it. And the consequence of that, even though you are encouraging better behavior from the left, is that the right is incredibly good at pulling over fuckheads of teenagers who have no understanding of the shit. And then the left is really bad at it. The left, despite being better in every imaginable way, is fighting an uphill battle because we care about people being perceived hypocrites, and the right doesn't. They just accept people. That makes our movement weaker, and we're not talking about like crocheting clubs here. We're talking about who fights for the future of the world. A weaker left movement is a weaker world.
Oh, my opinion.
So with all that being said, it seems like this. I don't know. This
no Destiny. Those are separate stories. Wait, are they? Rich Man, Heaven, Eye of Needle. Are those 2 separate stories? I thought he told that off the back of the one. Oh god, it's gonna be violent. Oh, maybe these might have been 2. I'm sorry. The rich young man comes up with Jesus. My bad. Just then a man comes up to Jesus and inquired, Teacher, what good thing must I do to obtain eternal life? Why do you ask me about what is good? Jesus replied, there's only one who's good. You want to enter life, keep the commandments. Which ones? The man asked. Jesus answered, do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not bear false witness, honor blah, blah, blah. All these I have kept, said the young man. What do I still lack? Jesus told him, you want to be perfect, go, sell your possessions and give to the poor, you will have treasure in heaven, and come follow me. When the young man heard this, he went away in sorrow because he had great wealth. Then Jesus said to his disciples, truly I tell you, it's hard for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Again, I tell you, it's easier for a camel to pass the eye of a needle, for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. When the disciples heard this, they were greatly astonished and asked, who then can be saved? Jesus looked at them and said, with man, this is impossible, with God, all things are possible. Right, give your shit away. What was the other story? Woman donates, rich man donates, Jesus, story, fuck, Bible. The widow's offering. Was this? Jesus sat down opposite the place where the offerings were put and watched the crowd gather. Watched the crowd putting their money into the temple treasury. Many rich people threw in large amounts. But a poor widow came and put in 2 very small copper coins worth only a few cents. Calling his disciples to him, Jesus said, truly I tell you, the poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. They all gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on. And then she starved to death. Why are we linking sun shit? Can I tell you it's easier for camel to go to the needle for rich people? Oh, it's 2018. Okay, sorry.
These approaches. I don't think that I have to get to the level where I'm arguing against the vegetarian, and what have you, and saying that they're a piece of shit. And
well,
I
mean, if you know, if people hesitate or mods, but then if a person is like, oh, I'm socialist, and also need to treat Joel Osteen types to that same low standard. I doubt Bosch would let them off the hook so easily.
Yeah, that was kind of okay, I'm pausing these. Hopefully they don't get fucked up first.
Right.
What do you mean? No, I don't have to make the same arguments as other people that might make that argument.
Well, right, but if what you're saying is by joining up with a political movement, you are opening yourself up to new lines of attack for things you were not previously being attacked for. Isn't that kind of a passive discouragement against, you know...
Vosh is literally arguing against standards for anything. Vosh is arguing against standards for everything. What is this argument? Dude, he's so lost into this.
Or like moreover, against like moving over at all, you know? For instance, I know there are a lot of people who are sympathetic to like anarchist arguments, but like getting into that, I know that things get increasingly academic and esoteric. It becomes like really difficult to hear the broader political stuff that they advocate for, and it's just so different. And the right never has any fucking issue with this, by the way. You can be anti-gay on the right and fuck gay prostitutes out on the weekend, and nobody gives a fuck unless you're found out about it publicly. They do not.
Nobody cares unless they know about it. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. How do you care about something you don't know about? What?
And like nobody cares unless it's made public. That's like the only.
Oh, you repeated it for us.
You know, so there's no gatekeeping over there except on the farthest ends by the craziest people. But over here on the left, like it's like, you know, you become a socialist, and again, like why not with the conspicuous consumption, right? I mean, if a person wore a nice shirt and they were a socialist, couldn't you argue that, you know, like they're spending their wealth in a way to demonstrate public consumption, which is sort of lending credence to capitalism of production? You can make that argument if you want. I've seen socialists make that argument. It's so exhausting.
I mean, you can make the argument if you wish. My argument would just be that if you're stating a large position that this means of creating whatever, like
allegedly, not apparently. Sorry, allegedly, all that stuff that I said.
I thought you said allegedly.
Okay.
Okay, but you can make shirts or what have you, and you can buy shirts from a place that you believe doesn't ethically source those shirts, and that isn't really an issue for me until it comes to the idea where in which you have the means to be able to buy that shirt in an ethical way, if you can, right? So if you have, let's say the shirt is $5, right, from an unethical source, but you make like $1 million in discretionary income and it costs $20. If you buy it from an ethical source, I would expect you to buy it from an ethical source at that point. I would say you have a moral obligation. Yeah, I would say you have a moral obligation to uphold that. Yeah.
Okay, so. Again, you would morally condemn a wealthy socialist for buying a shirt from like a typical big box store. Like if they got a shirt from a Target, you would see that and you would go, you have the option to buy from an ethically sourced.
This is so, but people do this all the time. Fuck, Irrelevant is getting bullied out of this because Vosh makes so bad. But yeah, people say, yeah, you should support small businesses, support local businesses. You actually, unironically, will get condemned based on like who you buy from, depending on like, oh fuck, I'm trying to think of where. Like if you're hosting events and shit, I know this because when it came to canvassing for hosting events, when you're hosting events and shit, people super push you to like support small businesses. They'll be like, oh, if you're gonna order pizza for this, oh, you should order from this place. Like this is like in Ohio, really oh, you should do this, or you should. And they're always super grateful for it too. I think there's like that culture of like when you're in a community, yeah, especially if you've got money, you should be supporting small businesses. People would say that, support your local communities and shit.
So you said you condemn it.
I would condemn it if there's an ethical way to do it and that's reasonable to be able to do it.
There always is. In the modern world, you can just buy anything from co-ops. But you're literally saying that if a person like you saw a socialist who cared about this stuff, who was wearing a T-shirt that they bought from Walmart,
and it doesn't have to just be a socialist.
Oh, wait, hold on. So you would say you literally just said it depends on how much it's essential to their ideology. Why do you keep saying it's about hypocrisy and in fact
he shouldn't hold on, Irrelevant shouldn't like he's so Irrelevant's so scared about this hypocrisy thing. You should just say like, yeah, it is about being hypocritically like you're ideologically inconsistent. Yeah.
Buying goods, I guess from a human
basis. It is a hypocrisy-based argument, yeah.
So yeah, but it's not about the hypocrisy of socialism.
But why does the hypocrisy matter?
The reason why it matters
is too scared to just say like, yeah.
Wealthy capitalists have the availability not to.
And if they believe that that's a problem, that unethically sourced shirts is a problem, they ought not buy it.
Does that make it not bad?
No, I don't think that makes it not bad. What I'm talking about is whether or not I can.
Vosh is so lucky he's so good at hiding.
If they recognize that it is a bad thing, I don't really care.
To buy a T-shirt from Walmart if you're a socialist and could afford to buy it from a co-op online. These are explicitly hypocrisy-based. I don't know why you keep saying like it's not about hypocrisy, but then every time we talk about it, it is indeed about hypocrisy.
It's because the original conversation that we were having was not about hypocrisy. That's not what it was about. The Hassan situation was not about hypocrisy.
That is the thing that bothers me. It's when hypocrisy is used as a metric by which people attack socialists and not members.
I'm literally telling you that a conservative or a capitalist had the same argument that I would attack them as well. I don't know why you're honing in on socialists here. And also, I want to prove it in that like the original topic that we were talking about was not about hypocrisy.
Okay. The original topic that we were talking about was about what obligations we have to do good on our platform.
You're finishing
and
moves.
your arguments were specifically influenced by the political beliefs of the hypothetical people that you were describing, which means that hypocrisy was the element. You're talking about hypocrisy every time. Like every time any justification comes up, it's about hypocrisy.
Do you think that if somebody holds a political belief, me expecting that they should carry out that political belief in reality means that I only care about hypocrisy?
If you think it's more bad to do a thing because the thing that you're doing doesn't align with your broader political views, then yes, that would be by definition an appeal.
That is on the basis of your ignorance relative to the outcomes of the action. I don't think I can morally condemn somebody on the same level based on
Capitalists
the
are aware of when you buy clothing
Dude, no,
from big box
it's not the
shops, and
same.
you do so in a way that like feeds a broader capitalist system and like gives money to sweatshops and stuff. You're conflating awareness of a thing and moral positions on a thing. What the hypocrisy that you actually care about isn't whether or not you know that X or Y is a bad thing. It's not whether or not you care that X or Y is a bad thing.
Do you think that everybody who supports cops is knowingly participating in supporting the anti-black discrimination that is systemic amongst the police force?
No, but a lot of them.
Hold on. Okay. So I would make an appeal to those. So I mean, I would doubt that, like that on the face of it. But even if let's agree on that, nonetheless, right? If we agree on that, then I would be making an argument to those people that are ignorant of that system. Those the people that are aware of that system, that's some chaotic evil shit. If you're aware of it, I think what's far more common is
that only changes their level of awareness, not necessarily the moral harm of the action or the potential outcomes that you would address.
Dude, we're not talking about outcomes. And, oh god, he's like utilitarian brain all up. Like utilitarianism all the way down.
Why? What outcome are you trying to achieve by handling this?
The changing of an action, whether or not somebody's doing something of malice or of ignorance. If they're doing it of ignorance, I can educate them.
Why are malice and ignorance the only possible options here? Do you think that animals have feelings?
Yeah.
Okay, do you eat meat?
Yes.
Okay, is that malicious? When you buy the meat, are you thinking, hey, fuck these chickens? Or instead, is it just a little evil to which you become acclimated? Something that you don't think about all the time, something which has become systematized, normalized. This is how it is with big box stores too, after all, right? I've bought from Target. I was a socialist before I was wealthy, and I still have been known to buy from Target. I don't go there thinking like, yes, this mattress spread. I hope the Chinese slaves who made it have arthritis. You know, like, the malice implies, and because we're circling back around Hassan here, I think, that when Hassan like doesn't do a charity stream, he's doing it maliciously. Like he's like cackling when he does it, as opposed to the real answer. And I think this is much more descriptive, by the way, which is that he's a dumbass and that he does whatever he wants, and that our goal should just be to guide him doing whatever he wants towards the most like ethically beneficial outcomes, right? Like we should guide him. But he's the idea that he's going to be more responsive, or that anyone in social media is more responsive to like. It's Hassan, hypocrite, not paying mods more money. Yeah,
so,
like,
hold on. So I'm just wondering, like, how can I let you criticize? If I cannot morally condemn an action, how can I criticize?
I do. I think I literally called him. I called him an idiot like 3 times in his content.
Well, there's nothing wrong with what he's doing.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
Sure, but he could always do better. It's true.
Why would you be an idiot for not doing something you could do, but it's not required you to do?
But there's a difference between
there's no obligation for him to do better.
So why is he an idiot?
Why would he ever do that?
Yes.
You don't have the ability to enforce an obligation on anything.
Morally, we do. We hold each other to moral standards all the time.
That's what I'm trying to do.
When you say obligation, in practical terms, obligations have to have like the ability to be enacted. There must be consequences.
No, that's not true at all. Morality doesn't. When we're having a conversation about morality, it's not that these things are only bad insofar as there's like a consequence to the action, maybe like in a legal sense or whatever. But like, I mean, like cheating on your partner is bad, but there's not really like a legal consequence for it. So does that mean it's not bad in Vosh's world? Or like if I go online and I call somebody like a bunch of slurs, I'm like maybe I'll get banned. But there's not like a legal consequence for it. Or like I can do it on the street, and there's no consequence for it, right?
Against it though, and like in what way we can go about it, in what manner we can go about it.
Well, you cannot deny that in lieu of the environment we're in right now, which is this huge wave of right-wing media attacks against Hassan for being a hypocrite, that I might think there's a better way of handling this, right?
Yeah, you could think that there's a better way of handling it, and I could as well, because I'm not using the same arguments that the right-wingers are. I wouldn't say because there's a bunch of people making shitty criticisms of a person, that means that I shouldn't criticize them because, well, other people are making shitty criticisms.
I mean, you're still making the hypocrisy argument, right?
I would make, not relative to the same way that all of these conservatives are. No, these conservatives are making the, well, no, because you're reducing it down to that. You're saying you're making the hypocrisy. No, not in nearly a comparable fashion to any conservative. All of these conservatives are saying he's hypocritical because he's a socialist that makes money. There's nothing hypocritical about being a socialist who makes money. Nothing at all.
You've said there's something, okay, do you think there's something hypocritical about a socialist who makes money who doesn't use that money to further their political platform?
No.
No, irrelevant is getting
Well,
walked.
I guess I'm a little bit confused because I was under the impression.
It's because I haven't been arguing about hypocrisy this whole time.
But then you have been, though.
No, I've been arguing that we ought to hold people to higher moral standards. That's what I'm saying.
So then can you understand my frustration when you're making the argument that this is something we should be ubiquitously doing, except I've never seen you talk about it except before Hassan. Your last 3 videos are on Hassan, and nobody's talking about it in the context of anyone anywhere except for Hassan. It's always Hassan. This is the 13th conversation I've had about Hassan. Like, I defend this guy more than his mom does. Like, and I don't even fucking shit. Like, in the context of all that, you cannot deny that you're contributing to this overwhelming slant. And even if your arguments are more nuanced, and I won't deny they are. I mean, you're up against the mental fortitude of Ben Shapiro, so I certainly fucking hope so. But even in the context of all of that, it's still, from an outside perspective, at least to me, it still just seems like, yeah, socialists should be held to higher standards than non-socialists because they think that being bad with money is more bad than capitalists think being bad.
Oh, I'm not talking about arguments. I'm trying to debate by
I mean, you can build good arguments around that, but that's the core. Holy shit! That's the giant pressure. Okay, hold on. Sorry, I didn't mean to show it. That was very
That's fine. Like, it just has to do with like your political philosophy and what you believe, what I can consider to be reasonable relative to it. I will hold you to a specific standard. I think that that's fine. However, that specific standard there should be like basic human standards, but also there's like educational standards that I expect like a socialist to meet in comparison to like other people. So, like,
that is the stop saying it's not hypocrisy. Then say that is a hypocrisy argument.
Am I talking about
Can you explain this to me? Then how is it a hypocrisy argument for me to expect a socialist to know about, let's say, welfare, disproportionately speaking relative to a conservative?
Anybody who talks politics at all should be aware of like welfare, right? I mean, that should be like ubiquitous.
Well, they should be, but that's not the reality. However, I don't think it is obtuse for me to expect that a socialist knows more about welfare than
because
a conservative.
This is the thing you keep doing though. You say that a socialist should know more about something, but you're not actually talking about what socialists know about. You're not talking about what knowledge they have.
When he says know about, he means they should obviously behave in accordance with that knowledge. Come on, Vosh.
You keep doing this. It's like, well, a socialist should know more about X. Why? Why should a socialist know more about X? Why should a basic belief that society should be controlled by the workers mean that you're familiar with esoteric government policy that barely anyone
esoteric government policy
really work in this country? What you're saying is,
you want me to answer that?
What you're saying isn't that socialists know more about it as a group. What you're saying is that socialists have different feelings about it. It's not a knowledge gap. It's a moral difference, and you're saying they're betraying that moral difference. That is a hypocrisy argument.
Okay, so can I respond to the original claim? So the reason why I would attribute that like socialists may know more about X, Y, and Z is because it's closer towards or encompassed by the tenets of what I would consider to be somebody who labels themselves as socialist. So if somebody identifies as a socialist, they're probably going to know about the means of production. Do you agree or disagree? Like we probably, yeah, that's probably the case, right?
I mean,
things like
capitalists, they probably know about don't you just know about welfare before this country? I mean, you would know about it tangentially if you grew up in
sure,
a
sure. But my whole the part of this that I feel like is getting lost is that a socialist, right, doesn't get just, typically speaking, naturally just occur inside of our society. You have to undergo some kind of political education, some political reformation. I mean, it seems like right now there's a pretty big tendency for you to come out as a capitalist.
Okay,
Do you disagree?
We can cut to the heart of this.
Okay.
Do you think that it is equally bad for a socialist and a capitalist streamer who both know about the working conditions of poor people to not pay their mods?
Yeah, it depends.
Because if that it depends means this is a hypocrisy argument. Because you keep saying it's a knowledge gap, but if they have the same level of knowledge on it, then it's not a knowledge gap. It's their value system.
Well, no, you said the same level of knowledge about like worker exploitation.
The same level of knowledge about everything related to the issue. They just disagree on it more.
Oh, everything related to the issue? Then yeah, I would not. Or then I would attribute the same thing. I thought you just said worker exploitation. There's more facets than just worker exploitation than that.
So if a socialist and a capitalist like YouTuber knew the exact same amount about everything, they just had different moral positions. You would say they're both equally acting it out of malice if they don't pay their mods or whatever.
Yep.
Okay. Do you think it's a little bit unfair that you automatically assign a greater degree of knowledge to socialists then? If it's
No, by definition they're socialists.
Paying your mods, I don't really know if that has anything to do. Like understanding that paying your mods is good. Like by that metric, you could say that socialists instantly, by innate knowledge, have more knowledge on everything relating to do with poverty and the economy, because socialism is an economic system and they can.
Yeah, kind of like how a religious person have more knowledge about how to pray than an atheist.
I think it tends to be that conservatives are going to have a greater understanding of how the stock market works than socialists.
I guess. It just seems like if we're really reducing this to a knowledge gap, you found a way of like putting the hypocrisy argument one further. Like it's not the hypocrisy argument. It's just I assume socialists will know more about all the things that I will morally.
Well, I don't think it's wild to not only assume but also like have evidence for it, like the knowledge of these specific things. So like this, I use this in reference to where I said, I'm using this like for instance in reference to Hassan and the editor situation, where he's saying that like he gave his editor the means of his production by giving him the
yeah, I'm not denying this. Yeah, I'm not denying that stupid shit.
And the reason why I could condemn, in my opinion, him more for that than somebody else is because he has a level of knowledge about it. He has a level of knowledge about giving people the means of his production and what the means of the production mean in regards to liberating the workers. And I would argue that is not just something that people are born innately with, that they just have any knowledge or what have you over it. That I condemn him more because he claimed to be somebody and prescribes or states that he is somebody that has a measure of knowledge on it and clearly didn't.
Yeah, well, I agree that it's okay to condemn him for that thing that he said. I'm just talking about stuff regarding like whether or not you should be like donating money to causes or whatever.
But I think the reason why I want to talk about the computer thing is because that stems from, in my opinion, his knowledge of the situation. If he was somebody that didn't know anything about the means of production, I let that shit.
So I think that would assume a greater degree of knowledge, and I think that you assume way too little knowledge from like non-socialists. Like you really don't fucking think that like liberals and capitalists and conservatives don't know like they're mistreating their workers and they do X or Y.
No, why is this so dumb? I need to be done. I need to talk irrelevant. We need to do a debrief.
I can cite Ethan Klein, literally, and Hassan having a debate on this on their podcast, where Ethan was like, no, I think it's a fair way to not give your editor rev share, and they had a disagreement about that. Like, Ethan believed that you didn't have to give your editor like 50% rev share for it to be a fair and equal wage. Like, there is a massive amount of difference between these things. Like, what one person considers to be a fair wage and exploitation versus another person considering it to be a fair wage and exploitation is radically different between these people.
But that's a moral difference, not a knowledge one.
Well, okay, so
they both know. They're both equally aware.
They're both equally aware of what?
They're both equally aware of all the relevant conditions. They just have a different moral understanding of what is an acceptable amount to pay your worker.
And what is that informed by?
Your knowledge of the situation is not informed by your moral perspective in the way you're describing. Because if it was, then this would become a hypocrisy argument again. If you're saying that the knowledge surrounding fair treatment of workers is gatekept or at least heavily coded behind the socialist moral framework, then that would again mean that your standards for condemnation would rest heavily on the ideological leanings of the person making these arguments. And that would be, if they're socialists, they're held to a higher standard. There's no way of moving past this. Look, okay, I'm sorry. We've been running in circles for a long time, and this is infuriating, considering the fact that allegedly we agree on what we should be doing here. Basically, you just think that we should be like condemning. I think we should be encouraging. The fact that we managed to draw 2 hours of blood from that stone is insane. Can I just
condemning and encouraging?
I mean, like
these can be two sides of the same coin.
Can I see like anyone getting dogged on this anywhere apart from socialists because it's so fucking disproportionate, you know? So I believe you when you say you would hold other people to the standard, but there's a broader pattern that many people have fed into of, yeah, we're totally super sincerely concerned with fair worker treatment. Just ignore that we're only attacking the 1% of the American population represented on social media that's like a socialist or whatever, you know? I would just like to see like I want to see people hit for this all over the place. If it's really being consistent, that's what I want to see, you know?
I would say a really good example of this is when every single person on the left shits on like corporations that change their logo to like for Pride Month and then change it back to the moment Pride Month is up. Do you not agree?
What about it?
Well, it's the same exact like.
I love the obtuseness.
Somebody going through committing to something in a performative nature, or whatever you consider to be congruent with this specific example, right? Like Hassan specifically stating that, or again, I don't really like targeting him specifically, but unfortunately, it's going to be rooted in it. Hassan specifically not participating in specific activity, or I mean, wanting to be able to morally condemn him for specific activities, right, and what have you. And my criticism being able to be levied at other people for doing the same thing, not actually advocating for proper whatever political advocacy. And the way that people advocate for like political causes is by just changing their logo once a month, and then me going, yeah, but listen, that ain't it. You're gonna need to do a little bit more, right? You're gonna need to do a little bit more than just changing your logo once every year for 1 month every year. You need to do a little bit more. Would you call that as probably an example?
Do you think it's a bad thing for a company to do like a pro BLM like?
No.
Okay. Do you think they could do better?
Yes.
Okay. I agree completely, and that's been my position on rainbow capitalism for a long time too. I don't think it's bad to do rainbow capitalism.
You can still do bad and good things simultaneously, though, right? Like I think that's the thing. Like if you. Like for instance, let's say I owe a friend $100 and I pay him $50. Was that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, I mean, it's good I gave him $50, but it's bad that I didn't pay him back the full $100, right? Like there's a.
I guess if it seemed like they were doing it like deliberately, I don't mean like if they didn't change their social media profile pic for a year or something, but if they released some statement saying they would no longer be doing it.
If they just stop doing it forever.
It'd be a little odd. I'd have to wonder why. I mean, I don't know if it does like that much good for the LGBTQ community for them to actually do it, but a decision to not do it would be an odd omission.
Wait, no, I'm just. Would you condemn them for not doing it anymore?
Condemn? Probably no. I probably wouldn't even think about it.
Okay.
Unless I felt like there was some direct like motivation, you know, like some like it was being done in alignment with some rejection of or movement away from the queer community.
Okay, so then let me ask you this: what if Hassan stopped talking about politics and just went full gaming?
I guess I'd be okay with that.
Okay. You wouldn't have any issues with that?
Wait,
whatsoever?
did he say go full gaming and no politics, or did he say go full? He said full gaming, no politics, right?
Shouldn't be encouraging this kind
I
of
don't even know what Vosh. I don't know what the fuck Vosh even.
Same number of views.
I have no idea.
Regular bro, frat bro, react Andy bullshit, you know? He gets about the same amount, which makes me think that like in a way it could actually participate in the diversity of tactics, right?
Sorry, no. What I mean by stop doing political content is he stops talking about socialism altogether.
Like never ever. Like
He
never.
becomes XQC. He becomes XQC.
I guess if he just became XQC, I would think that was bad because there's some wasted potential going on there.
Right, and so wait, you would more like you'd say that's bad.
Well, I would say it would be bad for him to move away. Like he was doing.
Saying something is bad is moral condemnation. That's what bad means.
Doing a very good thing. It's bad.
Right, and so that's what I'm trying to describe when I'm talking about like setting a higher moral standard. Is I'm trying to move that bar that you've set up. That's what I'm trying to talk about. Right? I think we can push the envelope. I think we can push people to do more.
Yeah, I guess it really depends on like how you handle it too. You know, like for instance, if Hassan did that, if he stopped being talked about socialism, or whatever, if he moved away from that, and then like people are responding by like, no, dude, haha, fucking social lying, whatever, like some bullshit like that.
Sure.
I would think that was pretty bad if I felt like it was all this really weird, spiteful bullshit. But if there were people like encouraging him to do better or encouraging him to move back to it, then I'd be in favor of that. You know.
So I guess then maybe perhaps it's just a language difference. We're just throwing up semantics because I would say that you referencing like a retreat from standard or status quo for some of these things, like whether it be rainbow capitalism or let's say Hassan propagating socialism, and your moral like saying that's bad, however you describe that, is probably the same way that I'm describing that we ought to consider the standard bad. We just ought to make the status quo a thing of the past. And
yeah, but I would still never respond to it the way that like you and a lot of other people do.
Shit.
Where like it's hypocrisy based. If you're a socialist, you should put more effort into like making your arguments. You know,
I'd never do that.
Shit like
That's
that.
absurd. Beneath me.
Do you think that I'm making a hypocrisy based argument as my like primary argument? Like because you're constantly stating that I'm making a hypocrisy based argument.
Yes, I do think that. I have to think that. Yeah, because it seems like whenever we run down to it, it's like either there's a way in which socialists are more accountable than non-socialists, or moving back from that, there's a way in which socialists know things which make them more accountable than non-socialists who expect not to know things.
Can you explain to me then why it is bad?
Dude, there's so many ways. Like this knowledge, sometimes the knowledge of doing something wrong can in fact make something wrong, right? Like let's say for instance, let's say that you're a company and you just got some extra waste and you just dump it outside and you don't care. You just dump it because like it's gone the next day, you never see, right? And you don't know any better, right? Is that the same level of wrongness as now you learn when you dump that waste, it seeps into the ground and it destroys like groundwater tables or whatever, right? Is it the same level? Now it's worse because knowledge that you're committing a wrong makes it wrong. You don't know. It's hard to argue from that standpoint. Now you can go into like tangential wrongs, right? Like you have an obligation to collect certain information. You have an obligation to like vet your actions, right? We can get into those types of wrongs. But yeah, being granted specific knowledge about an action you're doing that further illustrates the wrongness of that action is absolutely like grounds to say that it's become wrong. Of course. But this is like there's like a million different things that we can argue about, like where everybody would obviously agree with this. Everybody would agree with this. Like everybody knows this, right? Like this is almost intuitively true. As much as I hate to use that expression, like you almost intuitively know this.
But if Assad ever did leave the movement, it would probably be because people kept complaining about his house. So at least I'm not contributing to whatever trend led him to drop the whole thing, right?
I mean, sure, but at that point, I mean, if what you're stating is that it is bad that he is going about his business and choosing to no longer participate in politics and what have you, what is the substantial difference that you're finding between that statement and my statement?
The discourse that it contributes to.
God damn, you got him, dude. The
How?
optics.
Like, in what way?
Because nobody has ever grouped my comments on Hassan ever with a right-wing attack against socialism, and people have you with it.
Why is that an argument? I don't understand why you think that's an argument.
Engaging in broader discourse is more responsible and facilitates.
Ben Shapiro said a sentence that was similar to one of your sentences, therefore you lose.
To somebody else doesn't mean that my argument is less valid.
I'm not saying I think your argument is invalid because it relies on like hypocrisy is like the driving point. But with that aside, it's not about the validity of the argument; it's about the effect of the argument, the harm being done potentially by that argument. And I think the way I'm handling it is the most responsible way for the left to handle it. I mean, nobody's out here gonna accuse me of, you know, perpetuating the idea that socialists should be held to a higher standard than any other political group, because I think that's bullshit. You know, I think that shit keeps people out of socialist movements. You could do that for anything. I mean, you did that. You said that you could condemn a socialist for buying a shirt from Target. I mean, I like that shit like that. It's like what?
Well, it's not specifically a socialist. It has to do with your. What do you mean? It's not specifically a socialist. It's if you believe in this idea, I feel like you should try your best to live by that principle.
That's literally a hypocrisy argument.
Okay, in that regard, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
no,
what's wrong with that?
I've been explaining. You keep saying it's not a hypocrisy argument.
No, Vaj, that specific thing, sure. But you're trying to make the argument that all of my criticism of Hassan are baked into hypocrisy. It's not.
No, it's not all of your criticisms, which is why you've criticized him a few times, and I've said, yeah, he's a dumbass. I'm not relegating all your criticisms. I'm saying that hypocrisy is pretty central to one of the criticisms that you're making here, and it's the one that I take most issue with, because for centuries, anything regarding the idea that socialists should be held to a higher standard based on what they believe, because that is the default anti-socialist argument that people have been making for ages. Always and always and always, it goes like this. Rather than talking about actual socialist positions, they back up 40 steps and they say, well, I don't know. I just think that if you were really a socialist, then you wouldn't own this factory, Engels. You know, of course, that factory was the only reason that Marx was able to finance the publication of the books that ended up leading to global
Jesus Christ.
So, in a utilitarian sense, who am I supposed to believe here? The capitalists sneeringly avoiding an argument, or the socialists who became the bedrock of centuries-long ideological?
If you think I'm avoiding an argument, just say it with your chest. Which argument do you think I'm avoiding?
No, the broader capitalist, non-socialist community often uses hypocrisy as a way of avoiding arguments.
But you're talking to me, Vaj.
Yes, and you're giving them the ammo with the hypocrisy argument that they use to avoid the real questions.
Vaj, actually argue with my argument.
I am arguing with you.
No, you're saying my argument sounds like an argument that other people use, so therefore I'm giving fuel to their argument.
No, I'm saying your argument is what they use, and they use it to avoid dealing with the arguments that socialists put forward. The argument you're making is that argument. It's directly that argument.
If it is that argument,
is the driving like that's the socialists should be held to higher standards.
Black battery should be able to kill. Point defense will shoot small ships for us, right?
Step. Well, actually, no, you are, because the next step is to laugh at socialists rather than address their positions directly. We watched a video of you scream laughing at Hassan for saying something that's not even inaccurate.
If you have an issue and you think that I'm running away from socialist positions, exactly what I said 45 seconds ago,
so this won't shoot Corvettes? It won't?
Man,
no, what positions? You just said I'm running away from attacking socialist positions. Which position am I running away from attacking?
Man, I just said this. I'm not saying you're running from it. I'm saying you're using the argument people use to run away from it. People use the anti-hypocrisy argument for socialists all the time. That's like the favorite one. That's why
and you know conservatives use the lib argument against SOC Dems, and so do socialists. Can I make the argument socialists are the same as conservatives?
Wait, what lib?
Right,
no, I gave a specific example. The idea that socialists should be held to a higher standard, than people in other political groups. You said the lib argument. What does that refer to? What argument?
That refers to liberals.
Führer? Is that what he said? Lib spotted.
Liberals being incredibly fragile and weak around specific topics regarding to capitalism, their retreat to big tech, or their retreat to coupling up to big business and what have you protect themselves from.
Are liberals not by definition pro big business?
And the conservatives make the exact same argument. That's my point.
The difference is that's a true thing. That's a descriptive fact of the world we live in, whereas you're making a moral argument.
Wait, what is the argument that I'm making that is not
the idea that socialists should be held to higher moral standards than other groups?
Okay, specifically, right? You are holding different moral standards because you have different moral standards. Like,
yes.
I don't feel like this is
I'm not
weird.
I don't think that the standards by which I should be held to are affected by the things I believe.
What does that mean, Vosh? Oh god. Where's Joanne at? Listen, I can't be this painful when I talk about philosophy, am I?
It facilitates our ability to meaningfully achieve our goals.
Oh my god.
In a pragmatic sense. But you don't believe what you're saying right now. Do you think that rape is okay if pro-rape people are doing it? Of course
not.
No,
I would never say that something is okay because of ignorance, but I would say that my moral
condemnation. Not ignorance. They know that rape is harmful to women. They just don't care. So should they be held to different standards?
No.
Oh my god.
I agree. So people's moral positions on something, their moral beliefs, I don't think it should influence their the standards we hold them to. Not directly. Maybe the positions they're in.
So I'm talking about the moral condemnation versus like something like perhaps we could talk about punishment or what have you. I think often there needs to be, but not always, punishment that is befitting the more or less, for lack of a better term, befitting the crime, right? The outcome of what happened, right? But also that needs to be coupled in is the information that an individual has. I'm making arguments about information.
But then you're assuming socialists always have the information, so it's not really about.
I don't think so. When I'm talking about Hassan, this is why I say I don't think this works perfectly for Hassan. I have thousands of hours of footage to be able to back up that argument that he has made claims. This is why I talked about the editor and the computer example. I don't think you can retreat from that position. Sorry, not you, Hassan. could retreat from the position, that like he was ignorant of the way the means of production works or what have you, like in regards to his display or his.
How much Marxist theory Hassan has actually read, because I feel like
I think it's very little.
He might give me a run for my money when it comes to a principled understanding of some of this stuff, like how little he's read on, you know.
Sure. And so, in my opinion, right, that like if somebody is talking about how much they've read on something or what have you, why should I not be able to hold that person to a different moral standard? Maybe we're going to cut up on higher, a different moral standard than somebody else. Why can I not do that?
You could hold them to account for spreading misinformation, because what that would be a position and a condemnation relative not to their moral values, but rather to their station. That you are a big socialist screamer. That means people will come to you for information about socialism, and because of that station, you're doing a unique level of harm when you spread misinformation like that. See, in that case, that's not an argument from hypocrisy, because the fundamental issue there isn't what they believe, it's what they do to the world as a product of their station. I think that's a perfectly salient argument, and it's one that I've made towards him several times. And people have made towards me, huh? Now they're like, you know, Vox don't read no theory either.
I think that perhaps just there's a lot of this conversation that is just.
Is that not good? Does that not work?
No, I mean, it could work. I have my disagreement. I think we've kind of looped a bit on some of our positions. I just think it mainly comes down to an idea that me and you have the primary disagreement is on whether or not moral condemnation or what have you, and the use of moral condemnation when it comes to society and how we use it. I think you have a view of me when I say moral condemnation that I'm screaming from the high hills saying that they're like a piece of shit, which I can't really blame you too much for. I've had some very fervorous disagreements about Hassan's behavior, what have you. If you want to sift through that or look through the evidence of that and then say that that's what my position is, then so be it, or what have you. But I think that what really illustrated the difference for me is that you agree that it would be bad if Hassan stopped doing what he's doing.
Well, it would be him no longer doing a good thing, but we have to delineate a difference between doing a bad thing and no longer doing a good thing. If you had doctors who traveled the world and they saved a bunch of people's lives, but they were 68, and they were like, yeah, I'm going to retire now, you know, I'm getting tired, I'm getting old. What they're essentially doing is making a decision to prioritize their comfort over the lives of the people they might save in the future, right? But we would still allow for that. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. I would say they're no longer doing a good thing. Colloquially, it's bad that they're no longer doing a good thing, but that's not the same thing as doing a bad thing in and of itself, right? I mean,
yeah, sure. I just don't see why we wouldn't hold people to higher standards when we feel like we can. Why not push for people to do more? Why not push
not based on their ideology? You can hold him to a higher standard because of his wealth, because of the fact that he's a large political pundit, because he has a large voice, but not the ideology. That's the argument that people make.
Wait, Bosch, do you want to hold conservatives to a higher standard and say that conservatives should go out there and canvass? Do you want to do that? Because I don't want to do that. I don't want to hold conservatives to a higher standard. Because if I do, they're going to start winning more elections.
Okay, well, wait, if we're making an argument from pragmatism, then I think you should hold people from socialism to a higher standard in a way that foments destruction of the world.
Well, we would just disagree on whether or not it foments or it brings about the destruction of the movement.
I mean, so far I've just seen a lot of bad, nonsense about this discourse. Absolutely nothing worthwhile. Nothing. Nobody's mind is going to change at all. And the thing is, I'm harder on other people on the left. I do think that his dumb frat-boyish tendencies get in the way of him delivering good political positions. And I do think that he has a lot of lazy affects that he adopts, because to go farther than that would involve, I respect him for arguing with his chat a lot, because arguing with your chat makes you a good streamer, by the way. But there are definitely things he does that I think are worthy of criticism. I would just never say it's socialists should be held to a higher standard. Because I just think
if we want socialists to win, why wouldn't we hold them to higher standards?
If we want them to win, we should do things that help the movement. Holding people to higher standards can hurt the movement.
How are we going to actually how are we going to push that people, for instance, canvas without making arguments that people?
Do you think veganism has been helped by the hyper-militant vegans who accuse everyone of being super morally repugnant for participating in the meat eating industry?
So this is what I was talking about earlier when I was saying I think when what you hear when I say morally condemn is something that I'm not saying. I'm not saying that we have to call him a piece of garbage, a walking piece of shit, because he does what he does. I'm using moral condemnation as a vehicle to be able to establish a moral standard. That's what I'm doing. So the standard that you have set that you say would be bad if he went below that moral standard, I'm just arguing for you to make it a little bit have it go a little bit higher. I want people to have
it's just about the results. If I thought that you could get really, really good advocacy for socialism by holding the state to be standard people, then I would advocate for it.
What is the point? Okay, I'm talking about this is the first thing I'm talking about.
I'm not saying he's
Ask him, what is the point of making more socialists if there is no different standard for behavior?
Do you agree that I'm also taking people by saying that we shouldn't say the N-word?
What does that have to do with what we're talking about?
It's a moral standard?
Well, you just said, hey, if we hold people to higher moral standards, we're going to have less people in the movement.
No, hold on. That has nothing to do with what I was saying. Not whether or not we hold people to a higher standard. It's whether or not you think that you're more willing to condemn a person if they join the movement that you want them to be a part of. For instance, veganism. I think this is a perfectly salient example.
The salience of the example ameliorates all of our problems.
By the gatekeeping, piece of shit, moral Puritans who make it insufferable. Because to them, going vegan for one day out of every week is it's not enough. If anything, it's an insult, you know. Because in order to do that, you have to kind of get in with vegan communities, you know. Nobody started getting into veganism without being at least tangentially close to vegan communities, but they'll hate you for it because they don't, because they just see you as oh, well, now that you're aware of this stuff, now that you're at least partially in it and you're still eating meat 6 days out of the week, no. But it leads to really bad outcomes in advocacy. The most successful advocates for veganism.
Most vegans, by the way, would be super chill with you changing 1 meal or 2 meals. Most vegans are pretty chill with you taking small steps.
Action if you do extra work, even if you believe they are. What you do instead is you try to help people into the good positions, Hey, eating vegan isn't as bad as you think it is, we can do better on this, here's some really great recipes. Actually, did you know that eating vegan is cheaper? If you took that attitude towards Hassan doing advocacy, then fuck yes. Hey Hassan, did you know that being a super duper rich fucking millionaire means that you have lots of money, you can go to causes? Oh boy. Hey, did you know you don't have to sit there watching YouTube videos for 12 hours? You can actually do something.
Can I respond?
Yeah, but that's a
Okay. So I'm just stumped as to why. It comes down to me personally. For why would we care about furthering a political cause or getting people politically activated if they have no moral obligation to do anything? What is the point of making more people involved if there's no moral standard for them?
Because if they get involved, they do more good things than they did before.
So you just hope that
That's so stupid.
Is that what you
encourage them to do good things.
Why would you encourage somebody? There's no moral standard.
I don't know how you think social movements work, but yes, encouraging people to do good things is generally how all political. You could go the fascist route. You could scare them if you want. I guess there are other options if you want. We could lie about illegals.
Remember Mao's encouragement or Stalin's encouragement?
Yes, obviously, encouraging people is what you do.
Why would he say this? I don't even know how social movements work. Yeah, they work at the end of rifle, bro.
Criticism and condemnation. There's a difference between
what? Not all of them.
And there's certainly.
So I think this is just a difference of language then.
We talked about this.
No, I literally made a point earlier about how criticism. I believe that you need to have some basis of.
Do you think there's a difference between saying Hassan should donate some more money and be referred to and saying Hassan is bad for nothing? Do you think there's a difference between those two things?
Yeah, there is.
Okay. Do you think it's possible that the former might be a more like effective?
Yeah, for sure, but both can be moral condemnation.
Okay, if the former is moral condemnation, then that's the kind of moral condemnation I'm in favor of. The latter is moral condemnation that I'm in favor of. None of it has anything to do with him being a socialist.
Okay, that's...
If you acknowledge there was a difference between those two things, so I don't know why you're pretending...
There's a difference in the strategy that you approach it in, of course.
Yeah,
well, they're both moral condemnation.
Both can be moral condemnation.
Yes, thank you for saying that. Thank God.
I have said from the beginning of this conversation what type of language I think it's okay to engage in, so that, what I just said, I think that's fine, and I think that some of the stuff that I see levied against Hassan is less fine, because it's dumb, and it feels to me like it's a reflection of old arguments that people use.
And I haven't disagreed with that. When have I agreed that, like, Ben Shapiro's arguments were good?
Well, you said things that were similar to
said
him.
that Ben Shapiro's arguments were good. You did say that Ben Shapiro's appeal to hypocrisy was valid, though, because you believe that is an acceptable way of adjusting the means by which you might condemn a person for the things they do.
That's a crazy stretch. No, I don't think his points are valid. Just because
please, you have to listen to what I said. I didn't say you said his points were valid. I said your fundamental belief that hypocrisy or arguments from hypocrisy is valid was the foundational premise of Ben Shapiro's argument, as has always been the case against socialists. I'm not saying you agree with or said everything that he said. I'm not even saying that you said most of his points, but that was the fundamental argument, and it is one that you've reaffirmed over the past 2 hours and 40 minutes in this conversation that you believe in. Whether you move it backwards and gatekeep it behind like the wall of knowledge you
So
expect
do you
to have.
agree then that you're hiding behind hypocrisy when you make the argument that it would be bad for Hassan to not participate in the action that he is, like if he went to an XQC type?
No, it has nothing to do with hypocrisy, and the fact that you would equate those things makes me worry that we are not on the same page. That's
not on the same page. Say not on the same
I think we haven't been on
level.
the same page for a while. I've been trying to get us back onto the same page for quite a bit of time. Like, I feel like you're constantly making appeals to like Ben Shapiro and things like this where it just doesn't fit. And obviously you would disagree with that, but...
Well, I think the only thing that I've said about Ben Shapiro in relation to this conversation is that he also uses hypocrisy as a vehicle for making attacks on socialists that he wouldn't make against non-socialists, which I think is dumb.
I'm sure Ben Shapiro attacks other Republicans all the time. He attacked Trump quite a bit, didn't Ben Shapiro?
Wait,
you know Trump quite a bit? I thought he got in trouble for that with like other Republicans.
Yeah, and it is bad when he does that. I think
so I just wanted to be clear because you said a second ago when he only makes hypocrisy arguments, or at least it sounded like you said he only makes hypocrisy arguments.
I don't think I said he only makes them against socialists. I do think socialists are the victims of hypocrisy arguments. I do think, by the way, that there is a place for hypocrisy arguments at times. Usually when the thing that you're saying you're hypocritical in doing is like you're trying to indicate some sort of broader moral wrong that they seem to be aware of but aren't acting on. So for example, if an anti-trans YouTuber, like say for example Steven Crowder, likes trans women, I think you can make an argument there. But the argument isn't that what he's doing is bad because he's anti-trans, because that would imply that it's bad for him to have sex with trans women, which is weird. The argument is that he's lying about his positions for profit, or alternatively, that he couldn't even abide by the standard he's telling other people. In those cases, while you are pointing out hypocrisy, the issue isn't the fundamental moral difference in how you respect people based on how they see things. It's rather an incongruity between their own.
Do you think, do people listen to Vosh? Do they actually understand what he's saying? His Vosh's audience must be super big brain, because I would have, if I was a Vosh fan, I'd be pretty lost. I'd be like, all right, Vosh, I think you're about to bring it home, I'm sure, but man, I'm gonna have to read the subreddit post on this tonight, because goddamn.
Then that's an argument I'm not on board with.
I just don't understand why knowledge of your wrongdoings don't result in you specifically, not like necessarily saying you get like jail time or anything like that as war, but like you getting, or people understanding that you're coming at this position with a greater level of understanding that therefore can condemn you or say that you did a wrong action to a greater degree than somebody who's
Because this is hypocrisy by another name. If you're saying, oh, it's not about the beliefs you have, it's about knowledge, and also socialists should have more knowledge about this, I assume, and capitalists don't know what they're doing when they underpay their workers. Like you're essentially saying that it's hypocrisy with extra steps, yeah.
Well, not necessarily just that. It's not necessarily just that they're, you know, specifically. I'm just assuming that they are. They're saying that they do, right? You would say that you have greater knowledge over a conservative who exploits labor. You have a greater understanding of how that labor is exploited by that group than conservatives.
I think I have the same understanding of what a human being can live on.
Oh my God.
Than many people do.
That's not what I asked.
I
asked
think
whether or not
that underpaying is more ethical because they haven't read Das Kapital. I think that what you're doing
No,
is
it's not
you're
about the-
It's funny how Vosh is saying he can't evaluate those things, whether or not it almost sounds like Vosh is saying that there is some like objective moral standard by which you can judge things. Although maybe ultimately at the end of the day, you say, well, no, these are just my arbitrary standards that I evaluate. But like,
absolutely could be condemned more for that action because you are engaging in an action that you know is wrong more than disproportionately other people. And I just want to touch on something that you just did.
It's nearly 3 hours, and I feel like
I know. It's getting late. You know, the sun's getting low. We gotta split ways on this. I think that your position, right? I think that your position right now in regards to this, when you just said that you have a similar level of knowledge about 950 an hour as a conservative, I feel like it's a bit of a misnomer. Would you say that socialists, broadly speaking, have a greater understanding of the exploitation of labor than a conservative?
What do you mean exploitation? That's a moral.
Okay. Do you think that workers understand the systems that are at socialists have a greater understanding of how the systems exploit people? Exploit workers.
Wait, when you say exploit, you're again thinking behind a moral presumption.
Okay.
Of course, hold on. When you say exploit, what you're saying is the only people who have this knowledge are the people with moral positions of a socialist, aka this is a hypocrisy argument. You're not talking about positions. You're talking about knowledge. What you're really talking about is knowledge of what exactly? Because exploitation implies a moral position of some kind.
Yes, of course.
Okay. So in your mind, with greater information and the greater privileges and powers that come with information, does not beget greater responsibility. Like, and not morally condemn. Let's assume the knowledge of the ways that
the
individual might feel.
What's your theory of truth?
An individual might be.
Are you a coherence loser?
Physically incapable of being able to afford luxury goods, and individuals' ability to be able to afford economic verticalization.
Hit him up with the what? Hit him up with the what?
What is general understanding of
a very common talking point amongst conservatives is that you can just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Right? Do you agree or disagree that socialists have a greater understanding of economic mobility and your ability to pull yourself up by your bootstraps than conservatives?
I don't know what that has to do with how much you pay them.
Yeah. Give him the what? What are you talking about? Loser? Call him a loser.
I honestly don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, because you're using moral language.
Yeah,
when you
doesn't
talk
make
about
any
stuff like class mobility, you're using like left-leaning terms. Maybe conservatives don't understand class mobility, but they're familiar with how the economy works.
Your ability to pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
So what we're talking about, the extent to which a person has faith in the idea that you can achieve economic autonomy. What are we talking about?
What are we even talking about right now? Yeah.
Your ability to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Which group do you think has a greater understanding of how this actually works in the material world? Socialists or conservatives?
Honest to God, I don't know. Socialists are stupid as shit. You know I'm on Twitter.
Oh my God, dude. This ain't it, dude.
Wait, you can't. If you really think that after whatever faith you bought this conversation, you get to walk away with your head shaking. you have drastically misunderstood the position that we're both in right now, okay? Here's what's it.
Watch Nancy's like so far ahead of this
Simple
argument.
questions. Okay. Do you think that a capitalist and a socialist who are both equally knowledgeable about everything are equally worthy of condemnation if they underpay their workers? Let's say they just pay minimum wage, but minimum wage is bullshit. Do you think they're equally worthy of condemnation?
I will answer your question when you answer mine. Like you've yet to answer.
I'd rather answer your question. Please just answer it. Do you think they would be equally worthy of condemnation?
answer.
Sorry, say again.
A capitalist and a socialist with exactly equal knowledge of all things. Do you think they would be equally worthy of condemnation if they
He doesn't remember his
underpay
question.
the workers?
I'm sure it's important.
They both underpay their work. It depends on the reason why, but if they have the
All
means to be able
circumstances exactly the same. Or let's take the same person. You have an individual who is a capitalist and they underpay their workers, okay?
Yep.
But then
So
they
I
go
can
on
answer
Twitter
the question
and they
pretty
become a socialist and they still pay their workers the same amount. Is there now a wrong being done that was not being done before?
So yeah,
I should write down
explain
these things to talk
in
about.
full here for sure. And, okay, great. So I believe that an individual who is participating in a system, let's say you're a capitalist, you think everything's above the board, right? And everything is above the board, everything's perfectly normal and fine. They are exploiting their workforce or whatever, and they don't really, they're like, whatever, who really cares? But then they come upon the moral realization that what they're doing is actually really incredibly fucked and it's unethical. If for them to continuously
There you go. Good job, Roland. I don't know if Chess tips or what, but there we go.
Yes, because you are knowingly
True. Harm is being done before.
No, it's not.
Oh my god, dude, Vosh is on like the fucking act utilitarianist like AIDS shit, dude. He's like so far out on this stupid fucking normative system that he's getting brain AIDS.
Right, so
If the only thing that matters, ask him, is it morally wrong for a 1-year-old to like throw the pacifier on the floor? Like, this is so ridiculous. Oh my god.
Right? And whether or not like the moral prescriptions and what they're abiding by. If you're talking about the material conditions don't change based on your opinions of almost anything. Your mind, the beliefs that you have don't change almost anything. However, whether or not I can morally condemn somebody for participating in an action does. Because if somebody is knowingly going like, yeah, you know what, I think it's incredibly unethical what I'm doing to these people, but I'm doing it anyway, I will morally condemn that person to a higher degree than I would somebody who's like, you know what, this is perfectly normal, this is the way the world is, and that's perfectly fine, and that fits within my moral system. Yeah,
so in that case, wouldn't it actually be to the benefit in your moral system to make sure that person doesn't become a socialist?
No, in my opinion, because
Vosh inadvertently stumbled onto one of the funniest memes of all time, where in some churches they teach you that like if you don't have knowledge of God, then you can't actually go to hell because you never knew about God. Therefore, you can't go to hell for not knowing about God. But if you have a missionary come to like the New World and start preaching the word of God to people, and then they don't believe in him, you're actually like significantly decreasing the chances of any new people getting to heaven just because you introduce them to the concept of God. Like Vosh is like discovering this like kind of silly paradox in real time.
No, they would. I think you have two responsibilities once you incur the knowledge that you are doing something wrong, right? Or sorry, two things actually happens when you come upon a moral realization like this. One, you recognize that what you've done throughout your past is wrong, and you have that crushing realization that you might have fucked up over the last 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 years of your life, and that's going to be really tough to be able to deal with and to grasp and to be able to conceptualize. This is how a lot of people can become really stuck in their ways and what have you, and refuse to believe that like capitalism is the wrong way to do things or what have you, because like I can't be wrong, I can't have done this bad shit to somebody for 10, 15, 20, 25 years, right? So you go through that process, and then the secondary process is you having to come to grips with the fact that you need to make a change, that you need to change things.
So just hypothetically, if it seems like the concern you're making is a pragmatic one, it's not about whether any extra harm is being done or the world is being made worse. It's a question of unmet opportunity. A capitalist business owner is probably fine with what's going on. A socialist business owner might be amicable to counter arguments that you can use to influence the world positively. So what we're talking about here, at the end of the day, isn't so much like the utilitarian consequence or what should be like harmed or whatever. We're talking about the pragmatic effort of moving people over. And don't you think that a person might be less amicable to being moved over
if they have to do anything?
That being known as a socialist
means they have some sort of obligation. This is so stupid.
I think it depends on how.
Why would anybody become religious ever?
I think you can like criticism. Yeah, sure. I think, but that doesn't escape the moral condemnation argument. I can morally condemn somebody in a way that doesn't have them like me shit down their chest for doing fucking anything.
Yeah, but that's not them doing something that's more bad. That's only unmet opportunity, which runs back to my argument. In that case, that's not hypocrisy in the sense. No, that is. In that case, the hypocrisy isn't you're a socialist, therefore what you're doing is more bad, which is what you said earlier. It's about the fact that being a socialist means that there's a greater action opportunity to move a person from the bad behavior that they've always been engaging in and continue to. And at that point, what we're really talking about here is not condemnation and not what's good or bad. We're talking about the most practical way to affect positive change. And that's what I've been arguing for this whole time. There are good and bad ways to criticize.
Let me bring back, because you were saying it's not a utilitarian argument. What I was talking about. The utility, and it is a utilitarian argument. Allow me to explain. The utility in presenting the argument that we should morally condemn people who are knowingly participating in malice is to condemn people who participate in that malice in hopes that people who participate in it less, so we may levy that criticism. We ought to make it as unforgiving for people to actively participate in what they consider to be evil actions as possible. I don't think people should
discourage people from engaging in evil actions. Whether or not they know it's evil only changes the means by which we should reach them. It's useful in that case, and there is utility in changing the way in which you approach a criticism, depending on what they know, but it doesn't actually change whether what they're doing is bad or whether or not they should be prevented from doing it. So this goes back to the argument. It's just about the approach.
Well, relative to the person, it does matter as to whether or not it's bad. It does. Maybe not.
Why would they change the behavior if it's not bad? Yeah.
It absolutely does.
Otherwise, why change the behavior?
Like you would talk to them differently. Like my way of telling Hassan to do like more socialist-y stuff would be different because there's less ground that I would have to cover. I would have to work against what I assume would be an obstinance. Whereas with like a capitalist, I would have to start with like a whole bunch of. I guess I'd have to lay out my ethical framework, or at least I'd have to make it appeal to shared values. So there are different ways of going about it to begin with, right? But that's not an appeal to hypocrisy. That's just different people with different levels of knowledge should be reached and have their mind changed in different ways. And again, then I said back on, I think the best way to reach Hassan, or any socialist you think is doing unsocialisty stuff, would be to encourage them to do better rather than to say like socialists are you're bad because you're a socialist and you're not doing it. You know.
Got him, dude. Fucking A, man. You knocked it out of the park with that one.
I want to hear the substantial difference between position now, because I could take your rhetoric, because that's what we're disagreeing on in regards to this, or at least it seems like that's the position that we're at. I could disagree or agree with your rhetoric approach towards this situation, and if I agree with it, like, and I substitute or I fall in line with it, what's the substantial difference between our positions?
Well, I think that there are significant differences in how they affect the broader discourse, because it's huge. Well, there's a pretty big difference between criticism and encouraging people to do better and outright condemnation. I mean, it's huge. It's not bad things. It's like it's massive.
So again, it has to be the word condemnation for people to get caught up on here.
Condemnation does imply like you're saying a person is bad for doing it for not doing something.
Something wrong with saying a person is bad for
not only do I not think that's true or utilitarian, but
stop saying it.
Because
utilitarianism follows from a position saying that there are things that you can do that increase goodness and decrease goodness. But the utilitarian must acknowledge that there are some things that are good and some things that are bad. Otherwise, how are you measuring utility? Utilitarian is literally the measure of like how do we measure the goodness or whatever. I don't know, dude. Oh god, he's like an amalgamation. He's like the fucking Anna of philosophy. That's what he is. He knows like a bunch of terms that he's clearly read before, but the way he uses them and weaponizes them is just so wrong. Like, Jesus.
Amount of money or socialism, like it's very dumb stuff. But it does, a lot of people treat socialism like being a part of that group means you have to be some kind of wizened monk who gives up all material possessions. Which no, I want there to be socialists who do whatever the fuck. I want socialists everywhere, from Beverly Hills to fucking Monaco. I want socialists all over the world because they say otherwise. They say actually socialism is when you do this and you can't do that, this, that, or the other, and all these other things that you like and always done are bad. You
To be clear,
if I do
though,
that hurts the movement. So that one will avoid.
To be clear, though, what you're advocating for is just people to post on Twitter. Like,
Yes.
yeah, that's not the moral obligation that they have.
Yeah.
It's like if they
Okay,
go
wait,
into
wait,
your thing,
can I give you another opportunity to start that sentence so that I don't absolutely just tear into you for saying something that's stupid?
Earlier you fucking ranted me. I feel like this is getting absolutely ridiculous in the first place, man. This is like I have no obligation if I'm a socialist under
to do
anything more than post on Twitter.
Yep, you should do. It's the same as every other group all the time. You should do good things and shouldn't do bad things.
Welcome to Tautology. It's 101 by Vosh.
The best way of handling things. And the only question is, how do you get people to do the good things and not do the bad things? What you seem to be obsessed with is this weird virtue ethicist. How do I sufficiently?
Sorry, so a tautology is just like saying the same thing twice, right? Like, we should do good things. A good thing is by definition something that you ought to or should do. We shouldn't do bad things. A bad thing is by definition things that you ought not do. This is why would you like?
So, like, you seem more interested in the condemnation than whatever good you get from the condemnation. If Twitter shitposting somehow brought about the workers' revolution, then fuck yes. I don't think it will, and I'm not advocating for us to just do that, but I'm not specifically attached to any one method or approach. I have a bias against yours because I've seen how much harm it can do, both within the community and from outside of the community at the community, you know?
I just think that we can do significantly better. I don't know what to really say. I mean, earlier you agreed that the level of like moral obligation that you would put out there is like non-existent. So I just don't know. You're saying that if you are a socialist, you don't have to do anything. Is what you're saying. You don't have to do anything.
You should do many good things.
You're saying that like if I proclaim that I'm a socialist, or you want socialists everywhere, that you don't have to do anything to be a socialist. You can just say, hey, I'm a socialist.
Hey, make these jobs.
Well, first of all, yeah, it's a political belief, not a membership club. Yeah. And second of all, you only have to do two things: believe in democratic ownership of the means of production,
but not do it.
Believe in partial or total dequalification of the economy.
But not do it.
Those are the two things you have to do to be a socialist.
You believe in those things, but you don't actually.
Everything else
you don't do anything.
Shouldn't do.
Why those? Why only those?
Because those
why
actually
not push for more?
Because those are the only things that make up the definition of socialism.
Why not expand the definition of socialism to be something that we consider to be so great?
That's not how any political or economic system works. A capitalist is a person who believes in free market economies, relatively or at least somewhat free of regulation. They believe in like supply demand, like that kind of shit. And also a capitalist is a person who never pays their workers more than median income. And they're like, why was that? Nobody does that. Why this obsession with arbitrarily attaching meaningless? You want to change the definition of socialism?
No, it's because we're trying to make arguments that inline what those core. It's kind of like I mean, for lack of a better, it's kind of like our Constitution. It's like you establish a series of rules or guidelines, and then from there you can establish a whole list of other laws or what have you that apply in congruence with those guidelines that you believe stem from those. So, like for instance, me and you may agree on socialism being about
Somebody made
socialism. Yeah, but that's the only thing.
Somebody made a good one. Somebody did a good one. Thank you. Oh, but you sent it to me in a DM. Wait. Send me a streamable. I can't download. Please. I love you. Thank you. Somebody made a good meme. Finally. Thank you. Thank God.
Build a I wouldn't say just racial, like a diverse coalition, right? Not be exclusionary towards trans people, not be exclusionary towards black people, Asian people. That is necessary for us to build a strong social movement.
That's not what socialism is. Socialists should be those things. But all you're doing right now, and let's be clear about it, is virtue signaling. Trying to change the definition of socialism to exclude every social group you dislike does nothing other than make you feel good about having a smaller boundary than other people. It affects nothing positively. It changes the world in zero ways. I'm concerned about whatever language I can engage in produces the best outcomes.
Wait, oh shit! Did my YouTube stream blip? I just noticed that shit got fucked.
And then whatever good outcomes you can sort of.
I think that's being a bit like.
Wait, no.
I don't want to say bad.
Did it earlier?
I think you know that I would disagree with that.
I mean, I'm sure you would say you disagree with that. But you disagree with hypocrisy as a core element of your argument.
I'm not asking if it's good now. I'm asking earlier. Okay, never mind. I have like a thing that measures bandwidth. I look like drunk.
I don't think I'm being bad faith. I think I'm fairly concerned with condemnation.
And I think that condemnation is necessary to be able to make the argument about how, hey, we should set a standard that if people say something,
what happens when we don't do that thing?
You would say that is a bad thing to do.
Okay.
To be a slacktivist is a bad thing to do.
And you think that with that, so hold on. Everyone says being a slacktivist is a bad thing to do. It's already a morally loaded term, okay? But there's a difference between saying that it's a bad thing to be that and to say a person is bad and worthy of condemnation for doing it. I would rather a slacktivist socialist, for example, than I would a slacktivist capitalist. So even though I don't like the slacktivism, I think that a person is making a positive change if they are a socialist for it. I would rather have a person be a, well, I don't know if I'd say bad socialist because some socialists are so bad they start stop.
So if they don't do anything, then what's the matter?
I think it's better for their mental health. Also, they have conversations every 5 years and maybe that will influence people's perspectives a little bit.
Right, so that's where we get the ball wrong. I think that when we're talking about encouraging people to do more, we should set the standard, right? And again, I want to appeal to the thing that you said earlier, where you said that it would be bad if the song started doing less. Obviously, we're not using the same language. I think we're going to get the same idea. I think that what you're referencing there is the same thing I'm trying to do, which is that I think that it is a good thing, personally, that we should set a higher standard. I think that's what I think that we're set a higher standard.
So it's just respectfully the best thing to do so.
I mean, it's been working very well. We pay our editors.
Sure, go for it. I'm pretty sure Hassan pays his editors, but
I'm getting bullied for it. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to bring about any like baller outcomes with this attitude in the socialist community. You know. It just seems like
it feels like at the jump you were apprehensive to my position because you thought that I was just, and it feels like no matter what I was going to say, you were just going to hyperbate in the position that I'm talking exclusively about hypocrisy, and it's the exact same thing as Ben Shapiro.
You can't complain about. Hold on, wait. Stop. I never said it was the exact same thing as Ben Shapiro.
Every single time.
Hold on. We can end this conversation soon either way.
Sure.
But I'll either remember.
Holy shit! That's my day. Middle school. What the fuck are these stupid fuck sounds? Wait, what sounds?
I never said you were exactly like Ben Shapiro. I was clear and specific in the ways in which I felt your arguments of hypocrisy, which they were, which you affirmed again many times after, rang very similar to the comments that Ben Shapiro made, even if all your arguments were the same.
Oh my god! Look at this name.
The criticism is
look at this name.
So hold on, wait,
You know
first of all,
what-
wait, first
you
of
know what
all,
I'm saying.
you say that. Second of all, I don't know what arguments you're making about big tech right now, okay? Because the most fervent advocates for big tech that I see, I don't know if I see any anywhere else. People accuse me of being big tech. I don't even know what you're referring to when you talk about that. But the arguments you're making right there are descriptive. You're making a prescriptive argument. You're saying
What is a descriptive argument? What does that even mean? Are they arguing over what's true?
critical, and we need to hold them to a higher standard because of their moral beliefs. That is a moral statement. My
And what
factual
you-
statement that
and what
capitalists
you-
and liberals tend to get along
And
is
what
just
you and conservatives say about liberals just kissing up to big businesses or capitalists or capital owners is not descriptively true. It is you saying
wait, anything in particular you're referring to? Wait, because again, I hate to say this, the hypocrisy argument is a purely moral one. If I make the argument that liberals kiss up big tech, that's one that I can accurately substantiate with evidence in the real world. You keep conflating moral statements that are impossible to describe or to prove with things you could say that actually descriptively can be proven.
I'm referencing specifically
Watch,
the argument
crushed.
that people
Watch.
on the left like to make.
Basified.
who are,
Okay, on that one. Oh my
anti-liberal,
God.
or
We're talking
whatever
about me
that may
right
be.
now.
That was so base.
Listen, I've been trying to make that argument this entire time, but you constantly reference Ben Shapiro.
Hold on,
So you-
No, don't get rid of him,
make
Marsh.
the
Yeah.
hypocrisy argument. I
And
criticize
you have made the lib argument, but you don't see me going
Wait,
screaming.
please. I don't know if it's just late for you.
Okay.
The
Maybe
lib
it's a
argument.
drink.
What is the lib argument? I don't like.
What is it? The liberal side with fascists?
Are informed by their complete, I don't want to say slavery, their complete, like kiss-assery to corporations. That the capital owners and what have you informed the liberals or stock dems or
I'm going to try this one more
We're going to do it one more time.
The
You're not keeping up,
that
right?
socialists need to be held to a higher standard or they're being hypocritical is a moral argument for which no evidence can be produced. Whereas the claims you are making right now, even if they were
We don't do moral arguments here,
and I also
loser.
don't remember if there are any arguments I made recently that align with those, are arguments you could substantiate with actual evidence in the real world. They're not moral arguments. They're descriptions of how the world is. Now you can argue maybe those aren't the fairest descriptions. I don't know what specific position we're arguing here because I'm not arguing.
So is your argument that conservatives have the position that people who espouse certain principled positions ought to abide by the principled positions? Are you saying that that's a conservative position? Because that's my position. That when leftists or what have you say a certain position, that they ought to take a principled position in regards to that. That is why I'm communicating. If you believe that to be a conservative position, that's fine.
Deferring to hypocrisy rather than addressing the underlying argument. Yes, a bland and banal.
Bland and banal.
Is something I notice often. Is something I notice often.
Is it banal or is it banal? I don't know. I know it's banal. Holy shit. Benelli?
I think it is by definition a bad argument because I do not think that deferring just to hypocrisy is a sufficient response. It's borderline fallacious sometimes. Additionally, I know that people do it to other groups as well. However, I think that socialists get the back end of this the most often. Socialists and
It's almost like maybe they're
Lord
the most
knows I've heard
hypocritical.
about progressives too. What you're saying right now is like the Assume My Gender 2015 argument, you know? Hey, they claim to care about trans people, but here's a video of
It's like,
progressive
I don't really like arguments about moral consistency because it seems like whenever we talk about moral consistency, people always attack my side, the most being inconsistent. So I hate that. Like, what the fuck? How do you pronounce echelon? E-C-H-E-L-O-N, I think.
and they're being hypocritical and they're not living up to the things they actually believe, and if they don't, then who else
That's
should?
rough, man.
And those are arguments that people have made against progressives and socialists for a very long time. They made it for centuries. They made it during the civil rights movement. They made it all the way back during the abolitionist movement when they said that abolitionists were insincere in their positions because they were not willing to personally shack up with like former slaves like roommates. This goes back so far, and it's most often made against progressives because they're the ones fighting the most against the status quo. You can't make this argument against the status quo because people who live within the status quo and believe in the status quo already abide by the morals of the status quo. It's the status quo. Socialists, by daring to believe in something a little bit better than the status quo, have these arguments thrown at them because it's easier than actually saying anything meaningful or relevant. Now, I don't think that's an entire summary of what you've said is believe. I just think it happens a lot, and we probably shouldn't be doing the hypocrisy angle because historically
all socialists are hypocrites. It's like what he's saying, bro.
I believe that there's nothing in all of material reality I could possibly say to convince you that I'm not doing the hypocrisy angle in the way that you're describing. So I'm completely giving up on that. But I want to just, if the point of disagreement that we're going to get on is specifically in regards to, hey, I think it's pretty chill if we live by a certain series of principles or rules that we abide by, and that would be a pretty chill thing to do, then like, hey, so be it. I'm just arguing that, like you said, how you agreed that if like, you know, the rainbow capitalism standards were no longer in the case, I'm just arguing for higher standards. I guess I would be the one that would argue that capitalists should be going out of their way to do the rainbow capitalism in the first place, and you would just say, hey, keep up the good work, or whatever the fuck. I feel like that's just where this is at. I feel like this is developed with absolute nonsense.
I mean, I think it started as absolute nonsense, to be fair. I just think the mask came off like more and more time. We literally
he went mask
that the
off.
level of a person's knowledge relative to the bad things they're doing can influence the way in which we approach them, and that's purely like a consideration to people's like you know, like the optics and the effectiveness of argument. And I'm just taking the position, but I think it's more effective if you come at them from like an understanding and reasonable perspective. You try to like talk it out with them, like say, encourage them to do better. I
You
think
did the
like,
same thing with moral condemnation.
No, I think if you take a look at almost any like data on human behavioral science,
Oh yeah,
find
the data.
affirmative, like,
He is, guys. Remember the data?
You can do affirmative
Holy
positive
shit.
criticism if you morally condemn somebody for an action.
I don't know what you keep saying by condemn. You can criticize.
Wait,
Wait. Condemnation. I don't know why you're so obsessed with that word. The expression of very strong disapproval, censure. Okay, but when I think of like, hey, human behavioral scientists, like how do you get people to do better behavior? Like this, right? If you can get people to do better behavior, like how do you do that? I don't think that word condemnation is going to come up very often. I think words like reinforcement, criticism, and incentives are going to be big ones.
Right, because they're not concerned with the like saying it is a moral condemnation. They're concerned with No, stop. Because we're clearly operating under two different descriptive.
No, we're not. We agreed earlier. The moral facts don't change. We're only talking about the ways in which
No,
you
it's not. No, we did not agree. I disagree with that because I
believe the hypocrisy argument. No, I can't. Okay, make your argument.
We're done, and that's it. We're gonna be here all night. It's already been 3 hours.
All right. Okay, make your argument.
And then do you have the last word, yeah.
Whether or not you consider X, Y, or Z to be a moral standard that you hold other people up to, absolutely can affect whether or not people feel okay with participating in that activity. Right? When we were talking previously about whether or not it would change the material matters of the way the world works, your intentions don't change the actual outcome of the action. However, we can agree that, or I would hope that we could agree, the way that you can argue that people ought to be condemned or ought to be seen as good or bad or doing a good or bad thing can change based on their knowledge. Right? Somebody accidentally saying the N-word who doesn't know what it means, I wouldn't condemn nearly as much as somebody who knowingly maliciously uses the N-word because I want to dissuade that kind of behavior into the future. I'm not gonna say you're doing everything pretty swell. Hey, just kind of don't do that shit again. No, it's going to be like, yeah, that's a pretty fucking bad thing to say. Let's not do that. That's the way that it is.
I guess it really depends on what's most effective, you know?
I guess, but the
I'm
idea
opposed
that
to condemnation as a concept. I'm opposed to the idea that that's like, it just seems like your condemnation first, results second, and results first, like condemnation if necessary. And the condemnation is so obviously objectively not fucking working in this situation, apart from leading to the perpetuation of this infantile discourse where the sun continues to make $10 trillion a day, to sit here defending him because people keep coming to me asking me whether or not socialism means houses, or in your case, whether or not hypocrisy is, isn't, or in a quantum superflux might be an essential component in determining whether or not a thing is harmful.
Oh my
it just
God,
goes on
you got
forever
him.
and ever, and it's clearly condemnation is clearly not arriving. Like we're not doing it. So the best I can do, what I'm going to do with my platform, is I'm going to say, hey folks, if you become a socialist, you know, all the things you've been doing before,
Keep
now,
doing Twitter.
I don't know how you keep referring to that. Like there are two options, and it's posting on Twitter or saying people are bad for doing things non-socialist.
Damn.
I don't know what kind of bait
I was watching
this
the chat.
is, but it's not what
Fuck
I
off. This guy
No
blows.
standards
Bad
that
faith coming out.
socialists need to live up to.
Watch, stop getting
I
triggered.
ironically think that like you should probably take a little bit of
Uh-oh. Oh my God, DG has ruined this person something.
research whatsoever on how to change people's minds on stuff or get them to do things. Because I'm pretty sure the research today with me that you're taking the most like conservative mindset and like punishment first, like conservative. Yes,
Yeah, that's conservative. Only conservatives believe in punishment.
and I'm the one saying like it may feel good to do that, but if we set that aside, in reality, it's actually way more effective to take like X approach or Y approach. I do genuinely believe in other things.
Okay. All right.
Well, I know it's probably going to sound incredibly sarcastic, but I actually did have a good time talking with you, so I hope you have a good time.
Yeah, have a good time too, buddy. Have a good one. See you.
You know, I was watching the Relly Vosh debate when he brought up your Georgia canvassing. She said it was useless. Oh, nice.
Come on, dude. Holy shit.
Just for the record, for one, I paid for all the food, and two, on the last canvassing event, we paid. Hold on. I paid all the hotels as well, but okay. Also, 100 people in real life knocking on doors is a fuck ton of people. We had the largest canvassing effort in the state. It was like a single party. But, I don't care. I started writing stuff down because goddamn. Okay. Okay. Just. Oh no. Wait. Oh, it's okay. My game auto saves. I just shut my computer off. Excellent. But it's okay because it's Iron Man, so it should be auto saving, right?
Nice.
What dog shit advice have you given me on Solaris that I know was wrong? Anybody remember real quick? This is the first thing I have to grill on.
No, okay, listen.
No, I know you gave me. I know a lot about this game. You gave me some dog shit advice, and I don't remember what it was.
Hey, yo, pull up the logs. Pull up the logs.
Pull up the logs.
I think I only remember telling you to make a custom race. Okay.
Okay.
That's you blew up. You went thermo neutral.
Yeah, because I didn't know any of the fucking game, but okay. But that's it. Then you're safe for now. Okay.
Okay.
If I lose my saving, I'm actually gonna kill you. Okay. That's not how this is. And now I deleted any other things I'm talking about. Okay, let's talk first. Okay. I'm not actually even talking about you guys. I'm just gonna give you some things that I believe are true. Okay. And you do.
Yep.
Okay. So, number one. Knowledge of your action can absolutely change the moral, like how we assign blame or responsibility to somebody, right? So, for example, let's say that every day I walk out to my mailbox to get my mail, and every day I walk back inside. Okay. Let's say that somebody informs me that on my journey out, I'm stepping on a piece of grass, and on that piece of grass there's a whole civilization of micro people or some shit, right? Now, before I didn't know that, so I would just walk by whatever. Can you really like say that I'm like in the wrong for doing that? I didn't know that, right? But if I did have knowledge of that, then like okay, well, not over. You're genociding a whole like civilization every time you step in your one. Well, that's bad. You should avoid that now, right? There's like agency. The whole idea behind moral agency is that you could choose one thing or another. That's like a big part of being a moral agent. That's why when a 15-year-old hits somebody, they're in trouble. But when a 1-year-old hits somebody, they're not in as much trouble because they don't know the difference.
Sure.
Okay,
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, but watch, why is my mouse not? I know my mouse is shut. Oh my god, I know why. Hold on, I know why. I know why.
What's up, chat?
There it is. Okay, Jesus Christ. Okay, so that was number one. Okay.
Yep.
God, I lost my notes. Okay, number two. Okay, there are two different types of hypocrisies that we can talk about. Okay.
Yep.
So one, the hypocrisy of like doing a bad action. That's something that isn't that interesting that we can talk about, right? So like, oh, like this guy says we should be next to all people, but he flips somebody off and he cut them off and he's driving to work, right? Wow, you're kind of hypocrite, right? But that's not really that interesting, right? But there's a second level we can talk about where we say hypocrisy, but what we actually mean is like an inconsistency in your moral values.
Right. So that's what I was trying to communicate at one point. When a lot of people are talking about Hassan's hypocrisy, what they're really saying is like you have like he has talked about several ideas and there's several ideas that are tertiary to socialism.
So the problem is, yeah, we can have hypocritical people. Everybody to some extent is a hypocrite. Everybody. Nobody lives up to their ideals. That's why they're ideals, okay? But you can't have contradictory ideals from a philosophy point of view, because from a contradiction you can prove anything. That's why I'm going to that. From a reasonable point of view, because if you can have a contradiction, then everybody can have contradictions and stuff descends into absurdity immediately. Because oh, well, if you can contradict that, I can contradict that, I can contradict that, right? Everything fails, right? You can't have contradictions and ideals, right? So every time you're trying to like kind of pigeonhole this, oh, so you want to make a hypocrisy, you can say like, well, kind of, yeah, you can't have hypocritical ideals. It's okay to say it as a hypocrisy argument. That's not like a bad thing. We shouldn't have hypocritical ideals. It's really important. Fuck, what else was it? I'd written down like 7 things and I deleted it all. Fuck.
I imagine probably somebody trying to get a picture.
Well, no, because I just wrote it down like a little chat on the side. I didn't have on stream. A couple of like really good questions are like, oh, here's a second thing, okay? I can't even believe that I have to say this, okay? Standards are good, okay? Yeah. It's good to have standards, moral standards by which we hold ourselves to. And it's good that if you're part of a given movement, there are a new set of standards that somebody adopts when they join that movement. Vosh trying to say we don't want to gatekeep people by having higher standards effectively defeats any movement ever, because every single movement is necessarily going to have higher standards.
Certain standards.
Yeah, because you have to, because otherwise what the fuck is the point of your movement if there are no new standards? Which you can also, like, that segues very beautifully into the question of what is the difference between a socialist and a capitalist in your society? Now, you inadvertently asked me that question later, and I think it elicited one of the funniest responses I heard of the night, which was, well, I want them to be socialists because they'll be more mentally healthy, which is probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. You don't want them to be socialists because they'll make them mentally healthy. You want them to be socialists because when they assume a new set of standards, part of those new sets of standards are acting in ways that are more coherent with our moral philosophy. So like treating workers better and advocating on behalf of like labor rights and because it means that they're more likely to, part of those standards is furthering and pushing your own ideology. Most people say you have some sort of obligation to the ideology you're part of to proselytize or evangelize or whatever to some extent. You want to like encourage people, especially it's like a fledgling ideology, members, right? So this like his world where he does this thing where he's like, oh, well, I'm an utilitarian, blah 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 blah. Okay, tell him if you ever argue with Vosh, say stop using philosophy terms because holy fuck. First of all, every time he does is absolutely just mind blowing. Okay, and then just focus on like, well, what is the outcome of what you're saying? You kind of started hitting on this, but it was like 3 hours since you both had. Where it's like, okay, so socialism is just literally posting on Twitter. That's what it sounds like. Socialism is when you post on Twitter because you don't want to hold people to any other standard, which is ridiculous.
And that's, I mean, I don't really know what to. Do you even know what to say about if he just dies on that hill? Because that's what it seems like it was at.
And you ask him, are Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, are they socialists?
Right.
And he says no, and you say, well, how do you know? Maybe they are.
Right, and so, I mean, I feel like his response probably from there would be just like, well, I guess I can't say for sure. They could just, in their mind, be a socialist or what have you. But
yeah, but it's like this is such a boring, pointless way to live your life. And I think even his audience, I don't know how like copium up they are on these answers. Even his audience must know that it is incredibly unsatisfying, right? Like if I have a group of people, like even for my own community, I try. Even though everybody says I'm transphobic and whatever, like I try to hold my community to somewhat of a higher standard. And I don't think that turns off people from doing like, hey, like if you say things that are, even if I hate them, you say things that are like transphobic on Twitter or you engage in like crazy everything. I can't do that, right? That's a standard. It's okay to hold people to a standard. You want to be in a group that has higher standards than another group that you're not in because it's your group. Why wouldn't you want your group to have like the most idealistic standards that they can have? Like, yeah.
I don't know. It just there's I don't know. I felt very much I don't know. I felt like he was constantly trying to use other people's arguments against me so much, especially at the beginning. I just really was trying. I was trying to keep it in a spot where I was like, because believe it or not, I do have quite a bit of content, especially recently, shitting on his son, what have you. I don't think he's that bad. Right? I really don't. I think overall he is like not the worst person. Like there's a million people I can imagine that would be worse than
Sure.
There's like a million people I can imagine he was. I can imagine better, but I can imagine a lot worse. So I don't think he's that bad. However, when I see that he's doing something bad, I'm gonna target him. But when I would bring that up, he would say, well, it's like really convenient that you're not targeting other people. It's like there's no other person that like I can realistically target in the space I'm in.
Yeah, and also you're gonna work proximately to your causes,
exactly.
right? Like imagine you got a fifth grader and they're like, dude, our teacher's bullshit. This is like fucked up. And you're like, oh well, why are you criticizing your teacher when the police chief just defeated this horrible thing? It's like, well, I'm a fucking police department. It's my fifth grade class. We're all like, yeah, of course you're gonna like deal with things that are close proximity to you. That's always the case, right? Why would Jane complain about her mom and dad when Samantha's mom and dad are so much worse? Like, what the fuck? Because it's not Jane's mom and dad. Like,
and I was also like, I mean, I wish that I didn't get sidetracked on this because I really wanted to ask him, like, can he point me to somebody? Because, God, it was so, I really didn't like the appeal to the gray area. There was an appeal to the gray area.
Oh, yeah, because if you can't draw, this is like some brain aids, dude. The crazy lefty trans people do this as well for some reason, where they'll do this thing where if you can't, like, draw this exact border somewhere, then they say that it doesn't exist at all. Like, if you cannot, in the most precise manner possible, delineate a certain, like, border, then everything is everything. There's a name for this, but I don't know what it's called. But like, yeah, like the joke that I made when we were listening was that like, let's say I'm standing on the border between Nebraska and Iowa, and I demand somebody to tell me exactly what the border is. Where's exact? Oh, you need to know? Then fuck. Then Nebraska and Iowa are basically the same thing. It's just one state. You can't draw exactly the border. You can't draw the exact thing. Then it's like, okay, well, fuck you, right?
Yeah, and so I'm just, I don't know, it was really cringe for me because I felt like I had a really good foundational position, right? I wasn't talking about somebody that's making 100K excess cash, talking about like how they could use resources or platform. I didn't even die on the hill of resources. I didn't even die on the hill that he needs to get a penny. I was just talking about like doing a fucking goddamn fundraiser, or what have you, right? Like just, something that we should hold people to some higher standards. But like, it felt like he couldn't even break bread with me. Like when I made the argument that somebody making $1 million, $1 million USD excess at the end of the year, after taxes, after rent, $1 million excess, like that person could probably do a little bit more, and then he would constantly appeal.
Yeah, and then he was like, do you have any more money? Do you have any extra money? And it's like, bro, come on, dude.
He's a Martian compared to me. He's a Martian compared to me. We are not at all similar in any facet. And it's like, I don't feel like I was being really obtuse. I wasn't talking about maybe 100K.
And it's gotta be so unsatisfying that like you're essentially admitting that you have like zero moral standards for your side. Like it's like, oh well, we have zero expectations of anybody. And it was funny because I ran away like we don't have any expectations of anybody because we're tired of people using them against us. It almost made it sound like they didn't want to have any expectations because they could never live up to them. It's like what almost sounded like you were saying.
Yeah, there's a really good issue. But do you have any constructive criticism, like more constructive criticism for me or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say you have to like be very aware of like other arguments. I think the third date was okay. Don't be so scared of that. Learn to differentiate the difference between like the kind of like the idealistic hypocrisy, like a contradiction of ideals, versus like an individual hypocrisy. Somebody's like, you're making an argument from hypocrisy. It's like, okay, we're talking about like having contradictory ideals. These are not good, right? You can't say that like we should do this and we ought to do this and society ought to do this, and then like not do any of that when you have the opportunity to on an individual level. Because otherwise, why would you expect anybody else to? Especially when you're in the best position to do it. But these are like so obvious, yeah.
I don't know, maybe I didn't drill on that hard enough, but like, that was a big thing for me, man. If like the richest people in the world, in the richest country in the world, in the most privileged position in the world, on one of the like largest platforms in the world, can't do anything, who the fuck can?
Yeah, like go join the Neil. They seem like you want to do it,
yeah, like holy shit, like I don't know what the fuck we're doing if that's the case, and I don't know. Maybe I was just like, maybe the word. It seemed like we got caught up a lot on the word moral condemnation. I should have just dropped that shit. Should have just stuck with like criticism. So that was a really big issue. Are you playing robots, by the way?
No, I'm building them on my planet. Okay, why do I play robots? Yeah, it's for cringe losers.
Okay. Any Robo fans in chat? Yikes. All right. No, I don't know, man. I was hoping that it was gonna go a lot better. I didn't want that to devolve into the situation that it was. I was really hoping that it was. At the very least, I was hoping that if it was going to devolve, it wasn't going to devolve into a place where it seemed like it'd be difficult to have another conversation again, because I don't know how realistic it's going to be that we have another conversation again.
Well, it's not like you guys were screaming at each other horribly, right? Like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels very, very, very not great. Considering that's like the first time we've interacted, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, I just can't. I think I needed a greater understanding of like why we need the moral standards, I guess, and like why
they're not used to answering a question like that, right? Oh, that was another thing. Yeah, it's good to be able to condemn things morally, because for condemnation, like we can create ought statements for how people ought to act in society. That's why we have. Oh, and you actually started hitting on this. I don't know if your chat was talking because I was screaming this a lot. You started hitting on this when you were talking. Moral condemnation doesn't have to mean like screaming at somebody on the street. Like moral condemnation could be like, hey, like you get the money, probably go pay your editors. Like that can be like right. If we said it's morally righteous to do a particular thing, or it's morally condemnable to not do a certain thing. Yeah, and also he was trying to give these black and white examples. Things can be like simultaneously like good, and there can be bad parts to them as well. The example that I gave was like, let's say that I borrow $100 from my friend, and I'm supposed to pay him back. Let's say that I only pay him back $50, right? In a way, that's good and bad. It's good that I gave him $50 at least, but it's bad that I didn't give him the full 100, right?
Yeah. Just damn shame. But I don't know, man. Okay. Maybe things will go better in the future and shit like that. But yeah, I know. I went into that hoping something else would happen a little bit better. But
yeah, things are what they are,
Yeah, I guess so.
Is there a difference here between recognizing symptoms in yourself versus diagnosing yourself? I mean, I don't really think so. Those are basically the same if you don't recognize the difference between these two things, I don't understand why you were having or trying to have these conversations and you're really quick to do so. I don't understand you don't recognize the difference between a diagnosis of something versus recognizing symptoms. Because if you would just like...
At the end of every round, a panel of 3 judges, Kararana, Danabo, and surprise guest judge, Vadim Newquest, host of the Creationist Cast, will be judging your performance. If you do poorly or do not talk enough, you'll be eliminated. If you do good enough, you'll stay in. I want no complaints. The odds of you winning the championship, considering the amount of people here, is 6.25%. So please enter this knowing that most likely you're Humegalol who is going to lose. If you do that, then you can't get your feelings hurt.
Is that how it's pronounced? Humegalol?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Humegalol now.
Now.
Oh, is that the Xander? Do I hate him? No, that's Xavier.
And no attacks based on immutable characteristics. That means no going after anybody for race, gender, sexual orientation, identity, or anything of that sort.
What if I'm really stupid?
That's fine.
Is religion fine?
Religion? Oh god. Let's just what was asked.
What about if they're Jewish? Is that like religious or ethnic? Is that okay?
Okay, you know what? We're not going after religion. We're taking it off the table. Thank you very much. So, welcome to the championship. We're going to start the first round, which will be about 25 minutes before the first person is voted off and replaced. The first topic is how is Biden doing as president? How is he doing as president? Is he doing a decent job? Is he doing a bad job? I will introduce you all because we don't have time for intros. The people on your screen right now is American Nacho on the top left. Next to him is Counterpoints. Next to them is Demon Mama. Next to them is Destiny. I, of course, am Dylan TV, your luxurious host. Next to me is Sproutacus. Then it's Trihex, then Xander Hall, then Lowerbox. You can find all the information in the description of the YouTube video that will be produced afterwards. You may begin. Please remember to follow the rules. And remember, always be nice. Make sugar your favorite spice. May begin.
All right, guys, what do you want to start with? Do you want to start with his response to COVID, his infrastructure plan, immigration? Where do you want to start?
I want to start with the fact that the first problem Biden encountered, he directly handed it off to his vice president. Like the first actual problem he went into office and encountered, it was, okay, this is Kamala Harris's problem.
What problem was that? The problem was that
immigration at the border wall.
Yeah, she went over to, what was it? I think it was Guatemala, I think it was, where she did like a statement about it, where she talked about how they're going to be giving, I think it was $2 or $3 trillion in aid. I forget what country it is. It's in South America, and it's got, like, we have a lot of immigrants that come to there due to the crime and the corruption of the government. She said she's going to, the Biden administration is going to be funneling a ton of money over there to help root out the corruption and stem the crime.
It didn't even want her there, though. First off, that country didn't even want her there. Second off, she still hasn't been to the border. The closest she got was 30 miles away in San Antonio. That is the
Wait, one at a time. One at a time. The first person I heard was talk with Destiny, so we can get to him.
Yeah, so number one, delegating things to your VP is not a bad thing. I don't know why that's something bad thing. And number two, who the fuck cares if you actually go to the border wall? I mean, I guess we could talk about like the optics of how it looks, but I think it's probably more relevant to talk about border wall policy, whether or not you have a photo op the border wall.
It's not just a photo op, it's more than a photo op. You go down the border to see what's on the ground with your own eyes. Because that's really how you get a perspective of what's going on, is when you look at it through your own eyes. You can say no, Destiny, all you want, but this is how presidents have done it for decades, okay? When something goes down, they go there. And Biden decided that it was Kamala Harris's problem, and Kamala Harris didn't even go there. The entire Biden presidency has since been a joke. All Biden did about COVID was to stop Trump's plan with 2 minor changes. I'm just saying that it's been a joke.
Okay, hold on, this is really silly. Fucking, it is absolutely normal for presidents to delegate tasks to their vice president. This is a like completely invented grievance. We're gonna talk about things that like Biden has and hasn't done. I have a couple things I could bring up. One of the things, a bit of a topic that's in my wheelhouse that Biden has done really well, which is a civil and social victory, is that he has now instated a federal policy by which trans people can have, without needing a complex and incredibly lengthy process, actually change their gender marker and name on their passport. Again, without a whole pile of paperwork that's necessary. That's really, really awesome. In fact, they're also going to be adding in an option for a non-binary gender selection on passports, which is huge and not something that's likely to be undone. One of the things that I most praised about Obama was the fact that Obama actually put into place a policy by which you could get your passport changed just with a note from your doctor. You no longer need that now, which is fantastic. I support that very much. The only problem with Obama's version was that it was immediately undone by Trump. This is not one that can do that. By adding a non-binary option, it can be very difficult to undo. That is a civil rights victory. With regard to COVID, I mean, look, anything is better than what Trump did. Trump literally went around saying that COVID wasn't a problem. Right now, I'm just checking, just out of curiosity on being here. Fatal cases of COVID in America is 612,000. So, I'm just gonna say, damn, Biden's done a pretty good job getting the vaccination out to people. We've had a significant drop in deaths from COVID.
Nearly half of all adult Americans are fully vaccinated. It's been pretty significant. On his first day in office, in his first 100 days in office, Biden enacted, I believe it was executive order to mandate mask wearing on federal property and mandatory quarantines for international travel. $2 trillion in spending on COVID relief. Pretty damn significant. Way better than Trump. Trump's administration didn't have any plans whatsoever for vaccine rollout. They found that during the transition. Biden's plan, far more constructive. An actual plan for starters exists. It has had a much larger effect. We're actually starting to see things go back to normal.
I thought it was on a panel. Wait. Counterpoint. Has anything yet? You was the first to grab it. Counter. I thought I was on a panel with a bunch of leftists. Why are we blowing a neoliberal fascist? What are we doing here? Like, is this just gonna be a circle jerk about how?
I'm sorry. Have you ever seen me call Biden a neoliberal fascist? Because I don't know if you're aware of my content, but I spent basically the last 2 years, almost 3 years, that I've been doing this, shilling for Biden over Trump. Okay, there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever at any point that I've been doing this that Biden was a better pick.
But I thought this was all tactical. I thought it was all tactical because Trump was like the actual fascist, and the Biden and the Democrats are just this like ineffectual fucking stopgap for fucking like.
If you want me to complain about Democrats, we can talk about the infrastructure bill and those that won't vote on it or that won't support it. But I'm not going to take away achievements that Biden has made because I have criticisms of him. That's not how you want to
You're taking away from Trump. You're taking away from Trump because the large majority of what Biden has done so far for COVID. The large majority of what Biden has done so far for COVID was following Trump's guidelines and how he was going to act in the future. He made very little to no changes. He made very little to no changes to the actual plan, and Biden just carried out what Trump was going to do. That's all Biden did.
There was no plan. The Biden control
Pause. Imam was supposed to grab it. Imam was the one coming in.
Appreciate that. There's a couple of things I can say. First of all, if we want to go into critiques of Biden, I do have a very solid critique that I would like to make of Biden, but I think that it's fair to give credit where credit is due. Even me, a extreme lefty, I think it's very good. We are in a time of extreme crisis, and the good things that are done should be praised. I think that the goal that he has of pushing through the human infrastructure plan is absolutely necessary for our economy. Keep in mind, a pandemic is a disaster that affects individuals
individual people. It affects individual people. They get sick, and that damages the economy. We need something. But if you want to know what my critique of Biden is, well, my critique is that he doesn't have an answer that's good enough for climate change. Climate change is a global threat. I mean, I've been doing so much research on climate change recently, and it is horrifying. If you can go look at the flooding in Germany, literally unprecedented flooding in Germany, if we have something like that happen here, I have no doubt, given our preparedness for something like the pandemic, that we're not ready. And I think that Biden needs to be willing to do aggressive action. And I just don't think he is. I think he's too committed to try and play bipartisanship with people who are straight up obstructing him every step of the way, sometimes to the degree of just straight up inhumanity. The unwillingness to even engage with the idea that we might need to provide some relief during a global pandemic, and we're supposed to be ready for climate change, a climate change that is surpassing every single prediction that we've had so far, which were already dangerous. Yeah, I'm sorry, but Biden needs to really spine up on that. If you want my criticism of that's the biggest one. Climate change is terrorizing our entire country already. We have a drought currently declared in where I live. We have droughts all over California. We have fires. We're going to have smoke seasons. We're going to be having flooding if we get heavy rains. This is a super serious issue that Biden, I mean, for all of his talking about wanting to do an infrastructure plan, simply hasn't pushed hard enough. They need to play dirty. This is a matter of being willing to play hardball.
So I have a quick question.
Wait, can I
Sorry, can I go there? Because Lono's next, and then we'll throw it to counter. Just want to be clear.
Cool.
Just to pivot.
Wait, after me. Wait, is Lonobox after me, or is it Lonobox me, Lonobox and counterpoints?
I don't know. You know, I think I'm yourself.
Wait, so Demon Mama. I understand that. However, it
Wait,
seems
did you not hear me? Xander, I said it would be Loner.
Okay, Loner, do it. Okay.
Thank you. Just to put the COVID relief bill into context, that was, with accounting for time, that was the biggest fiscal stimulus in American peacetime. So I think I heard someone in the background saying there was more private companies. No. As for Connor, yeah, leftists having a favorable view of Biden. Okay, I'm a leftist. I hate Biden. I wouldn't trust him to sit the right way in a toilet seat. But looking at what he's done so far, politicians are not leaders. A politician's job is to read the room, power relations, public opinion, etc., and make a decision. As far as that goes, Biden has so far broken with a very long-lasting economic orthodoxy in America that was the legacy of Obama, Clinton, Bush, Trump. The idea that by basically introducing the idea that state intervention in the economy in a time of pretty desperate social need actually works. I'm from Europe. We do it all the time. You should try it. When it comes to, but of course, there's plenty of room for criticism, not just from a leftist perspective. We'll complain about everything. The climate plan and the jobs bill do have plenty of flaws. They don't really live up, even in some ways, to the standards of the people who promoted it. So it's not very cohesive. The infrastructure plan doesn't really melt that well with the climate plan. The way that their high-speed rail project is very limited compared to how many roads they want to build. But building roads means you get more cars, and that doesn't really gel very well with the climate plan. But so we can talk about that. But yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes liberals do things right. It's okay.
Okay, so I have a quick question for the leftists or whatever that I think would be helpful to ask. Is basically like oftentimes we bitch about how the right wing is like fiscally conservative when it's inconvenient to do so. And as far as I understand, inflation is basically like the printing of money in relation to economic activity. And as much as we want to pretend that we can just do what we've done with the stimulus, which I think was good by the way and necessary, we have seen some logistical shortages. Right now, when it comes to housing, I think housing is up 30%. I think the value of vehicles is up 30%. I think construction materials, some construction materials are up 200, 300%. And as far as I understand, I literally just talked to an MMT guy a few weeks ago, is that basically it's not necessarily the printing of money that's the problem. It's the printing of money in relation to like no economic activity. So are we willing to concede as a panel that basically you can't endlessly print money to solve problems, or that these things need to be balanced, or you know, like is the right wing completely useless and we should just print whatever the fuck we want?
I don't think it's a question. Go ahead.
I don't think it's an MMTer's like job is going to be look at everything through the lens of like printing money. But I mean, you look at coming out of like a historic downturn in like the global supply chain. If you're going to see prices that are inflated, it's probably not inflation caused to monetary policy. It's probably inflation caused to like a failure in the supply chain. So like there have been factories all over the world that have had workers laid off that have like been closed for long periods of time, where they've had other problems, other shortages, and when that happens, it's going to drive up the cost of goods. Especially coming out of the pandemic now, when people are starting to buy things more than they were before, when these factories are trying to get the price right online, you're going to start to see prices inflated. But economists are going to be wary to call it inflation until we've gotten like a few quarters through it to see where the price ultimately end up at.
Okay, at the risk of being productive on a Rumble panel, basically what that conversation boiled down to was the fact that that's been the case all of the time. Whether you're talking about the Weimar Republic, Venezuela, or any of these prior examples, it basically is a relation of like logistical breakdown in relation to printing of money supply. So I know that you're saying like it's the logistical issues, not the inflation, but that's basically was like the historical analysis that was presented to me, was that was always the case. And COVID, one second, almost done. And then COVID very specifically is basically like one of the most drastic downturns in economic activity. You're talking about like, I don't know, 30% of like the workforce basically going to a work from home or partial work model. We're talking about retail and restaurant kind of revolutionizing over the past 2 years. So I would say that we don't know what the fuck is going on, and we don't know what's going to happen. So all I'm looking for is a little bit of concession and nuance, and I'll leave it there.
I guess you can think about comparisons because you can think about.
You know I'm trying to go in after. I'm going to give it to you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, look, it's not just a matter of like of concessions or anything. Like printing money isn't the only way to reallocate funds. We have funds that go all over the place. We have a ton of money that goes into the U.S. military. We have a ton of money that is lost in tax cuts that have been made to the highest of the highest income earners in the country. We have taxes that have been cut based on the size of enormous companies like Amazon. These are ways that we can get the money that we need. But what we do know is that that COVID has like killed tons and tons of small businesses. COVID has killed employment. Like there's a retail worker shortage in America right now because it is so difficult to get everybody back in for things that are opening up. And of course, that's not even getting into talking about what happens if there's like a second wing of this pandemic with Delta variant, Lambda variant, whatever. The problem is that it's not just about printing money. Sure, that's one possible solution. There are many possible solutions, and I think the Dems need to be pushing very hard on that. Because here's the thing: if what you're saying is true, that there's logistical issues, well, the logistics has been knocked out. It seems to me that it would be essential. This is the perfect time for the government to say we need to jumpstart this logistics. We need to get things up and running again. We need to fund small businesses so that people can start making things again, so that people can start working again. We need to make sure that people have buffer, so that they don't become homeless and lose their homes. That worsens the economy. Just so you know, like people who don't have a home, it's really hard for them to get a job or work. That's going to seriously impact people's abilities to get their businesses up running. Especially if we're talking about corporations, like massive corporations who are able to weather the pandemic, and then they're going to have like old, like outdated hiring practices where they're not going to hire people because maybe you don't have the right level of experience or whatever. They're going to have shortages. So we seriously need the government to step in and go. We've experienced a global pandemic that has killed a shocking number of people. We need to jumpstart the economy. I don't care if it's done through printing money or if it's done through reallocating taxes or if it's done through moving funds from somewhere else. But the reality is that America is a country that is
timer 6 seconds short.
We're supposed to be.
I'm going to call a time on that. That went off a while. I do want to go with
like 2 minutes and 12 seconds almost. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so I agree mostly with Mom on that, but I think one of the things that people are missing out on is that a huge part of the pandemic was also a realization that certain industries are kind of outdated. I think the biggest example of this is movie theaters. You're seeing some movies being pushed in the theaters and some people are turning, especially as vaccines get rolled out more. But you're also seeing some areas where movies are not being put in theaters. Instead, they're being viewed even more so on streaming services. I didn't go to a movie theater to watch the new Black Widow movie. I watched on Disney+. So you're going to see a lot of movie theaters shutting down, people losing jobs from that. Not to mention a huge way the economy is fueled is by people spending. You got to spend, and that typically results in the economy growing. Unfortunately, right now due to the pandemic, a lot of people are short on money, or they're hoarding it because they don't know what's coming. They want to make sure they can pay bills. If people have the money to be able to buy things, not just their basic groceries they need and whatnot, you're going to see the economy grow. A lot of people have been staying inside, saving their money. If they even have money, they might have lost
lost their jobs. Stimulus bills are a good way of dealing with this, and I've not much printing more money, but
I don't want to sorry.
Yeah, just maybe. Yeah, because every time when I hear people talk about this, I feel like it's always worth reminding people just how not very overwhelming a lot of this is. Like, it's overwhelming in the sense that America hasn't really done anything like this since, I don't know, maybe the 60s. But like, if you look at the comparison to other countries, like one of the things in this infrastructure plan is like that they said was groundbreaking is like 500,000 electric vehicle charging points. Well, compare that to Germany, much smaller country, they're going for 1 million. So as far as comparing to other countries, like this isn't as dramatic as it might seem. And then I know with inflation, then yeah, if there are inflationary pressures, then you have to maybe raise interest rates or God forbid raise taxes, and maybe that's why this kind of plan is starting with Biden kind of testing the waters, because there's going to be a big political risk there involved down the line. But yeah, it's not that. So far, it's pretty underwhelming.
I'm giving it to Sproutkids, and then give it to Trihex, who hasn't talked in a while.
Moving it back a little bit, there's a reason. DML brings up all people who aren't working, right? There's a reason people aren't working. It's because Biden has failed to do his job. Biden has failed to end the federal unemployment bonuses that people are getting. People are getting paid way too much to sit at home and to not be going to look for a job, and that is what is starting the job market. What Biden needed to do was need to end those benefits and start pushing people to go out and get a job. But the reason they're not is because they're comfortable getting money, they're comfortable not working a job, and they're just going to continue to get this extra money and not work a job until Biden ended it. Now that Biden did end it way later than he should have, states are still continuing to keep this going. States, even like Indiana, with the Rhino, who is the governor of Indiana, it's still going in Indiana. But this is the reason you see this bitch in job market. It's not because people don't need money. It's because there's too much money being sent by the government to these people to where they don't feel that they need to work.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any people getting unemployment that are not getting a job because they think unemployment is enough. I don't think there's a lot of people.
I mean, that's just empirically false. Like the most.
I mean, it's not empirically false. It's actually.
Okay, Rex.
Well, to go ahead and clap on that. So, wait, your earlier point here about like the crisis at the border wall and all that, bro, I think you're consuming way too much focus propaganda, because what you're really rooting here is the idea that if like ex-politicians not visit the border to see the crisis going on right there, that obviously they don't care. Subordinates can't go, traverse there, visit there, and then relay information to the appropriate people taking care of it that require necessary to what they were told in the first place. But I didn't go back further because whenever because the frame you gave there was one that's reminiscent to me of like whenever someone like AOC visited the border detention centers and cried and was like really distraught what she was witnessing. That got played up in ex-partisan mainstream media outlets as like, oh, look at them doing their thing now. So honestly, I feel like what you're doing there is the same shit that you see elsewhere. Whenever it's the side you want to hate on, doing it as well. So I think that one was completely garbage. And then going to the whole thing about,
you're getting a lot of points deducted right now for terrible fucking mic quality.
I'm sorry.
I'll bring it back to you after.
Yeah, my bad. So try to try. I mean, he kind of got me, but go ahead. He kind of got me, but go ahead.
Yeah, you addressed me directly. I just want to address that. So first of all, like this stuff about like, oh yeah, people who are already struggling and unemployed, they'll go get a job if you force them to go. That is just ridiculous. First of all, that doesn't happen in any other country. Like Canada was getting a universal basic income in their economy. People were still spending, people were still buying food. It's very stabilizing. The idea that like you make more money on unemployment than you do with a job, it's just ridiculous. People aren't going out because of a couple reasons. One, they can't find work. Two, they can't actually get the job because of whatever reason. Or three, they're still scared of the pandemic, or their workplace no longer exists anymore. Like this is just like literally like stock, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Like I don't feel like this is a serious argument. Like, oh yeah, if you give them unemployment during a global pandemic where 600,000 Americans, over 600,000 Americans died, then it's just like it should reflect on them. This idea of like secret welfare queens sucking up everything, that's so ridiculous. This is fear mongering. It doesn't have any basis in reality. And no, because I have another point that I want to say. Something that I wanted to respond to.
I'm gonna give you 15 seconds, and then we gotta move on to like 3 minutes left in the round.
I wanted to address something specific that Zan brought up, which is, be amazing to see something that we had in America for a very long time. Public arts pro projects. You want to get people spending, you want to get people out doing things in the economy again. Have the government fund and put some stuff out there. Movie theaters are going under. Let get that stuff.
Never once did I suggest.
Cool. We're going to Destiny, then Trihex, and we're ending the round.
Never once did I suggest that the extra unemployment benefits wasn't needed during the coronavirus. We are in the recovery stage. It needed to be ended far before Biden actually ended it. And actually, where you see a lot of people not going to jobs, a lot of people are seeking for jobs. It's low-skill jobs, and these low-skill jobs in some states, in most states, they're making more money off of the federal unemployment benefits than they would be if they actually went to work. So the idea that you're saying that people aren't doing this, it's fear mongering. It's not fear mongering at all. And going back to Trihex, talk about the border wall. Or the border. So Kamala Harris was in charge of the border. It's been precedent for decades that presidents and whoever's in charge of whatever goes down and checks that with their own eyes, not send someone else down to come back and report to them. That's just been precedent, especially if you're going through a crisis like we're going through the border crisis. But Biden actually reversed a lot of what was going on, right? So Biden actually made the border a lot worse than it was during Trump.
We gotta cut you off. We're running out of time. After the Trihex, you've got like 30 seconds max.
Okay. Whatever you were talking about earlier is a bunch of nonsense here. Ultimately, it's inadequate wages going on in the first place right there. They've always been trash. They've been stagnant for a very, very long time now, since like 2009. Increasing the wages is an overwhelmingly popular thing. It's even been popular in Republican utopia of Florida, and that has failed to be done because too many moderate Democrat senators are pieces of shit. Obviously, I'm not going to shit on both of them. That's completely here. And obviously, you should be pro some kind of injection of wealth into like this declining, shrinking middle class, because the poverty for this country is really, really bad. I mean, and long story short, it's really, really bad for the economy overall when you have a declining, shrinking middle class altogether. It's kind of some bullet points there.
Okay, let's go over to Destiny.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors about. Firstly, Canada didn't have a UBI. Secondly, there's a lot of points being brought up about how unemployment insurance might be causing an increase in unemployment states. A ton of economists have done that data. They've looked at like different industries that are affected by unemployment insurance, different industries that aren't, different states have ended early. Most economists believe that there's like a marginal impact, like a very small impact on unemployment insurance on the current unemployment rate. So the idea that UI is going to be working is probably not true. To bring it back to like, has Biden done a good job or not a good job? The amount of stimulus that the United States poured into its citizens over the entire coronavirus pandemic period has been higher than I think any other countries in the world except like Japan. We spent a ton of stimulus in this country. A lot of that came from the Biden coronavirus relief bill, which I think is awesome. That is a form of UBI to people that have children that file for their child tax credit early. I think it's one of the coolest things Biden's done, and I think it's why he's base president with coronavirus period.
I have already been told by the judges who's going to kick out for this round. So 3 votes. Oh, 2 of them actually. Wait for Deem.
Wait, Mr. Rules, who votes? Does chat vote or does
no? Fuck chat.
Okay, fuck chat.
Fuck chat. Yeah, I don't trust chat. Well, with 2 votes in, I don't really need to wait for the 3rd vote. We already have 2 votes in for the same person. I'm sorry to say, Vadim, please send it through Twitter DMs in the future. American Nacho, I'm sorry to say, you are out of here. I gotta say, you have gone the furthest in history with saying absolutely nothing in the contested history. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I think it was a huge statement on Central Prison. I love it.
Yeah, true.
You were like doing nothing. See you later. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, next person. Aircraft Sparky has entered the arena. A conservative commentator on Twitch and YouTube. Okay, you guys go to the next topic. It is the death penalty. Should it be abolished? Should it be kept? You may begin.
should be abolished and move on. The onus is on those that support the death penalty to prove that it provides any useful function to society. I've looked into it. It does not. It seems it has no effect in deterring crime. It doesn't seem to make people feel as though justice has been served. I think the utility caused by the likelihood of innocent people being falsely found guilty and given the death penalty is bad. I think that the cost of it is far more than housing a prisoner for the rest of their lives. There is no reason whatsoever to have the death penalty. It is stupid.
Agreed.
I couldn't agree more with.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I think that.
Yes.
No, wait, do we have people who are on the death penalty? Yeah, look, I don't think the state should have the ability to declare the future life or death of somebody who's already been apprehended and has been imprisoned or whatever. I have problems with it. We could go further into the prison system, but we don't even need to talk about that. The death penalty doesn't do anything for us. It's barbaric. It makes us look terrible. And in addition, it leads to a lot of very questionable situations. I mean, I think many people on this panel are probably aware of the extended torment that certain death row inmates have had when their execution goes incorrectly. As it turns out, there's no real humane way to kill somebody, and there's a lot of room for that to go wrong. And that is sickening and disgusting. And
a big thing to point out there, and I don't mean to interrupt, but I feel like it's worth bringing up, is that a lot of the time there can be lack of access to the proper chemicals used for lethal injection, which is mostly what used now, and so they revert back to older or not as useful chemicals, which can result in a prolonged and much more painful death. Not to mention, and I guess we can get to this in a moment, but I mean, there's tons of cases of people who were apprehended by the police, who were falsely identified by witnesses, because sometimes when a witness sees something traumatic happening, like a murder, they may misidentify. The police can bully and coerce false confessions out of suspects. There's a lot of cases that can occur and have occurred of the wrong person getting the death penalty. I believe 165 or more people since 1976 have been exonerated after being on death row, and those are just the people who were found to be innocent.
Is that a good thing though? Is that a good thing that 165 people who were on death row were found to be exonerated because the courts actually did their job with the appeals process and found out these people actually weren't guilty and they weren't deserving?
I want to hear finish.
So you started this off saying I'm making people who are pro the death penalty have the onus to do this because they have to prove it. You would then therefore following your own logic have to prove that there was a large amount of people that died from the death penalty that were innocent. So I'm gonna look forward to you coming through with that thought process.
It was directed towards Xander Hall's response. Yeah, we gotta make it quick.
It's very quick. Spartacus, if you had a bowl full of jelly beans and you pulled a bunch of them out and you found that 152 of those jelly beans were poison, would you feel very confident in continuing to eat that bowl of jelly beans? Because that's basically what you're advocating for here in a more simplified way. If there was 155, 156 people that were found to be innocent, that were taken off of death row, do you think there's a lot of people that haven't been found? Not to mention, that's not even getting into the fact that once you kill a suspect, you now have gotten completely rid of the ability of that suspect to contribute more to the case, to find out if they were accomplices, someone who made them do it. I think there was a case that Sean talked about in his video on the death penalty from the UK in Wales, where a guy took the fall for his neighbor who murdered his wife and child because he was trying to protect that neighbor and didn't know that it wasn't an accident. There's so many cases where executing the person who's the suspect gets rid of any ability to continue an investigation of the case.
What? Okay, 20 seconds.
That's fine. I only need 20 seconds. Listen. So this is again, you misunderstood what Zan's argument was in the beginning. You have to prove why we should kill people and what benefit that provides society. Because as it is right now, it doesn't seem to be providing any benefit, and it's incredibly expensive. The appeals process, holding somebody on death row, is ridiculously expensive to our entire country. In addition to the moral issues that are brought up with the death penalty.
I feel like most of the
Okay.
So I feel like most of the arguments that are brought up against the death penalty don't really work. The jelly bean analogy doesn't work. Would you eat one jelly bean or would you eat a jelly bean of 150 if one was poison? I mean, like, we essentially make this deal every single time we get into a car and drive. Every single time we get into an airplane and go somewhere. Like, we make this deal all the time. In terms of whether or not it's barbaric, I mean, like, it's the death penalty, of course. But if you've decided as a society that you want to punish somebody that's committed certain capital offenses with death, I mean, barbarism probably isn't that far away from what you're trying to do. In terms of, like, could it go wrong? Yeah, a lot of things could go wrong. That's not an argument not to do something. And in terms of being expensive, I mean, again, that's a societal decision to make. I'm opposed to the death penalty because I think that it fundamentally betrays what the justice system should be about, which is rehabilitation. When you have an idea that you can commit an offense that's so heinous that, like, you ought to be killed or removed from society, I think that type of mentality guides, like, the entire way that we view the criminal justice system. And I think that we should change, like, the idea of, like, punishment or retribution into something different, like rehabilitation. But I find that most of the arguments that people use that are opposed to the death penalty end up just, like, not really working because they don't really make much sense. We got the jelly, we got the like, barbaric. Like, something else people say is like, oh, well, life in prison is actually more cruel than the death penalty, so that's why we should have the death penalty. It's better punishment. Okay, what about the people that have to suffer for life in prison who were innocent instead of those that could have been executed, which would be better? Like, I find that most of these arguments just don't make any sense.
So can I get some Bailey? Okay, I would like to get some Bailey. You've interrupted me twice trying to respond.
Well, okay.
Sorry, everybody.
Okay, so there's a lot of people talking. Everybody just tried to talk really quick, okay? I haven't heard Counterpoint talk, and I haven't heard Sparky talk, so I think we're gonna have to go with them.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you some Bailey instead of some Mott. So there are certain crimes that I think should be punishable by death. Those include infanticide, terrorism, and torture murder. If you were to look at these as anecdotal cases, basically as individualistic cases, I almost guarantee you I could convince some of y'all that these motherfuckers deserve to die, basically. I also think that you can raise the evidentiary standard to beyond a shadow of a doubt. Dashtar Sarnaev is an example of that. Anders Breivik is another example of that. People who we know beyond a shadow of a doubt committed crimes that they committed. For those of you who are unfamiliar, Dashtar Sarnaev is the Boston bomber. He killed, I believe, an 8-year-old amongst his victims and named dozens of other people. I believe Anders Breivik killed around, like, it was between like 100 and like 200 people with bombings and executions. Some of those people he literally executed right in front of each other, simultaneously moving on and on. Last time I got into this debate, I was told that I was not allowed to describe the crimes that people committed, which I think is like, I get it's like, Twitch TOS or whatever, but that's insane to me that we can have a conversation about whether or not death is a valid punishment for a certain crime, but we can't talk about the kinds of crimes that we're talking about where death should be administered. So basically I said that we don't have to go with the current standard with which, innocence is basically, up the doubt. We can go with beyond a shadow of a doubt thing. So then to overcome some of your objections, you said no humane way to kill somebody. I refuse to believe that. There's probably like pounds and pounds and tons of heroin on the fucking street. Let's go get a fucking purity test and send them out on a fucking OD. Like, that's an easy fucking solution. Administrative cost. Again, if we move to the beyond the shadow of a doubt statute, then we basically don't have to have as sincere of like administrative cost to retry the case dozens and dozens and dozens of times. We can literally say, did this motherfucker do it? Yes, he did. There's the 99.9999999% evidence that they did do it, including their own admissions and digital forensics and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, buddy, you fucking killed a 8-year-old. Blah, here's some heroin, and then it's fine as. Okay, guys, final point. Social utility. Okay, final point. Social utility. Anders Breivik bitched about having a fucking PS2 after murdering 200 people and said that was cruel and inhumane. Fuck that motherfucker. He deserves to be in the ground.
Yeah, so you still have a variety argument for why we should do it. I do also agree with Destiny, though I think that the argument that like death penalty sets the standard for the rest of our prison system and our justice system, I think that's a valid argument, but I will note that does basically boil down to a barbaric argument. Our prison system is ultimately barbaric. It doesn't work towards justice. It works for rehabilitation. It works instead towards punitive solutions that often don't even work. And this is the thing. Like, people say, oh, well, it's more torturous for people who have to live. Like, well, maybe we shouldn't be torturing them. They've been apprehended. Maybe we should try to make a genuine effort to understand what led the people to be in these places, keep them away from where they can't hurt anybody. But what benefit? There's been nobody has actually been able to put out what benefit is there from killing these people, from having the state have the ability to summarily execute somebody. This is basic. You have to answer that question, and it hasn't been answered. It simply
All right,
First of all, there are just some crimes that are just so heinous. The only way, there is no reform for it. There's nothing but retribution that needs to be had. I'm looking at child murderers. I'm looking at people who do adult things with children. Yes, I believe that they should get the axe. No, it should not have to be something clean and so humane. I am all for it. Get the guillotine, let it drop, gravity doesn't work, and it's cheap, recyclable. Man, just think of all the great things that happen. When you look at it, there are just some crimes that are just so heinous that there is no chance for reform. We're not going to let them back out to the public. Why should people even bother with feeding them anymore? Look, if you're a mass murderer, if you kill 30 people, chances are you're not going to be reformed, nor are you going to get out of prison. That is heinous. Now, there are states that do not allow the death penalty, and that's all well and good. Look, the people have made their decision there. But in the states where it does exist, allow it to exist. It is a state-by-state bill. States' rights is a real thing, and the people have decided that it is perfectly fine. I'm all for bringing back the electric chair. I don't care if they suffer when they die, just as long as they die and the world is rid of them. That's what it comes down to.
Stop. Yeah, one of ours is not going yet, and I want to make sure he has a chance. I want to knock him next.
My guardian angel. So there was one argument there, and it was retribution. That's kind of what you just said. Retribution for who exactly? The victims, the relatives of the victims? Because you all said that you obviously don't want innocent people getting executed. So that means typically what we have now is people have to stay on death row for a very, very long time before we actually determine 100% whether or not they were guilty. I think there's been research done on this. I can probably find it that this does not provide any comfort or closure to the families of victims because it's an ongoing process. It is limbo. It's indeterminate. It's stressful. It doesn't provide the thing you're saying it provides, and that's actually the only argument that.
Actually, I didn't claim that it gives closure to the family at all. I didn't claim that at all because that doesn't
That's a response to counterpoints. That was towards counterpoints, I think. I want to respond to both of you guys really quickly. Sorry, what's your name on the top left?
Aircraft sparking. How you doing?
Aircraft sparking counterpoints really quickly. So I think both of your claims are downright un-American and ineffectual. The idea of the justice system, the idea of the American, you can laugh if you want to, but I mean, it's a simple fact. The American justice system, the entire idea around it is that emotion is completely separated from the court proceedings. When you're being tried, you don't have a bunch. There's a reason why you have an unbiased jury of your peers. You don't want the types of people who have an emotional bias against the person who's on trial to be punishing them. That's not where our justice system is about. Not to mention, I already brought this up earlier, but I guess we can dive into it further if you like. Once you execute a suspect, they can no longer talk. There's been, and just like counterpoints talked about before, cases where someone was found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. I think it happened in Florida back in, I think it was like the 80s, where a couple came out of a hotel and the wife was shot. The husband identified a person, the police interrogated that person, the person confessed. Guess what ended up happening? One, the husband missaw, and the person who confessed, guess what happened? Was bullied into it by the police. This happens plenty. It was found without a reasonable doubt in court. And you know what happened? Because that person had a confession bullied out of them, the police did not go after a warrant to search the person's house to see if there was any evidence they actually did it. Turned out he didn't do it, and it was all in the police. Our justice system, unfortunately, is flawed. There will be cases where someone is found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt at all, and it's just not the case. And you don't
Wait. I don't care because the round's over.
Oh, it's gonna tickle some balls.
That is the 15-minute round.
You actually brought up a good point, though.
Yeah, my great point is that the round's over and we all stop talking.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding. So I'm getting the votes in right now. The first vote, I'll actually read the votes out. It's more suspenseful. The first vote is for Sprouticus to be knocked out. The second vote is for Trihex to be knocked out. And the last vote is also for Trihex to be knocked out. Trihex, it seems that the lack of talking this round was the decider.
Yeah.
Sorry, Trihex.
It's all good. Still a beautiful man.
It's all good.
Yeah.
You want to know how you're the real winner? You got to play Skyward Sword.
Skyward Sword.
I did. I didn't get the remaster today. I pre-ordered it too.
No, it's all good. Actually, my Joy-Con broke. I didn't play with my Pro Controller, which like really sucks in that game. But it's all good. It's all good. The only thing else I have before I take out here is I was going to say that I was going to make sure that in the beginning we're going to counter framing that we're not going to conflate your support or against death penalty automatically being indicative of whether we were for or against life in prison or assisted suicide. I feel like oftentimes the three things kind of get automatically conflated together. And I was going to hop in here and hear that, but it was already so deep and very jump some like subjective stuff all together. But all good, y'all. I gotta go to bed after tomorrow anyway. So keep lifting. See you next time.
Have a good one,
Keep eating.
Have a good one.
Okay, the next person is Hunter Avalone enters the ring. Hunter Avalone. Wonderful. Now, the next topic, and I only released the first two topics because I wanted to make sure that the rest of them would be spicy surprises. Because we don't have surprise guests, so we at least need surprise topics. And this one's going to be an easy one. I think we can all come together. Issues of mental health. Specifically self-diagnosis.
I'm going to go ahead and I'll get popcorn out for this one, baby.
Okay, you may begin.
I can make an executive decision to let Demon on it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, self-diagnosis is super, super important. It is usually the first step that people take before they get a formal diagnosis. Very, very valuable process. And many mental health professionals recommend this with regard to mental health. In America, a lot of people grin and bear it. They think that there's something wrong with them, but they don't look at it as a matter of mental health. They look at it as a moral failing. Being able to recognize in yourself the symptoms of various conditions is incredibly important to actually being able to get treatment and care for those issues that's right for you. Now, mental health is complicated. In America, a lot of people don't have health coverage. And in fact, good on Biden for pushing Medicare to have mental health coverage, which it is going to do if his package gets passed. We'll see. Which would be great, but a lot of people don't have mental health coverage in America. They might be looking at a $1,000 bill just to see a therapist or just to see a psychiatrist. Being able to recognize in yourself the symptoms of a potential mental disorder is incredibly important to having a good prognosis for that disorder. And not every single disorder requires medication or structured therapy. Some people, like say if you have I don't know, ADHD, maybe you just find out that you need to change your habits a little bit, and you're doing a whole lot better. That is a fantastic and important process.
But with self-diagnosis, I agree. It can be an important tool for going towards a medical diagnosis. But when you put it in the terms of it is arguably more important than a medical diagnosis is asinine to me. I don't know how this is more important than a medical diagnosis. To go so far as to say the only when you go to a world where doctors say that are the only people that can say you have a mental health disorder is a world full of asylums and gatekeeping is absolutely insane. Doctors are the ones that go through 8 years of college for this. Doctors are the ones that are trained to understand what mental health disorders are and which ones are which, because it can be very easy to misconflate one mental health disorder for another. Such as you could think of depression when actually you have anxiety. And you're not going to think depression and anxiety the same way. So it's insane.
I think that
what's the time? Okay. Yeah, a lot of you.
Can I respond now directly?
Okay, yeah, Demon, I'll let Demon respond. We gotta keep this short because these rounds get shorter, okay?
Yeah, thank you. Doctors are also the ones who lobotomized Rose Kennedy. I think I got the name right.
No, this is bad. Demon, I have to really just go anti-doctor. This is anti-intellectual.
Excuse me, please. If you
don't yell over me. I'm trying to respond to you.
Excuse me.
Demon Mama, you're better than this.
She's not.
Excuse me.
But seriously, this is anti-intellectualism. This is like when Lauren Southern came on and told me that.
I didn't even get to start my response.
Go ahead.
No, this is not anti-intellectual. This is recognizing that there are flaws in our medical system. There are great injustices that have been carried out by our medical system. That doesn't mean that I'm anti. I've literally never once advocated for anti-doctor and anti-doctor anything.
You are right now. That's what you're doing.
Hunter, I understand, but you need to let me finish the point. I know you're very, very ready to jump at whatever strawman you have summed up about my position.
Can you please make a comment on the outcome? We have a little time.
Okay, I gotta say, we don't have a limited time, so I'm gonna give you like 30 seconds. Nobody interrupt, okay? Go.
Yeah, I never once have stated anything that is anti-doctor. All I pointed out is that there are problems in our system for a very long time, until just about 10 years ago. It was considered a mental condition to be trans, just to be trans. In fact, within like, I think it was about 30 years, it was considered a mental disorder to be gay. We recognize these are errors. Our medical system is not perfect. The idea that the medical system is beyond reproach, or that we can't point that out is absurd. Now that is truly anti-intellectual, and doctors will tell you this. In fact, if you go to any major mental health...
30 seconds over. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go to Destiny, because
Okay, I'm gonna make So first of all, self-diagnosis is not the first step to anything. That's not true. No doctor will tell you that. Recognizing symptoms in yourself, sometimes diagnosing a disease in yourself. This is a crucial error that a lot of people make. A self-diagnosis involves you finding some disease you think you have. It might lead you into like starting to misidentify symptoms because you want to identify with something, but you think you identify with something. Self-diagnosis is absolutely not the first step to anything. It's recognizing symptoms in yourself and giving that handle symptoms to a medical professional that can help diagnose you if they feel it's appropriate for some condition. How good for it. Many mental health professionals do not recommend self-diagnosis. That is absolutely not true. You will not find a single medical professional who will tell you, oh yeah, you should definitely diagnose yourself with a disease and then give that disease to the doctor and go back. The idea that many people don't have mental health coverage, they cost $1,000 to see a therapist. $1,000 is really high generally for a therapist. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't say anybody go that. Xanderhall. Are you the host? No, Xanderhall, I was fucking at you.
Not the host, I think you're the host.
Yes, okay. So we're going to go to counterpoints, okay? Because he has his hand up for a long period of time. But I also want to say, this topic's going to go on for a few rounds, okay?
Very cool. All right, awesome. Yeah, so basically, as the enlightened centrist here, I think I can split the difference. So I think what Demon Mama is saying, and excuse me if I strawman, is basically that being aware and cognizant of symptoms and being aware and cognizant of different diseases can help you basically figure out what the problem is. It's very Jordan Peterson of Demon Mama to say that you need to pick yourself up and you need to analyze your situation, you need to imagine hell below you and heaven above you, and you need to strive towards the ideals and for your society by identifying your problems and then working them through them slowly. I know Demon Mama is a massive fan of Jordan Peterson, so that's basically like, you know, I really appreciate that. I think the term, hold on, we're almost there. So I think the term that we're getting hung up on is diagnosis, and I think the problem here is that diagnosis often involves, correct me if I'm wrong, basically involves coming to a conclusion about a series of symptoms about a disease that basically would confer all of these symptoms. I think that if we were to split the difference here, and this would be my final point, is basically recognizing the symptoms and being informed on the symptoms so you can feed that to a professional so you can get an accurate diagnosis would be the difference between these two perspectives, and I'll yield right there.
Okay, yeah. Wait, everybody's been responding to me, and it's really because I've given so many words.
You want to 2 minutes this round? Let me give responses.
Well, wait a minute, that's not my problem. You all chose to make this about me. This is you.
I still have to talk to Demon Mom about being anti-intellectual.
The longest we debate about who's going next, the less time there is in the round. And the less time there is in the round, the less chance you have to actually speak. More likely you're going to get voted out. And if you piss me off, I'm going to make executive decision, vote you out myself, okay? So I just want to make that clear for anybody who's pissing me off, Xander. So let's go to Hunter.
Yes. Okay, so Demon Mama, I do understand where you're coming from about self-diagnosing, okay? But what you are doing is anti-intellectualism, and at very least, you are empowering anti-intellectualism, because when you bring up these examples of doctors making mistakes, what you're doing there is you're trying to validate a broader narrative that doctors cannot be trusted, and that is anti-intellectual. Second of all, self-diagnosing can, in very many ways, be actually a detriment to your health. For example, I have an example here. Bipolar and depression both have very similar symptoms, but if you self-diagnose yourself for depression when you actually have bipolar, it could make your bipolar even worse. So self-diagnosing and understanding your symptoms, being aware, that's fine, but the actual process of diagnosing, that's dependent on a doctor, based on your qualitative symptoms, or based on your qualitative experience, and the symptoms that they already understand.
Okay, Demon Mama's going to respond to this because there's 2 people in a row. I do want to give them.
Yeah, by the way, I have like a number of studies I can cite if you want to get really into that, but we're limited on time. The funny thing here is, first of all, no, I'm not anti-intellectual. The idea that you cannot critique or you cannot point out massive flaws in our medical system, that is categorically anti-intellectual. Science is based.
That's not what you're doing.
Excuse me. Science is based on challenging these things, even sometimes from an activist perspective, saying, hey, there's a problem here. Categorizing being trans as mentally ill, categorizing being gay as mentally ill. These are mistakes. These are mistakes that are caused by bias and ideology that can get into our medical system and they can ingrain themselves very well. You have to be able to challenge that and provide an argument. This is not anti-intellectual. This is the core.
This is why it's anti-intellectual. The reason.
We're gonna
have multiple rounds to do this, okay? It's gonna be like 3 rounds, okay? So let Demon Mama finish. Doors is sparking, okay?
Yeah, there's some sort of semantic thing as to whether people think that a self-diagnosis is final. I don't know what this is referencing to. I've never said. First of all, not even doctors give final diagnoses. If there's an issue with doctors give diagnoses all the time that they later change. This is a medical fact. You cannot contest. It's uncontestable. Doctors change the diagnosis all the time when new information arises. A self-diagnosis is just that first step. Now, if you want to call it,
that's only one half of the
argument. No, stop.
Excuse me. I know. Again, Hunter, I can't help but feel like.
Please, okay, we're moving on. Okay, aircraft. I'm sorry. Like, if it's gonna be like every time I interrupt somebody, I know that. I know you're acting this way. Like, these rounds are very short and concise. Okay, I know maybe 2 streamers are the best for that. We have to do that. Aircraft. Then loner.
Look, I'm trying to get the best, most generous interpretation of what you said, Demon Mama. I've watched your video and I've actually watched the man right below me's response to it. And look, I understand what you're saying. Look, if you were aware enough to understand what's going on, you should go get help, go see a doctor, and a doctor will actually help you come to the actual true diagnosis. But to sit there and claim that you self-diagnose, I understand your argument with the whole trans thing, because a lot of people don't get the chance to go to the doctor and they identify as trans before they are diagnosed as trans. Okay, I get that. That's rhetorical stuff. But when it comes down to it, there's tons of mental conditions that people do not understand fully. In fact, I had to go get some help for some counseling post-war, and I didn't even know there was anything wrong. It was my wife that told me, hey, look, you changed since you come back. And I moped around for about 8 or 9 months. Had it not been for a doctor actually sitting down, breaking down everything, I would have never known there was anything wrong because, well, I mean, it is what it is. So I think it was framed. I think your argument was framed wrong. I understand in the most generous sense of what you were trying to say. I'm not going to say you're 100% wrong, but I just think the wording that you did just made it seem a little, no, just not good.
Okay, see, I hear where you're coming from.
I hate it when you just can't transgender diagnosis. Can I respond to him?
I said loader box, but loader box, we have to end the round.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really follow this drama at all because I don't hate myself, but I'll just go with what I've heard from here. So, like, yeah, self-diagnosis just as a broad term. Like, yeah, I can see the idea there because it's like, if you go to a doctor and say, like, yeah, I think I'm depressed, I think that's kind of like a self-diagnosis. And the doctors, inevitably, like, it is a science, but they don't scan your brain. They just ask you about your feelings, and the self-diagnosis can be a feeling. So, and, you know, like, I've read Foucault. I know that there's weird power relations going on between doctors and ordinary people sometimes, but it's like, you know, with psychology, that you can say that like, the first psychologists, you know, were child abusers and cokeheads and all that shit. The DSM was just a group of doctors shouting diagnoses at each other and filling in a book, like, on the fly, but it's come along since then. You could actually make that criticism of all medicine. So, you could say, I don't know, self-diagnosis, but like, it's always, your diagnosis is not going to be 99.99% of the time as informed as the doctors, and although it's a power relation, I think it's a healthy one generally.
That's fair.
The person voted the first. End of the round. First being voted out. First vote is for Sproutigus. Again. Second vote is for Aircraft Sparky. The third vote is for Aircraft Sparky. I'm sorry, Aircraft. This plane is crashed.
Hey, it's all good. Thank you for having me. And yeah, good talk to y'all. Take care.
Have a good one.
Okay, so we're gonna throw it back over to Zan. Then it's gonna go to Demon.
Right. So I think that there is definitely some utility in being able to, I guess, start to think about what issues you might be dealing with psychologically. I think there's a huge problem with people misunderstanding psychological conditions in this country. A lot of, especially young people who aren't super aware of it, may have depression and confuse that for DPD. It's very common. And it is very hard to get your hands on somebody who can help you get a formal diagnosis for a medical condition. But I do think there's a lot of utility in that. If you find yourself waking up every morning feeling like shit, you got no motivation, maybe it is worth considering. Maybe you've got depression. What should I do about that? How can I help with that? But at the same time, you should always take the word of a doctor or a medical professional or multiple over your own self-diagnosis that maybe what you found on the internet. I don't think anybody here, like Demon Mama or whoever, disagrees with that. But
can I go? I have to go to real quick.
Does Demon Mama disagree with that?
Wait, okay. I'm gonna go to counter then Demon because counter hasn't talked a little bit, so I think those are.
Okay, so the definition is the identification of nature of an illness or other by examination of the symptoms. I can understand if we were to split the difference through this definition, then basically Demon Mom would be saying analyze the symptoms, try to come up with a diagnosis, not because you basically like want to self-diagnose, but because you want to start analyzing the problem. And Xanderhall, I think what you said is very similar to what Jordan Peterson said. Or like, basically see yourself as an agent of order in a world of chaos. Basically start from scratch, analyze the things you can control, the things that you can't control, and then basically move up from there. So I really appreciate everybody coming out and standing Dr. Jordan Peterson in this conversation. With that, I have to go.
Peterson's right on some things. Don't get me wrong. I think that absolutely cleaning your room. Hey, listen, I will stand by Jordan Peterson's statement that you should clean your room and it'll make you feel a little bit better to the day I die. I feel great after I clean my fucking room. Of course, yeah. And analyzing yourself and what you're going through. If you're feeling like shit, that's probably because you've got some stuff going on. Try to find a medical professional to help you. But there's ways that you can, without needing to spend money or go out of your way to find a medical professional, that you can analyze your mental health and help improve it. Absolutely.
Okay. Xander, I'm proud of you for cleaning out your cum sock. Now going over to Demon Mama.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's really funny because everybody here has sort of been fighting a straw man of what they think my position is. I really wonder why that might happen. But yeah, so it's really interesting. We have tons, and like we have an entire.
Nothing triggers me more than when we're like limited on time and she takes time to like throw these snide remarks. Reminds me when I fucking Vosh on the
go to Walmart. You can go to Walmart and you can buy yeast infection medication because you can self-diagnose a yeast infection. Yeah, wow, amazing. It's almost like we actually do trust people to some degree to self-diagnose. Now it's interesting. People come up with all these weird straw men that I've never said. Literally never once said avoid a doctor. Literally never once said like self-med or any of these things. You've been coming up with the most extreme examples because you need me to look bad because you know, and everybody here knows, that self-diagnosis is a thing that normally happens. That understanding these things is essential. And not only that, but again, I have study after study after study here. I can drop them in the chat if you want to. That shows that patients that are more informed about themselves, their potential diagnosis, their potential final diagnosis, which is never final. No diagnosis is final. Even with cancer, it's not final. You could find something that's totally different. But this increases their outcomes. Self-diagnosis is a natural part. Now, if you want to try and split hairs and say, we don't want to call it self-diagnosis or whatever, that's fine. But this stuff, like, I don't know. I think it was Destiny who earlier this week, maybe even yesterday, said that it's like, it's like collecting Pokemon or something like that. I've literally never said anything like this. And I would appreciate people actually engage with my arguments instead of engaging in like extremely weird, like character assassination weird.
Just one quick question, a clarifying question. I really want to know what is your position on when it comes to self-diagnosing and like then going to a doctor. So like, if you have self-diagnosed yourself with depression and go to the doctor and they give you something else, then what like do you? Because it sounds to me from what you were arguing, it sounded a lot like you were arguing that the self-diagnosis should supersede medical diagnosis. No, I'm talking about my purpose panel. And I was also okay. So then if you so you're just saying that's important to self-diagnose. That's it?
Yeah, that's literally what I said. I claim that I believe very strongly. I've literally already said this. I just wish people would listen to me instead of fighting whatever strawman it is. I think that self-diagnosis is an important process. It is the process that brings many people to get the help that they need to live better lives. It's
right, but what was the whole thing about the doctors and the ivory?
Wait, I think it's important to criticize doctors. Also, hold on, I can talk about this. One of the things that you get told when you go to a major any sort of healthcare clinic where you're getting set up with a therapist is that if your therapist, if things aren't working out between your therapist, because psychotherapy is so important, it's very, very important to have the ability. If you don't feel,
you gotta keep going. I mean,
can I just do this?
There's 8 people and you're getting half the round, so I have to keep going. I don't care. There's no negotiating. There's no negotiating. This is not a democracy. Okay, I'm an authoritarian today. Okay, I got little brown shirts behind me. Okay, we're going over Destiny.
Okay, do you recognize? Is there a difference between recognizing symptoms in yourself or diagnosing yourself?
I mean, I don't really think so. Those are basically
if you don't recognize the difference between these things, I don't understand why you were having or trying to have these conversations when you're really quick to do so. I don't understand. You don't recognize the difference between a diagnosis of something versus recognizing symptoms. Because if you would just like couch your language a bit more responsibly instead of using literal anti-vaxxer arguments, like sometimes doctors have made mistakes and medicine can be expensive and doctors are wrong and they make mistakes. Instead of using literal anti-vax arguments and conflating the difference between a diagnosis versus just recognizing symptoms, most of what you're saying is pretty agreeable. It's pretty important that people are able to recognize their own feelings, able to recognize themselves, and able to recognize things that change over time. That's probably one of the most important things when it comes to communicating even physical ailments to a doctor. But as soon as you up that to diagnose yourself, that is a totally different thing. Going into it, you talk for 30 minutes. Okay, shut the fuck up. There's a difference between going into a doctor and saying like, hey, I feel like I have crazy mood swings and like I feel like I'm not making friends, and there's a difference between saying that versus going like, hey, what's up? I've got a borderline personality disorder. So yeah, right. As soon as you have that diagnosis in your head, causes all sorts of like horrible things happen. People that have mental illness are already like cognitively disordered, such that it's hard for them to recognize their own thoughts and other people's thoughts and like what's going on exactly. There'll be a lot of issues there. The idea that you would find a diagnosis, start reading the symptom list, and then like potentially maybe matching that is like mind fucking yourself in a way you should never be doing it. If you want to say self-identify symptoms, that is totally fine. That's super positive. But self-diagnosing with a mental illness and then going into a doctor and potentially fighting them over it is like the worst idea in the world.
You're literally just inventing a person to be mad at. This is so silly. This is the thing that gets so
frustrating. Can you just go on to the next person? She's gonna waste time. She's already talked
Look. I'm doing my best. Okay. This isn't anything about direct adjustment. Okay. You have to make do with the time you have. That's the whole point of this, right? If you don't got the time, then you kind of up shit creek. Okay, I was gonna let you speak, but okay, just you got 20 seconds, okay?
20 seconds to respond to all that.
She wasted 5 minutes.
First of all, Destiny, you're wrong about this. There's evidence that shows that there aren't actually negative, particularly notable at all negative side effects of people diagnosing talking to a doctor. If you go to a doctor, in fact, this is an experience I had where I said, doctor, listen, I've been diagnosed with depression, but the depression meds aren't helping my focus issues. I think I might have ADHD. Can you screen me for ADHD? I was screened with a formal screening with ADHD. Turns out I hit basically every single one for ADHD. That was the process of diagnosis. And
okay, so now moving forward, Dylan. So I agree with a lot of what Destiny said. That looking at yourself and being able to notice what's wrong with you and what the kind of symptoms you're showing is extremely important when you go to a doctor. That way that doctor knows. That doctor doesn't live with you. That doctor doesn't see your everyday life. The doctor depends very much so on what you tell them feel is wrong with you. Such as I'm always tired. I can't ever have the energy to do anything. I'm always on the couch. I'm always on the bed. That's extremely important. But to go as far as to say, which Mama has, that when doctors are the only ones that can diagnose, it leads to asylums and gatekeeping is insane. It is absolutely insane to say that the people that have gone to school for 8 years are not as well trained and not as well versed as you are. Who, when you've looked up WebMD and you've met 3 of the symptoms, so you automatically diagnose yourself with that. There's many more symptoms that can include this. Doctors have consistently said, do not WebMD yourself. I've never met one doctor or never heard one doctor that has openly suggested, you know what, before you come see me, go ahead, look up on WebMD and figure out what you need to do for yourself before you come see me.
I want to say Demon Mama, can I do it?
Sure, then we're going to go to Josie, and then we're going to go to Loner, and then we're going to go to Xana. We're going to wrap up the round.
You know what? I'm not going to be a dick. Josie, I haven't heard from you. I'm just going to pass up my time.
Okay, Josie.
everybody. How are you? Happy to be here. So I think, you know, I think there is a mistaken idea of what is being said right now, because I know that if I went and broke my arm, I would go to the doctor and say, hey, I think I broke my arm. And the doctor would probably be like, yeah, you're probably right. You know, let's take an X-ray to verify that. My PTSD, it was also symptomatic. So I was like really depressed, and I started talking a lot about the Navy and started looking at my ideas. So I went to a doctor and said, hey, I think I may have these things from trauma. Can you take a look at it? And then I got diagnosed with PTSD. And I saw symptoms that I might be a little ADHD, and I went to my psychologist, and I'm getting a battery test to see if I have it. So I'm not self-diagnosing myself with any of those things. Even my gender dysphoria, I didn't say I'm trans. I was like, oh, my gender, so I went and saw a gender therapist. So I think that the argument that you're trying to make, Demon Mama, is correct. I think it's just one of the things of like the self-diagnosis and like being diagnosed officially is the issue. But I think we know ourselves, and I think nobody here is going to argue that we know like the things that are going on with us. We wouldn't see a doctor unless we think something's wrong. We wouldn't see a therapist unless you think something is wrong. And sometimes those symptoms are the things that come up. So I agree. I think that a patient can understand themselves, but I don't think they should go around saying I have ADHD without an actual diagnosis.
I agree. I never said that. I never
said that. I'm not saying you did. I'm not saying you did. I'm just
Wonderful. We're gonna go to, I think next it was Loner Box, then Zan.
Yeah, I just had a couple of clarifying questions actually, because when I first saw that there was like self-diagnosis, whatever, I just immediately thought like when you go to the doctor and say, yeah, I think I'm depressed, and they check, and then they ask you about your symptoms, and then they come back with a diagnosis, and it's them who makes the decision. Like you actually said when you went to the doctor and then you asked about symptoms, and then you asked, I think this might be ADHD, can you screen for ADHD, and then they said yes, ADHD. Is that right? So as far as I know, that's you like your self-diagnosis was much less conclusive than the diagnosis of the doctor. Would that be fair?
Yeah, for sure. I never said that. I never wanted the argument that self-diagnosis should be the conclusion.
I just want to follow up then. So Destiny, was your problem with the self-diagnosis thing just that, like that term online in the age of like I don't know, Tumblr and shit, or what was the problem with that term?
They're using the words wrong for other purposes. Like you're not diagnosing yourself, you're just understanding your own symptoms. That's what you're doing. That's what you're supposed to be a doctor. You're supposed to give a doctor your symptoms, not a diagnosis. Saying like I'm depressed or like I have attention problems, maybe ADHD, that's fine. But there's a difference between that and like here's the diagnosis I have myself. People don't seem to want to understand that for some reason.
Sounds like a pretty small distinction.
It's not. Well, it is here because now we're on a panel interview. She said self-diagnosis could be the most important thing, and then she wanted to make a bunch of anti-vax arguments about doctors. So that's now like on the panel, it's more reasonable.
Very nice. Right. So we need to go with Xander because we only have a minute left.
Yeah, so I have not followed the drama between Demon Mom and Destiny, which I'm pretty sure is what kind of caused this topic to come up. So I'm just going to give my best take on this from what I've seen, and we'll go from there. So I'm surprised I've seen so many people make comparisons to self-diagnosing mental health to breaking a leg or having a yeast infection. There's a big difference between having constipation or looking down saying, well, yeah, I got a yeast infection going down there, and knowing what's going on in your head. The human brain is unbelievably complicated. Right. Everyone has different chemical balances, structure inside the brain. It's very complicated. I do think, and I don't think anyone here disagrees with this, that acknowledging you've got symptoms and trying to help to alleviate them while you find like an actual diagnosis from a doctor is a bad thing. I think what's happening here is a huge misunderstanding of terminology, and that's unfortunate. But I think for the most part, we're all on the same page.
Okay. I would argue that there's a deliberate attempt to misinterpret my statements. If you want to say that, oh, the word. Sorry, go ahead.
Round's over. You'll be able to open the next round. We have one more round where we talk about this. Okay. So I've gotten the first vote, and it's for Sprouticus. Man, they're going for you, Sprout.
Which judge hates Sproutacus every single round?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious.
I'll ask him if I can say it. The first one is Sproutacus. The second one is for Connor. And the third one's for Connor. Connor, that's what you get to be nice.
Get the fuck out of here!
That's what you get to be nice. You gave someone else time. Look, you helped up, and boom.
Listen, that'll teach me to be nice. You fucking asshole.
Was it Jordan Pearson next, guys?
Yeah. No, hey, before you eat me, Jordan Pearson won this round. All right, bye.
Clean your room. It's true. Clean your room. Open some windows. It's true. It's good for you.
Eat it. Okay, let me get link for my staff. There we go. Okay. Next we have Prime Kai. And also, I didn't shout out Josie at the start of the last round, so Josie's here too. Okay, we're gonna continue. Do you mind me open this round?
Wait, no. If she opens and everybody responds, she can talk for 30 minutes. How's she get another opener?
Calm down, man. You know what?
Destiny got a chance to talk.
Destiny? You asked. D-Mama.
Thank you. Yeah, so I really encourage people to go actually watch my video and not just listen to whatever nonsense has been filtered through Twitter. The fact that, like, first of all, the idea that, like, saying the word self-diagnosis is somehow deeply inaccurate is just ridiculous. Like, self-diagnosis is a perfectly valid term. You can also say non-clinical diagnosis, but a self-diagnosis is naturally non-clinical unless you're a doctor. And even then, you know, there's limits to your ability to diagnose yourself. Obviously, there are varying degrees of complexity for all kinds of things that you might engage with, but what I said in my video, the wording was, arguably, self-diagnosis is the most important step. And I think it's interesting that people have ignored that in order to say that I'm some kind of, like, anti-vaxxer. It feels very weird. It almost feels like people have a motivated reason for why they're making these strawmen about me. But whatever. The fact of the matter is that self-diagnosis is incredibly helpful, and it can also help you get to a more accurate diagnosis. There's all kinds of things that you can do from the first thing, but you need to be able to recognize these things in yourself. Also, if it's somehow like bad that I said the word self-diagnosis, which I don't agree with that analysis, then I guess you should probably talk to Windows as well, because they have your diagnostic tool that helps you figure out what's wrong with your computer, and you're not a technician. So I guess you might want to have a word with Microsoft.
Okay, Sprouticus and Zan and then Destiny.
So, I agree with you on the first part. I'm going to call it something different, but that's just semantics. I'm not here to argue semantics. Recognizing what is wrong with you in your life is very important when you're dealing with disorders, when you're dealing with what's going on. Recognizing your arm hurts, you fell on it, it hurts very bad. You may have broken your arm, you also may have sprained your arm. Those are two very different things treated in two very different ways. And the doctors, and this is going to kind of close mine kind of statement, is that the doctors, when you go to a doctor, they don't trust the patient. They never trust the patient when the patient walks in. Doctors will 100% verify what you say.
Okay,
you don't walk in and say, yeah, this happened to me, and this is what's going on, and this is what it is. The doctor will never trust you. They will always take a step back. They will always do something else to verify that is what it is before they make a diagnosis. You don't just walk into a doctor and say, yeah, I've got this, and oh yeah, you must have that because you told me that you have that, and here's your medicine.
I don't think anyone disagrees with this.
No, I do.
With that.
By the way,
that's not true. Okay, no. So we have a time keep. We're keeping time to track how much people talk. So we're throwing it over to Zan, the Destiny, then Prime. Okay.
Yeah, so it seems like what's going on between Demon Mom and Destiny. Elephant in the room. I know they are not fans of each other, and you know that's going to happen. But I want to add a little bit on to what I said earlier in a way that does not come off as bad faith, I guess, because that seemed to be how it's coming off. I don't think what Demon Mom was saying was exactly an anti-vaxxer argument, but I have debated many times people who have made anti-science arguments, and they've made that argument that sometimes doctors are wrong. They'll bring up examples of the way that the federal government or doctors thereof have engaged in bad practices or come to the wrong conclusion or engaged in experimentation that's been wrong. How mistakes are made by doctors and you have to refer, and that is completely true. I think the problem is there's that. I'll be honest, I think Destiny's got a bit of a bias against Demon Mama. I know, gonna take issue with that, but yeah, I think that's the point Demon Mama is making. That there is the possibility of doctors being wrong, but that is often, to be fair, often used a lot by anti-science people, anti-doctor people. And I've heard it many times from conservatives who've done that, and I understand the concern there.
Okay, next was, I said Zan, next I said Destiny, right?
Yeah, so
Destiny.
the difference between trying to like self-diagnose like an obvious physical ailment versus a mental ailment is entirely different. Like generally, like a cognitive distortion, it doesn't occur when you break your arm. Anybody can look at their arm and see if it's clearly broken. And it also doesn't even really work as an example because if you say that you quote unquote broke your arm, the doctor's not just going to treat it like a broken arm. You're going to get an X-ray to verify it. Now there isn't a comparable thing like that for the brain unless you like kill somebody and chop the brain open and start like trying to like test for gray matter or something, right? Like there isn't like there's generally not a physical test for the vast majority of like things that affect mind. So that's one thing. Secondly, I don't want to run around in circles on this, but I don't understand why people don't understand the difference between what a diagnosis is, what we call a non-clinical diagnosis, or a diagnosis versus understanding what a symptom is. There is a difference. Like I can go to